just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Bloke in a Bar, a very magic episode after the weekend. I will say, guys, just if you obviously it was magic round, so there were certain minutes of certain games we may have missed. So if our review of each game isn't as detailed as usual, just relax, because we're at magic round. So we watched most games, but if you missed a thing here or there, please forgive us for enjoying the magic round. Now, huge fun announcement, guys. I spoke about it for a few weeks now. Really fun announcement. The announcement is we'd like to welcome someone to the Bloke family, but also the Grumpy family. We are welcoming a brand new member of the Bloke and Grumpy family. That's right, it is DJ Grumpy. Alrighty, there you have it. DJ Grumpy joining the team. That's right, DJ Grumpy joining the team. So what is DJ Grumpy? Well, that's why I told you to give Grumpy Drinks a follow on Instagram, on Facebook, and also on YouTube. We'll also have a DJ Grumpy TikTok because each month we'll be releasing unique mixes. DJ Grumpy will be releasing unique mixes, and also we'll be visiting cafes weekly, putting on sets. So if you are a cafe and you want DJ Grumpy to come down to your cafe and put on a set on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning or whatever suits for both parties, email DJ Grumpy at grumpycoffee.com.au because not only will we visit you there, we'll obviously announce on the show that we are visiting you. I will try to get down there as well. You'll get essentially a free DJ putting on a set for people buying coffee at your cafe. So DJ Grumpy is a part of the family now. We'll also be releasing content regularly from DJ Grumpy. Eventually, we would love to have our own songs because DJ Grumpy is an actual proper DJ that also is a music producer as well, makes his own music. So if you actually remember about 3 or 4 months ago, maybe a bit longer, I talked about please write in if you make music or you're a DJ. Well, that's what this was for. It was for DJ Grumpy. So give us a follow on Grumpy Drinks. As I said, if you're a cafe and you want DJ Grumpy to come down, put a set on for you, email DJ Grumpy at grumpycoffee.com.au. He'll come down. Hopefully I'll get down too. And as always, it's brought to you by Grumpy Coffee. Go to grumpycoffee.com.au, grab your Grumpy Coffee. Huge celebration. I cannot wait for you guys to hear some of the music that DJ Grumpy has. As I said, once a month on our YouTube, we'll be releasing, and also on our Spotify, so you can follow us on Spotify, we'll be releasing an hour-long unique mix. So it'll be a really good place to get your music. On top of that, on Grumpy Drinks, we'll be releasing tracks to get you fired up, tracks to heal a broken heart, all that cool stuff. So, music to turn your frown upside down. If you have your coffee in the morning, you also got your music now as well. Alrighty, boys. Magic round done and dusted. How you feeling, big fella?
I'm feeling worse than last Monday, but better than yesterday.
Okay, well, that's not bad. That's not bad.
I'll take it.
All right, you, Timmy?
There were some demons last night, mate, but sort of overcame them thanks to Kayo Weeks. She just said, Timbo, don't stress, mate, I've got you sorted.
Yep.
Pulling out a miracle for the Raiders last night. So back on top, and actually I was surprised that Guru's DJ Grumpy application was overlooked a couple of weeks ago when it was picked. Larue knows his music, although I will say he did think a month ago that Tones and I were two different people.
Oh, wow, Timmy goes whack. Oh, the great Hamiso. How you going, Hammer?
Yeah, not too bad. 6 a.m. flight hurt this morning, but I made it. Can you send me the link to that Broken Hearts playlist, please? I might need that at some point during the show today, but what a weekend. It is without question the best weekend in Australian sport.
Is it better than Origin?
For me?
Yeah.
Yes. For me, and from a selfish point of view,
Yeah.
I think it is the absolute pinnacle. Vegas is cool. Magic Round is special.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. The reason why I like it better than Origin is because, like, Origin, you've got to stress about, like, your team winning and then you got to deal with them losing for a whole year, all that kind of stuff. And like, even if your team loses on Magic Round, like Broncos got towel up, I'm just like, who gives a shit? Like, it's Magic Round.
Rugby
Let's just
league's the
enjoy
winner.
it. Rugby league is
All
the
the
winner.
different jerseys in one spot. Like,
Yeah,
everyone's
sick.
getting around each other. It's just
Absolutely. Oh, speaking of jerseys, we still have some Bloke jerseys available at bloke.shop, guys. I think we've got about 20% left. So make sure to get them, because once they're gone, they're gone. And you would have seen them on TV. You would have seen people walking around them. Don't miss out, because once this design is gone, we're never, ever doing it again.
Hey, very quickly, how was your weekend? I was specifically told to ask you how your commentary stint with Fletch and Hindy went.
Oh, bro. Far out. Okay, I'll tell you how the fucking stint went. So, basically, the boys were like, oh, you want to come and Fletch and Hindy? Well, of course I would. That's sick. Love the boys. And, you know, it's just a good time. Side of the field. So, basically, you're sitting where the players are sitting, commentating. So, it's like the best seat in the house. It was a Warriors v. the Cowboys. So, cracking game. And I'm like, yeah, how good? And they're like, all right, maybe come down at you're on at 6, but come down a bit earlier so you're there ready to go. And so I was like, being a good bloke, I got there at like 5:20, 5:30, and they're like, oh, you know what? Let's just chuck you on now. Anyway, so literally, Vossi shake his hand, he walks off. Within like 2 minutes of getting there, torrential rain starts, and it hadn't rained at all the whole night. Torrential rain starts, and I've only got a jersey on. They've got like one umbrella for all of us, and like, so obviously Fletch and Hindy are under it. And then like, they had me at the edge, but the edge is the worst spot because that's where all the drip happens. And then they were like, oh, we'll come in, like the producers will bring our umbrellas in. So they brought in, but that made it work because it was making the drips come together.
Double, yeah.
So it just made the drip double size.
Yep.
So yeah, it was absolute torture. Friggin' so cold. And then after it, you're like, oh, they're like, you know, you say bye, and then you got to walk sheepishly up to friggin' Caxton, absolutely drenched, freezing cold. So yeah, great times.
And then you had your flight straight after, didn't you?
Flight straight after, which was also really, really cool.
An easy solution would just put the umbrella over you, and you could have thrown Fletch and Hindy under your beak.
Oh, well, that was unnecessary. Wow, that was really unnecessary. Timmy, what is wrong this morning, mate?
I'm from the Big Beat Club, mate. I can get in on this.
Mate, wow, Raiders have a win on yesterday, and all of a sudden he's a bully.
I told you I was up and about.
Unbelievable. HR, where's HR when you need
Wait
him?
till we get to his face of music.
Oh, that's why he's
Settle him
projecting.
down.
Okay.
Settle him
Are you
down.
going to
Yeah.
buy one of those bloke jerseys?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, Mr. fucking Beak Bloke. So, what do you reckon if you've got once a year, you've got a bloke meetup, and for about 6 weeks before that bloke meetup, you're talking about jerseys are coming, wear them to Magic Round, wear them to Magic Round, wear them to Magic Round. They're made for Magic Round. Every year, we've worn the jerseys. Every year. No, we haven't communicated before it because everyone already knows. We rock up, everyone's wearing a jersey. Guess who rocks up in a black shirt? And guess what he has the gall to say? I didn't get the memo. When have we ever sent memos out? When have we ever sent the memo out? We've been doing this for 4 years now, Timmy.
This is the issue. Maybe we should start sending memos out, mate.
That's the journo coming out in him.
You know
Memos
what?
and that.
I was so stressed out when I was packing about last year.
You packed?
Apparently only taking 1 or 2 shirts up, and Maddie was into me, and it went bloody viral about how hopes. I packed about 9 shirts, and I didn't throw the bloke jersey in. So my bad, boys. I'll work it out for next year.
Yeah. He had the black t-shirt on. He looked like backstage crew, kind of like
Yeah,
bumping
100%.
in.
I thought he was about to serve some beers.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He didn't even do that. Didn't even buy a round of beers.
Very rude.
Well, very rude.
Yeah.
Very rude. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment on YouTube and Spotify, guys. It's been really, really helping us. We've had a massive start to the year. Massive. And that's all thanks to you guys. Let's get into facing a bit of the music. Let's face the music, brought to you by Sportsbet. Let's go.
Very quickly to the feed. Just want to shout out a punter from the feed this week. PJT is the username. Whacked this one up last night. About half a dozen punters followed him in the Storm Raiders game. Will there be extra time? Yes. Exact winning margin, Raiders by 2.
Oh, no way.
2.5, 2,500 to 1, that was.
Wow. I'll tell you about another bloke that did. If you were listening to Morning Glory on Friday,
Yep.
there was one, Matthew Johns, that basically we do at the end of the show, has to be above $10.
Yep.
Multi. He did a multi on air. Fletcher Sharp 3 tries.
Yep.
Not just 200 to 1, it ended up being 250 to 1.
Jeez.
250 to 1. So the rich get richer. It does my head in. It's ridiculous. The rich get richer. It's bullshit.
Yep. I'm annoyed. I didn't, because I was listening, but I didn't actually back it. He should have put it on the feed. And I would have been able to copy and share it very easily.
There you go.
Anyway, we learn for next time. All right, let's get into the Magic Round results for this week. So, first game, Sharks 28 defeat Eels 18. Denon and Timmy, you had the Sharks minus 5.5. Roo had the Sharkies 1 to 12 for $3.50. Cracking start.
Falling ass first into it again.
Yeah,
Love that.
well played.
A lot of pressure off there.
Next game, Chooks 36 defeat the Dolphins 26. A lot of love for the Dolphins on the panel. Therefore, not a lot of points, apart from Denon, who had the Chooks head-to-head at $1.89.
Smart betting.
Well played.
It's
Good
called
stuff.
smart betting.
Huge odds for you.
It's smart betting, mate.
It was. All right, so the next game, Souths 4 defeated by Knights 30. Timmy, you took the Knights head-to-head. $2.13. Kempy had them 13 plus. Huge. $4.90.
I just get it. I just get rugby league. It's a joke.
The rest of us had the bunnies. Shout out to Roo who had the bunnies 13 plus. Only just missed it, mate.
That is 2 weeks in a row of just fucking good punning.
You've exploded out of the blocks.
Does he get Knights 13 plus odds at the start of the week or kick off? Yeah.
That's
massive.
Yep.
Fucking massive.
Well
Is that
played.
3 from 4 so far?
3 from 3.
Okay, 3 from 3.
Yep.
Nice.
Spoiler alert, you end up with 3 from 8. So. All right, Warriors 30 defeat the Cowboys 26. Everyone was hot on the Cowboys. So again, barely any points. Just Matty, who had the Wires head-to-head $1.95. Well done, Matthew. Then the next game, Tigers 34 defeat the Dragons 26. Nice, easy watch this one. Never in doubt for the Tigers. Tigers teach 34 to 28. Most of you morons had the Dragons. The only smart people here were me and Matty, who took the Tigers head-to-head $1.91.
Ooh, massive.
Yep, which we'll take. Titans 18 defeated by the Dogs 38. Kempy and Roo, a little too bold on this occasion, had the Titans 13 plus. Timmy and myself got a bit too cute. Dogs 1 to 12. Well done to Matty, who had the Dogs minus 12.5. Only person to get any points from that one. Next game, Panthers 32 defeat the Broncos 8. Now imagine telling ourselves that not one of us would have tipped the 4-time reigning premiers in a game where the only injury concern they had was a winger. That is exactly what happened here. No points for anyone. Everyone was hot on the Broncos.
We deserve that.
We did deserve that. And then the last game of the round, Storm 18 defeated by Raiders 20. Denon, you went Storm 13 plus. Timmy had Storm minus 5.5. You missed out on points there. Matty, you get rugby league, Raiders plus 5.5. Rue and myself really get rugby league. Raiders 1 to 12, $3.50 for us to bring it home.
Oh, fuck. That was a shit call at the end there for sure. Man, terrible.
No, great refereeing. I thought it was spot on. All right, so to finish up for round 9, Denon $8.69, Matty $7.73.
Oh, so I still get on top?
You did.
Oh my God, this is too easy.
Oh.
This is getting too easy, man. Oh man.
Roo $7.20, myself $5.41, Timmy $4.03. So for the season, very tight at the top. Denon $7.81.
Oh, I have absolutely clawed tooth and nail back to the top all the way from the bottom.
You're back.
Unbelievable stuff from me.
78.81. Matty, 78.72. So he's 9 cents behind you after 9 rounds of football.
Yeah, because he doesn't get it. Doesn't get footy.
Rue, $73.37. Myself, $66.78.
Oh my
Timmy, $51.89.
No wonder you're so angry at the world, bro. You suck at tipping.
I knew the wind out of the sail was coming very quickly, so I got in early before the segment. But cracked the half century, so here we come.
You'll need to tip the round to come third.
Narrowly avoided the Caxton Street nudie run, which would have been great stuff. Maybe
Would have been great.
For what it's worth, I thought I was on the nude run coming in, so I'll take it.
Oh, wow. Jeez. That sucks for you. That sucks for you. That's Face the Music, brought to you by our friends over at Sportsbet. Give us a follow on the feed, guys. Give us a follow on the feed. It's a fun time, as always. You can see what we get up on, what we don't get up on. And as always, a massive thank you to our friends over at Sportsbet. Alrighty, let's get into the next little segment, because the next little segment, we are picking the winner of the $2,000 just this month. So last month we gave away $2,000. This month we're giving away $2,000 to a Bloke Club member. That's right. You join the Bloke Club at www.bloke.club. It is totally free to join, and you just go straight in the draw to win $2,000. We've done $2,000 last week, last month, $2,000 this month. And also at the end of the 4th month, so we're 2 months in, we're giving away a Mazda BT50 to one lucky winner. That's like a 50 to 70 grand or whatever the value is prize to join the Bloke Club completely for free. And that's all thanks to Luke Camilleri. Matter of fact, Luke Camilleri, use code BLOKE, mention Bloke to Luke for a special price this end of financial year. So if you need a car, either message him on LDC_01 on Instagram or go into Aspley Mazda, ask for Luke, and you mention Bloke, he will give you a special price this end of financial year. So, I mean, Luke honestly could not do much more for us in regards to the Bloke Club. He is being so generous, guys. Because I'm telling you, if you need a car, he's the best in the business. I got my Mazda, got my wife's Mazda from him. The other day, we needed some. My wife needed some car service. The pains they took to make sure my wife was taken care of was absolutely outstanding. That was all thanks to Luke Camilleri. So, join the Bloke Club, bloke.club. We've got a bunch of stuff going on at the moment. We've got discounts. I'm about to draw $2,000. A massive thank you to Luke Camilleri. Give him a follow, LDC_01. Let's draw the $2,000. All of the Bloke Club members have been entered into this. I press one button, it draws it. Random name picker. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Oh. Okay. The randomly picked name is Matt Monday. That is right.
How fitting.
Matty Munday. You are the winner of $2,000 cash.
Yeah.
$2,000 cash. You're
Well done,
kidding.
Matty.
Your shout, Matty.
Oh, man, in this climate, wow, that's a lot of cash. So make sure Matty will get in. He'll get in touch with you guys. Join the Bloke Club. That's all thanks to Luke Camilleri, the Bloke Club at the moment. We're giving away a Mazda BT50 in 2 months. We give away prizes every single month. At the moment, if you need a car, go in, speak to Luke, say Bloke, he'll give you a discount. All righty. A massive congratulations to Matt Monday. Join the Bloke Club. We got way more planned for the Bloke Club. Trust me. We got discounts on plenty of stuff. Discounts right now. Okay, for example. Oh, wow. Jeez Louise. Unbelievable.
That's the worst.
That's the worst, mate.
Yeah.
Okay, at the moment. So, for example, we got small businesses that have joined. We've got 180 Cadence who are offering a $50 off for the Sydney Ultra Marathon for Bloke Club members. This is their biggest discount ever. So 180 Cadence, they're offering $50 off for the Sydney Ultra Marathon for Bloke Club members. So all of the thousands of Bloke Club members, you have access to these discounts right now. Fraser Skincare, the boys have put in a care box valued at $350. We'll be picking a club member at random to claim the prize. They are also running a 20% off sale right now, so get in and check them out. That's all the Bloke Club members, that is. Charity Trades. Guys, this is an organisation on the Central Coast that helps those that need it most. If you want to get involved or hear what they're all about, reach out to Sam via the Bloke Club. Blokes giving back and helping out where they can. And if you and your business would like to be involved in the Bloke Club, reach out to us and be part of this ever-growing community. As you can see, guys, this is how good the Bloke Club is. We can do things like this that you just can't do because you don't usually have such a huge community that we have. So a massive thank you to all the businesses that have got involved. Support them because they're part of the Bloke community. Okay, it's time for Code Sports Story of the Week. And just quickly, we have a very, very limited discount with Code Sports. If you go to codesports.com.au/bloke and use code MAGIC, the first month is free, and that is limited. So use code MAGIC at codesports.com.au/bloke. The first month is totally free, guys. That is a limited time. I would get in right now because it's not going to last for quite a while. Now, if you want the full year, you can use code BLOKE. That will give you the $49. But I'll use code MAGIC for the first month free signing up. Guys, get in now because that's not going to be around for a very long time. All righty, mate. He's back, the big fella. First of all, how was your Magic Round, mate?
Mate, my Magic Round was quiet. I was here in Sydney.
No.
I had Brent Reed in his pink jacket up there. And
He was
Couldn't
strutting
miss him.
around too. Strutting around.
Yeah.
Like he owned the joint.
Yep.
yeah, well, he's like you. He's a Brisbane boy. Loves Suncorp. This is his Coliseum, right? So,
Okay.
I've got to say, I'm pretty impressed with how you blokes have pulled up this morning.
Thanks,
The day is still young.
Especially for a 6 a.m. flight from you.
Yes. Not all heroes wear capes, Mobsy. Yeah.
Yeah. So genuine thoughts, guys, on Magic Round? Enjoy it?
Loved
the
it.
Concept?
Absolutely loved it. I felt like pretty much all games were refed really well. I think the refs deserved a massive rap this week. I think that you saw, and like some people will credit the NRL for this, I think you should credit the refs for this, because once they were given power to ref how they want to ref, look what the weekend was like. And look, I know the last game there was some controversy or whatever, but over the weekend I thought there was one pretty bad bunker call, Eels, Sharks. But that's not the ref, that's the video ref. And then last night it was a controversial call, but we'll get to that in the game. Outside of that, I think the refs deserve a massive rap. Really entertaining games. Great weekend of footy.
Yeah, so story of the week, Magic Round. I mean, the Queensland government's been behind Magic Round since its inception, right? And it's been, resounding success. 3 days of sellouts. It pumps $40 million into the local economy.
$40 million.
I don't know what you guys spend up there.
Mate.
It's ridiculous, but...
Put half it into 5 Dragons.
But you get to the end of 2027 and that Magic Round contract is up for grabs. Would you take it anywhere else?
See, this is the problem the NRL face, is that like they could pretend to be like, we're going to take it somewhere else. But I don't think that the Queensland government will just believe them, because they'll be like, mate, you could. Half your population will revolt if you
call
take...
you bluff.
Yeah, we'll call you bluffs, because it's like, mate, there's nowhere else in the country that is designed for Magic Round the way Brizzy is.
It's ridiculous, right? Just between Caxton Street, the walk down to Suncorp, it all just works. But come the end of 2027, the NRL, and you've seen this before, the NRL uses its gems, its marquee events, Origin, Grand Final, Magic Round, to leverage governments for the betterment of the game. And I'll tie this into the Olympics coming up, 2032 in Brisbane, because I don't know if you've seen, but poor Suncorp's been left out in the cold. There's going to be a new 63,000-seat stadium built there, purpose-built, which afterwards will become the home ground for the Broncos' big rivals up there, the Lions. So, and when you fast forward to 2032, Suncorp Stadium is going to be 30 years without a coat of paint. The last upgrade was 2003. And look, it has been the premier rectangular venue in our country for watching footy, right? So the NRL is now looking at going, well, hang on a second. This is the money spend time around Olympics, and Suncorp's our venue. We're the big ticket in town with rugby league, with the Dolphins there a lot of the time, with the Broncos there. So
potentially a third team in Western Brisbane could play there as well.
Yeah, correct. So what are things going to look like in 10 years? So now the NRL obviously lavish praise on the Queensland government. I saw that the Premier was there over the weekend. He's a mad Cowboys fan. That extended Magic Round deal wasn't done under his watch. So now he's going to have to come in and negotiate that. And you've seen with the NRL Grand Final, it's rolling 1 year Grand Final deals at the moment, isn't it? Because they haven't got the deal they want yet, the NRL. They haven't got the committed stadium funding, because there was an agreement years ago, wasn't there, around a core stadium, which has fallen through. I mean, we've got Allianz, which is great. So I think there's just going to be a little bit of movement. But same as you, Den, the point is, where else do you take it? I mean, can Perth be an option? How are you going to fly everyone over there to do it? How are you going to figure it out with the time zone difference over there? Sydney, it's not going to work here in Sydney, is it? There's too many Sydney clubs for it to be extra special.
And also the problem with Sydney as well is like, unfortunately, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but you just don't get around footy the way Queenslanders do. And like, I know the whole Origin chat, but it's just a fact. And I would argue to my dying breath that, Queenslanders just get around rugby league more. I would love to hear your thoughts, boys.
I'm going to pick my words very carefully, but I don't disagree with you. You cannot move it from Brisbane. It will. If they move it from Brisbane, we're still going to Brisbane. I'm going to
Live show from Brisbane.
It would just be insane to move it.
Yeah.
It would just. There's nowhere in Sydney you could do what I hear people say, the SFS and Surrey Hills. If that's your suggestion, you haven't been to Magic Round.
It's a good point. Yeah. If you're suggesting even like out at a core stadium, like to have it out there, mate, no way. I'd almost not go, and I'm living here. So it's a tough one. And the problem is like, okay, let's go, think out of the box. Let's do like Hawaii Magic Round. But then that takes away from the Vegas trip as well. So it has to be in Australia. Mate, I think that it's going to have to be one of those things, hopefully, And look, this is politics being honest, and business deals being done in an ethical way. But I'm hoping that like both parties can go, listen, let's not play games here and pretend like we're going to one up each other and get a squeeze a little bit extra at each other. Let's just give each other what the value is. In saying that sounds pretty stupid. When it comes
the
to
best
that.
decision for the fans in this situation.
I just hope the politicians on their side don't go, let's wrangle them because we know how much the fans love it.
Yeah. It's got to be there because it's just, as well as being, if you asked AI to create a space to have Magic Round, it would spit out the Caxton Street and Suncorp all right there. You can't improve on that.
And that doesn't even, sorry, just to interrupt, that doesn't even include the Castlemaine Street. It's literally on the other side.
Yeah.
That, not many people go down there, but that's a whole other street filled with pubs. And Milton is just there as well. So.
But it's just, if you're coming, a lot of fans coming from Sydney, it's an hour and a half on a flight. If fans want to come from New Zealand, again, it's achievable. If you move it to Perth, like, everyone's got it's a big effort to get everyone over there for the one. I just feel like it works. It's like it's in the middle. It's a bit of a weekend away for the New South Wales fans and whatever. But
what about the new Townsville Stadium? How, I guess, local is that in regards to streets and pubs next to it? I haven't been up there yet.
It is right smack bang in the middle of town. I don't think people realise how far out dairy farmers, 1300, whatever the hell it was, how far out of town that was. Right, it was so. But and when that decision first came in, I would have bought a cafe in the middle of Townsville there, right near the Esplanade. You'd be cleaned up now. It's such a local, centralised place, but it doesn't have the capacity for ticket sales. But the next couple of years are really big for the NRL because not only do you have Magic Round, you've got expansion, and you've also got TV rights. They come up for renegotiation, and the kicker in all this is that Fox has now been bought out by DAZN.
So the entirety of Fox, not just Kayo.
Oh, so Fox and Kayo, Foxtel and Kayo have been bought out by
the entirety of it. Fox.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
So News Corp, who are proud owners of codesports.com.au, head over there right now. They maintain a 6% ownership in DAZN, and they get a place on the board, but you're not dealing in negotiations now with someone who's maybe as symbiotic as you, as they, Foxtel and Kayo need rugby league. NRL's the big ticket item. So, and obviously they've bought that for NRL, right?
Yep.
NRL, AFL rights, but they do things very differently. And I think that's going to be a very interesting negotiation the next couple of years, because obviously Volandi's been talking about getting $3 billion a year out of this deal, and I know for a fact he wouldn't have liked the fact that the AFL deal was so much more. It was a couple of $100 million extra a year than the NRL was during this current cycle. So you're looking through that, and that's why we're going to Perth, right? You get a whole new broadcast audience over there.
Extra game.
We get the extra game, and then you've got PNG and how that all works in. So, but at the core of it, you've got to think about the fans. And like you guys said, Magic Round is built for a Brisbane audience, for that
There's
Brisbane
not
setup.
many things in rugby league that aren't a little bit broken.
It's
Magic
perfect.
Round is the one thing that doesn't need to
And
be
I will say as well, like it, you could think, oh, will it lose its shine, mate? Every year, it's just as fun as the
gets
year
better.
before.
It pissed down with rain over the weekend. It was mad.
And it was still mad. Yeah, like I'd even argue I think Vegas will lose its shine eventually. Like I think they'll have to move that eventually. Whereas this is the one thing where it's like it doesn't lose its shine. It's just as enjoyable. It's just as fun. It's the perfect setup. I think the interesting discussion, because I don't think it'll move from Brisbane, because like what are you going to do? Get extra 10 million? Is that worth pissing off pretty much most fan? I don't think that'll happen. What is interesting though, I think, is regards to the rights deal, the TV rights deal. DAZN, let's say, you try and play hardball with DAZN, they're a worldwide company. So they might go, look, we'll be willing to lose, 200 million if compared to, obviously that's a lot of money. But if you're a worldwide company, that's nowhere near the same amount of money as if you are just based kind of in Australia. And granted, I understand that, Fox is owned by a huge, initially was owned by like someone's a billionaire, but it is just different because you're dealing with a sporting network that's used to dealing in way bigger deals than the Australian one. So it's going to be interesting to see how much weight we can go into that negotiation table with someone that may not actually realise how important rugby league is to Australia.
Yeah, and you've also got to look at what pushes a bidding war parties, different parties. So who else is going to bid outright for the rights? I mean, are we really thinking that Netflix are going to go all in for NRL rights? Nine and Stan as a group, they may go in for the entire lot. Seven could have a crack at it.
There's been reports that Seven are lining up to have a crack at potentially. So my understanding that with what I've read or whatever, is that there could be a situation where Nine keeps Origin and finals, Seven gets a couple of club games, and then Kayo and Fox get obviously what they've currently got. That's what I've read in the papers at the moment.
Yeah. Could you imagine, again, thinking about going back to the Magic Round conversation around, think about the fans, could you imagine, Timmy, you got to watch the Raiders on Channel 9 or Kayo, you've got to watch Origin over here, you've got to watch finals here. You imagine asking league fans to have 3 different platforms to watch. And look, they each individual product is really good. And you throw in internationals, and with expansion, they might actually be able to come down from a 27-round season to 20 rounds and make a proper international window and give that a focus. So there's another thing. But can you imagine saying that to fans? You've got to have multiple platforms beyond what we already have now to try and watch league. So, but Seven's really interesting as well, your point there, because, the Channel 7 Rugby League show just dipping their toe in the water a little bit just to give fans a little bit of love. And given the way that the AFL rights have gone over the years between 7 and 9 and 10 fighting over them, it'd be silly to think that 7 wouldn't be positioning themselves for a go at it.
Well, I mean, even if from 7's perspective, if you're looking at it, you're going, even if we can just get 1 or 2 games just to see what happens there, just almost like a tester. Me personally, I just think that the most important thing is that we keep the 24-hour channel that we currently have with Fox and Kayo. I just imagine how less the game would be if Kayo and the 24-hour rugby, at the moment, yes, free-to-air TV is great, and it's good that we can watch the rugby league on that. But at the same time, we would be starved of content in this game. And I actually think the game would take a massive hit if it didn't have what Fox is doing right now, which is a 24-hour channel at all times, being able to consume all this content, creating more and more shows on the go. So, yeah.
I was having a conversation with a guy at Magic Round the other day, and I'd completely forgotten. Do you remember, early 2000s, mid-2000s, on a Sunday afternoon, the game would start at 3 and it wouldn't be televised until 4, and you just have to put your head in the sand for an hour and hope that it didn't get spoiled for you?
Well, you remember even earlier than that, there was Friday night, 8:30 the game would start.
God, that's right, yeah.
And then when social media started to become a thing, all these spoilers would start getting out, and yeah.
Boys, I'm a little older than you, and there's sometimes on a Sunday afternoon, they used to cram an 80-minute game into 60 minutes of broadcast time. This is crazy times. And you'd have the Saturday afternoon game on ABC, and you'd have the Friday night game, and that was it. We are so spoilt for choice.
Yeah.
So spoilt.
Yeah.
And back in the days when they used to do it with the cricket, right? If the game was in Sydney, you wouldn't be able to watch it live because they want you down at the ground.
Yep.
It's like we're living in the
That was
dinosaur
mind-blowing,
eras.
that one.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's why I think that the problem is if you go with a Netflix or even free-to-air, if you don't have a dedicated sport network, like a sporting network like Kayo and Fox, you lose the opportunity to have 24-hour. You would lose how many shows you reckon you'd lose if Kayo didn't you'd lose half the content of rugby league. So that's my hope, is that's the most important thing in regards to the content going forward. We need a 24-hour channel, I think.
Well, interesting tidbit around Kayo and that as well. They do a lot of business on Kayo minis and post live watches from audiences, and I'm like you guys. I like to sit down and carve out some time and watch my games live. But people, especially younger generations, are consuming content so differently now.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys obviously thriving in the podcast era, but all this stuff of the way we consume our content now, different little tidbits, whether it's through YouTube or podcast channels or through streams, and they do it so differently. And I know Kayo, don't have the numbers in front of me, but massive numbers of watching them on delayed things.
Yep.
So, I think once a zone get in and have a look and see the environment they're in with the rugby league and the, and mentioning all these things around grand final expansion, everything else, there's a massive area of growth in the next few years in rugby league, right? Because it seems like we've just got ourselves back on the right track. Super League could have tore the game in 2, and rugby was going well at the time, and then league sort of got its way back. And as you said, Roo, rugby league has a lot of problems. Magic Round's not one, but they've also got a lot of potential to grow on the product that they've got.
Yeah. And like I watch all my NFL on that DayZen app, and it's the goods.
Yeah, it's a bloody good setup. You watch, they've got a lot of the boxing as well, so I watch a lot of boxing on DAZN. Yeah, wow. Look, I hope they keep it in Brisbane because, mate, it just wouldn't be the same somewhere else. Granted, I understand we'd all go, but I just don't know if there's another place in the country that it actually has that kind of setup. I think also if Landy's, who am I to say how Landy's negotiates, but dangles that grand final as well as Magic Round, maybe that's a way to kind of bump up the Magic Round price. But mate, thank you so much for that. On code at the moment, we've got some huge. So we've got Magic Round's future. Could the NRL Showpiece event leave Brisbane? 20-team competition, Monday Night Football. Less club footy, more structured international calendar. Exclusive interview with Coach Adam O'Brien on why he won't pick Hastings, the Knights' interest in Sydney Roosters winger Dominic Young, and the chances of getting Dylan Brown this season. The harmless tackle that almost blinded Melbourne Storm star Eli Katoa. And the truth will come out. David Fafita on his shock Titans acting. Ooh. That's what I mean, guys. You've got to get on Code Sports. This is all juicy, juicy stuff. At the moment, as I said, you go to codesports.com.au/bloke. Use code MAGIC for the first month free. First month free. Cancel any time, but I promise you won't after that first month. Just look at those stories. That's exclusive stuff to Code Sport. Or you can use code BLOKE for a massive discount on the whole year. Thanks so much for joining us again, bro. Appreciate it.
Thanks, boys. Hydrate up today, hey? Not all heroes wear capes.
Good advice.
We'll need it, mate. We'll need it. Thank you. Alrighty, it is time for Menulog's Hungriest Player. And first of all, thank you to everyone that turned up to the Menulog meetup this week. It was so good to see you guys. And each year, it just gets bigger and bigger, and it never fails to amaze me how lucky we are to have you guys all listening to the podcast. It really does. We do appreciate it. And just to see everyone, to say hi, and just get to know the people that are actually listening to it.
And for the 5th year in a row by my count, still not a dickhead.
Not a single dickhead except for the three next to me.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Pretty much. That's the biggest thing about Magic Round, right? Like, such a spectacle, but the fans really deserve a shout out because you get thousands of Aussies on the beers, Kiwis, heaps of Kiwis came over. It was unreal. Carrying on, you'd expect there's going to be a little bit of hoo-ha here and there. Mate, the whole weekend, every year I've been there, I don't think I've seen a scuffle, a voice raised, anything. Like, the vibes are so high. Everyone's in such a positive mood. Like, such a credit to them.
And good to
Everyone
see
except Joe Tarpanay trying to fight everyone.
Bloody Canberra.
Tommy Starling.
Good to see, even though Timmy hasn't managed to buy one, plenty of other people have bought a bloke jersey as well.
Yes, that is true. Like, the listeners could obviously, and he gets one for free.
They got the memo.
Yeah, they got the memo. They got the memo. Nah, mate, I tell you what, it is so humbling to see the years of jerseys, whether it's the blue one all the way back to the initial one with the OG one, or one of the OG ones. It's so humbling now. We're going to try to do something a little bit different next year, I think. I'm not going to obviously give it away, but it's going to be maybe a totally different design that we've never done before.
Ooh.
Maybe. But it's so humbling to see all the crew. So thanks to everyone to come down. We really, really do appreciate it. We are always... one thing I will say, whenever we all rock up in here, no one's ever sooking to be here, or, that we always are really appreciative and understand how lucky we are to be able to do this for a living. And that's all thanks to you guys. Alrighty, the Menulog Hungriest Player. I hope you guys enjoyed the vouchers as well. $15 off your order. I hope plenty of meals got smashed at 2 a.m. in the morning. The Hungriest Player, brought to you by Menulog. And also a massive thank you to Menulog. Metcalf. That is right, Luke Metcalf. He is the Hungriest Player. Use code Metcalf, METCALF, for $7 off Asian. Minimum spend is $20. I think it works over in New Zealand too, doesn't it? Confirm. I'm pretty sure it does, but don't message me angrily if it doesn't, but I'm pretty sure it does. Alrighty, Luke Metcalf. What an incredible game in the rain. Seems like he suits it. One of his best games for the New Zealand Warriors. There's no recycled that joke. I said it underneath the New Zealand Warriors Instagram, and I just said it again. So, but it's okay to recycle jokes every now and then, isn't it?
100%.
Okay.
Have you met Hammy?
Yeah.
I don't never recycle. I just fresh original content every single time.
He had a photosynthesis joke that on the weekend that he used about 7 times, I reckon. What was it again?
That one? I told you that one in confidence, really. Come on, mate. You're better than that.
Yeah, Roo, come on, mate. But yeah, it was Metcalf, and I was fortunate enough to actually watch this game live whilst being rained on. But just what I loved about his performance is you can focus on the obvious things. Is obviously that try-saving tackle. But he went to the game. And I think that if there is one thing you could argue he's been guilty of in his individual performance is sometimes he doesn't attack the game quick enough. He waits for it to come to him or, not even waits for it. Maybe that's the wrong way to phrase it, but he is too busy trying to be a typical 7 instead of just going, no, I'm just going to be Luke Metcalf, which is running the ball first and then passing. And I think on the weekend, especially in the first half, he made the game a Luke Metcalf game. He wasn't trying to be anyone else other than, and sometimes when that happens, you might get frustrated as a fan going, oh, he should have passed it or he should have done a 3-on-2 there or whatever. But that's not like for every time he may not pass it, he's going to make a line break the next time or he's going to break the line apart or he's going to get quick play the ball. And I thought on the weekend, he just went straight to the game, grabbed it by the scruff of the neck, especially in the first half. And then when North Queensland came out and came back, what I have so much admiration for the Warriors is like how often do we see those games where they go, oh, okay, here we go. There's a huge momentum swing. They struggled to handle it and they lost the game. I just love the fact that in one area of his game that you wouldn't ever talk about is his defence. That's what won them the game. It was his effort areas that won the game. It wasn't his skill set or the things that he does naturally so well. It was his effort areas that won the game with that try-saving tackle at the end.
I caught up with SJ in Las Vegas and I had a conversation with him about Luke Metcalf, and he says, mate, I've been reading in the papers and on socials that Lukey's got, me and Stacey Jones and all these guys, and Sean just said, mate, we don't want Metcalf to be me. We don't want him to be Stacey. We just want him to be Luke Metcalf, and then we will build around him. And it's exactly what they've done. And it's so good to see Metcalf doing what he's doing. Like, the last decade or so for him, it's just been fucked. Injuries, coaches not backing him, and it's all just come together in that, he's got an opportunity, which he needed. He's got a coach that backs him, that builds around him. And at the moment, his body's holding together. And you're starting to see the sort of footballer that's been there for a long time now. It's so good to see.
Absolutely. Just an incredible performance. Timmy, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, he just exploded out of the blocks, didn't he? And that was the key to it. They basically set the victory up in the first sort of 27 minutes. In that period, Metcalf had a double. He set up the second try as well, some beautiful ball playing, and it was one of the great starts to a game of footies. And they just said in the conditions as well. And just the other one, Kempy, when it was teaming down rain there, in this game, it was 5 tries apiece. The goal kicking was the difference. And Drinky hit him well enough, but Metcalf in those conditions, he converted 4 from 5. There's a penalty as well. Some really tough kicks from out wide as well that he hammered. And as I said, in 4-point margin, that was the difference in the game. Yeah,
and it's good to see. And I hope he gets confidence from that if he goes out and attacks most games, like, there are going to be some games when you attack a game like that where you get it wrong and it's not working for you. But I think that's the foundation for him is just like, be aggressive in each game. And I don't mean aggressive as in physically aggressive. I mean, this is my team. This is my game. I'm going to dominate every game. And it's what we, like, you look at Nathan Cleary, that's how he plays now. He plays like, I'm the best player on the field and the game is going to be dictated by what I want. And Cleary wasn't always like that. We are so quick to forget that these players take time to develop into who they are at the moment. I reckon it's only been, it took Cleary winning a couple of premierships for him to get that kind of swagger of like, I'm the best on the field no matter what anyone says. And I'm obviously not saying that Metcalf is at his level yet. However, he can still have that same mentality of like, I'm going to attack this game in how I play rugby league, how I want to attack it. But so Metcalf, he's our 100 player. Anything on the Metcalf performance, mate?
No, outstanding, and just a really great kind of turnaround after the game in Vegas. Probably all of us got in here and said, is it going to work, the Metcalf at 7 kind of thing?
Yep.
But he's definitely kind of, built into the season really nicely. This was up there with his best games, if not probably his best game. But it looks like he's settling into his work nicely, and there's not really a question around it anymore.
Yeah.
And, like you just pointed out, when Nath Cleary started to win those comps, started to realise he was the guy, like, he's played 180 first-grade games now. So at the start of that run, he's probably at 100 games.
Yep.
Metcalf plays his 36th game this weekend.
Yeah.
He
He's
hasn't
essentially
played much first-grade football, and he hasn't played much halfback. He is so far ahead of, in my opinion, where he probably should be as a 7.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Yeah.
And then you glazed over it briefly there, Kempy, but all these match-defining plays that he had across it, the match-saving tackle on Murray Taulagi in the back end of the game, like an unbelievable play.
Yeah, absolutely. And like he doesn't, he could go, look how good I started the game. It's not me that lost us the game. It's all these other blokes or whatever, but he took it upon himself to make sure he was there. So Metcalf is our hungriest player, brought to you by our friends over at Menulog. As always, a massive thank you to Menulog for getting on board with the show. We always really do appreciate it. Alrighty, it is time for the team of the week. You know what this team of the week is brought to you by? Old Mate's Pub in New York. That is right. This has come all the way from New York, and they actually messaged me a while ago about getting Bloke beer over there, but it was just too hard to get like a keg over to America. It cost us too much. So this hat, so Roasty went over there to Old Mate's Pub, and they gave him the hat, said, we need you to give this to the Beak. And so Roasty has brought it all the way back from New York, giving us this hat, and yeah, so a massive shout out to Old Mate's Pub in New York. I'll tell you where I'll be going when I go to New York. It'll be Old Mate's Pub. I'm pretty sure Paddy Cummins owns part of it. There's quite
Andy.
a few.
Hamish and Andy.
Yep.
Yep.
Quite a few of those like big dogs, so much bigger dogs than us on this panel. So I will be getting over there and trying a beer in Old Mate's Pub.
Magic Round in New York.
Magic Round in New York.
Let's do it.
On Hamish and Andy's dime.
Yes.
Shout out.
No complaints from me. And smart from Roasty as well, bringing that hat back. Nice, clever way of getting around the new hat tariff. So it's done very nicely there.
You are a big politics man. I knew it.
I want to get too political, but yeah, smart from Roasty is all I'm saying.
So massive shout out. This team of the week is brought to you by Old Mate's Pub in New York. If you're there, make sure to check her out. I've seen pictures of it. It honestly looks outside my tax bracket, if I'm being honest. Looks that nice.
Yeah.
Looks
That
nice.
two up there on Anzac Day as well.
Oh,
Absolutely
that's
pumping.
nice touch. That's a nice
If
touch.
you need a little bit of a nostalgia hit or a bit homesick or whatever, if you're living over there, get
Yeah,
there.
that's nice stuff. So massive shout out to the boys. Alrighty, team of the week this week at fullback, Tedesco. Man, I swear Laurie Daly is probably sitting there going, can you just stop playing this role? Because you're making this really difficult for me, because if I don't pick ya and Edwards has a bad game, I'm going to get crucified. Whereas if you're just playing average at the moment, I don't have to deal with those headlines. But at the moment, he is playing so well that Laurie's like, do I pick him? It's going to be a tough call. All right, on the wings, another bloke that if there is injuries or whatever, Kiraz. He's got to be in the discussions for Origin. He already got called into the Australian squad, but he couldn't play because he was injured. In the centres, I'm going to be honest, and I know Bulldogs fans and everyone is, you can't say anything bad about Critter, and it's not even bad. But I actually think performance-wise, Critter's been pretty quiet this year. And what I liked about this game, because I'm such a big fan of Critter, and I've been a fan of Critter since day dot, since he ran on the field and scored a try in 30 seconds on his first game that year for the Panthers, is like,
I think it was his debut.
no, I think he'd played before that, because I got the mistake, I got it wrong that he debuted, but you know what, we'll check it. But what I liked about this, it just reminded you how bloody good Critter is. Like, I think sometimes he gets put in the almost like that box of like his leadership is so strong and he's such a good defensive centre that you forget that he's an attacking weapon. And I liked on the weekend that you saw him back at his best in regards to his attack. And I'm absolutely not saying he's played poorly this year, but I'd say individually he hasn't set the world alight. He's been really good in defence most games, got through his work. And as I said, what I like about this game is this guy, he's not just a really good leader and defensive player. He's one of the best young talents in the game.
Was not his debut. Talking shit.
Okay, wasn't? Okay. But only reason why I remember that is because I got it wrong and called it his debut when I put the video up on Instagram. So
Got to be better than that, mate.
Yeah, got to be better than that. Toya in the centres. One of Roo's could be anything. Absolutely fires on the weekend. Absolutely fires. Jenkins on the wing. What an incredible story, going from like basically don't have a club into reserve grade, gets an opportunity in the team of the week. At 6, Sharp. Wow. Unbelievable performance. At 7, Luke Metcalf. At 8, Jacob Saifidi. At 9, Little from the Dragons. Came on and killed it.
Another one the Tigers let go.
Yeah. Mate, we've been through this. You're a development club for the rest of the NRL. At 10, Tapia, I hope I'm saying that right, from the Penrith Panthers, came on and was outstanding. At 11, Halasima. At 12, Preston. At 13, Clark. 14, Nico Hines. 15, Nathan Cleary. 16, Tarpaner. And at 17, it was Terrell May. That team of the week is brought to you by Old Mate's Pub in New York. That's right, get in it. If you're in New York, make sure to get in there. Alrighty, this week's Kayo can't miss moment is the ending of Storm v Raiders. And if it's sport, you can't miss it. It's on Kayo, guys. You make sure to grab your Kayo subscription today. We've got so much more on there as well. You got the fights. You got everything on Kayo. Whatever sports you like, it is on Kayo. The ending of the Storm v Raiders. That is our Kayo can't miss moment. Boys, I'm going to have to be honest. And I know this might frustrate Storm fans, but I've just got to call it like I see it. I am a fan of the ref backing himself and making a big call in a big moment. And if you want to sit there and say, oh, that's been let go throughout the game and it was kind of a penalty, but it's, where's the consistency or whatever? Yeah, okay, maybe we can have that argument. But I just think we need to back our refs in big moments to have the guts to make the call. And in the end of the day, he did make contact with his head. At the end of the day, he did make contact with his head. At the end of the day, they were warned so many times to turn it down a notch, and they just didn't. And if anything, and I know Storm fans aren't going to want to hear this, I think what lost them the game is they lost their heads. They allowed the Raiders to niggle them into losing their heads. I thought the Trent Leora elbow on the ground, I thought that was a penalty. The Stefano one, yeah, you could sit there and say, he was just trying to play the ball and Starling wouldn't let go, but he still lost his head. I backed the refs in on this one. I really liked that he had the guts to make the tough calls in key moments. How often do we watch games where the tough calls aren't made in key moments because the ref doesn't want to make it? I back him in. I think it was I think it was right enough to be the right call at the right time.
I agree with you. And yeah, I think the Melbourne Storm, it's not very often you see them lose their heads like that, and especially to lose their heads when they're up in that game.
Yeah,
they threw that game away. I personally think they'll still be a top 4 side, but if they miss the top 4 this year for whatever reason, I think that'll be the game they'll look back on and go, "Geez, we shit the bed there."
I understand Storm's frustration in regards to, as I said, if you want to have a conversation about here's all these other tackles where it got nicked in the head and it wasn't a penalty, okay, sure. But I don't know, if you're being honest as a Storm fan, can you honestly sit there and say that Storm losing their head didn't contribute to their loss? Can you honestly sit there and say that the Storm couldn't have wrapped that game up in the last 5 minutes and they didn't? That's where I go, if you want to blame the ref, maybe look at what the Storm did in that last 5 minutes. And I know it sounds harsh and it's not what you want to hear after a loss, but that's just how I see it. I think I really commend the ref for making a tough call. Timmy, what do you thought, mate?
Yeah, I'd love to know what Ricky Stewart said to them before this game, because they had a game plan. A big part of that was just to get under the Melbourne Storm skin. They went into it going, all right, we're not favourites in this one. We're taking on the premiership favourites at Suncorp Stadium. Traditionally, lots of points on that venue, even at the end of Magic Round. And they did from the word go. And Tommy Starling, he was the kingpin of it. And he did his job to a T, because the Storm were unsettled the entire game. Typically outstanding leaders as well. And we ran them down after conceding those early tries. And yeah, it just worked a treat. In terms of the penalty at the end of the game, if it was 2 weeks ago and this had happened, prior to that crackdown around head highs, I'd kind of be a bit like, all right, this happens all the time, gets let off. But after what we saw last weekend around head high crackdowns with sin bins and all sorts of things, it's like you're so ultra aware that, no, you cannot go high. And he got him high. It's a penalty every day of the week. And as I said, after what we saw in round 8, you have to be better than that. It's a penalty.
What about your thoughts, Roo, on the penalty?
No, I completely agree. I think it was, I think you got it right. And as you said, mate, just echoing you, I think that we need to back our refs to do it. I like the amount of technology and everything that's in the game. I think it slows it down. At some point, you have just got to back the guy in with the whistle.
Yeah.
The game survived for 100 years. It thrived for 100 years before we brought in all this technology. You're going to get some right. You're going to get some wrong. But I think you just back in the guy that's out there who's got the feel for it.
Yeah, and I think that this is, if you're sitting there and you're upset about the video ref intervening all the time, this is a moment where, okay, and I know people are going to sit there and go, if that happened to the Broncos, we wouldn't be saying this. I promise you I would be saying this, because guess what? They always come around. These 50-50 calls that may or may not have been called, you always eventually get them. You really do. And I always say this, at the end of the year, have there ever been a season where the best team didn't win? It really, you could, I don't know the year. You find me the year. I haven't found the year that's happened. And I just think that in those situations, we got to back the ref. He made the call. He had the guts to make the call. He did make contact with their head. I like the fact that he had the guts to do it. In regards to that last 5 minutes, I'm just so surprised that a Bellamy coach side lost their heads like that. For example, Leora, he's auditioning for an Origin spot at the moment. And, I know it's just one game, but I'm sure Billy Slater's sitting there going, mate, I can't afford you to be losing your head like that in a key moment just against the Raiders in Magic Round, let alone in Origin. Stefano, I kind of feel a little bit bad for Stefano, because one knock on Stefano has always been he's not aggressive enough. And although he shouldn't have got engaged in the niggle, and I think the silver lining of that, even though I'm saying he shouldn't have got engaged in the silver lining is at least he's shown a bit of like mongrel and aggression, which has been missing from his game from quite a while. Again, I'm not saying that it was the right thing to do, but I'm just saying at least we're seeing Stefano really bring out that aggressive side in him. Thoughts, boys?
The Trent, his game yesterday really surprised me. As you said, like going for an Origin jersey, like you also had that game against Corey Horsburgh, who's another guy that I would assume they're probably fighting for the same jersey at the moment.
They could both be starting at 13.
Yeah,
I know Cotter's there, but he hasn't been killing it.
Like I'm not sure how it's all going to play out with the judiciary, but like there's a good chance Trent could be on report 3 or 4 times from that game.
Yeah, he lost his head.
He could get fined a mammoth or miss a couple of games there, which is going to get very close to Origin all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm just surprised at multiple players in that Storm side losing their head. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, so the Raiders had the game plan and they executed it. And also get under their skin because, like, one of the most disciplined sides in the competition for many, many years, the Melbourne Storm, they're notorious for it under Craig Bellamy. And to lose their heads, it showed the impact that they had on them there. Like, I know you were pretty heavy and okay with the penalty on Liero for the sort of elbow in the face. I wasn't so convinced on that one just because I thought it was a bit of like rubbing it in his face on the ground. It's dirty.
But that's been a penalty though. You can't do that. Even when you tackle
rubbing
people.
in face.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore. Like that has been penalised for weeks.
Sorry. So soft and dumb. But yeah, if it's a penalty every time, so
yeah, like, I think it's soft. Like that's a part of rugby league. But that has been a penalty.
You know it's coming. You know you can't do it.
Long.
Yeah, like such a dumb penalty.
For example, it's like the Brian Kelly penalty for the Titans. Like, bro, you know you're going 10 in the bin if you do a second penalty off a scrum. Yeah. Unfortunately, with Lioro, like, it was just silly footy. And I'm a big fan of Lioro. Like, I think he should be in that Queensland squad. I really do. I think he's one of the most underrated forwards, literally in the competition. I don't think he gets talked about enough because he's down in Melbourne.
As you said, Kempy, like Billy looks at it, it will be a one-off because it's so out of character for Trent Liero. They just got under his skin in this game, and I don't think we've seen it or him implode like that before, and it won't happen again. You'll learn from it, but on this occasion...
It might be the making of him too.
Yeah.
You know, it might be just that last little lesson he needs to learn before Origin because he is, as I said, like you could argue his actions, really not argue, his actions did contribute to the loss for the Storm, but he's also been a huge part of their success as well this year. And I don't think Lioro gets enough appreciation, especially when you start talking rep footy. He's a bloody good forward.
Yeah, and mate, to his point, like he had the sort of the big highlight moments that cost him dearly at the end, but mate, they did to their whole team. Like Kevin Munster was getting niggled at, Stefano you mentioned. Like there was a bunch of them out there who they got under their skin. Like he wasn't alone.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's a learning for because like funnily enough, there actually are still quite a few younger forwards in that side and younger players in that Storm side. I think they'll learn quite a lot from it. And look, it's a Raiders side that's been together for 4 or 5 years now, so they know how to do all that niggle. I remember watching when they played the Broncos, and it was so frustrating earlier this year. They would lie in the ruck, they would hold them down for too long, but they did it perfectly. This is rugby league. Anywhere you can get an up on your opponent, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. And I just think that it just proves that the Raiders at the moment, I think that I'm not ready to say they're a premiership threat just yet, but I think they're definitely a top 4 threat at the moment to head into the back end of the year.
Just on Trent there, like the Melbourne Storm conceded 9 penalties. He had 4 of them.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's a lot.
That's bad.
And on the Raiders, mate, like I'm not willing to say they're a premiership threat either, but I think the question is why not? Like why can't they?
Yeah, I'm just going off probably like previous years, really. I'm using the last couple of years of where they do fade a little bit towards the end of the year. But I'm not far off it, man. I'm not far off saying premiership threat. I'm a bit like I wonder whether that spine during finals footy can go to another level because I know the forward pack can. That's probably my biggest question. And the outside backs, can the spine and outside backs take that next step? Because, like for example, last night we saw Kayo Weeks at his greatest, but you can also see him at his worst a couple of weeks ago as well. And it's that consistency. However, if they can continue improving like this. So right now I see them as a top 4 threat. I think that right now internally they should be sitting there going, we should probably finish in the top 4 guys. That's the goal. Anything less than top 8 though is a disaster.
The hard thing with the Raiders is like every other team plays 4 weeks of finals. They pretty much play 30 weeks of it with the style that they play.
And also that they are always starting the year, not always, but usually really fit, really up, do you last whole year? Timmy, I'd love to give you thoughts.
Yeah, well, I think a week ago we sat here and asked about them being a premiership threat or not and said no, but now we've beaten the red hot premiership favourites, so things do change off the back of it. And you look at the standalone lineup on face value and the 117, and you can pick a few little things apart about do we have the spine to win it, to come up with the big plays on grand final day and a prelim against Penrith or Storm or whoever it might be. And maybe not, but to Guru's point of why not, like, who else is putting their hand up as premiership threats at the moment? Because we've just beaten Melbourne away from home. Like, obviously not in Melbourne, but it's at Suncorp Stadium.
You play Canterbury this week.
Yeah, we know the Storm have Storm have an unreal record up there. Penrith, they're battling. They've had a good win on the weekend. The Broncos, they're sort of fallen flat again on the weekend after a great win the week before. So I sit there and go, all right, maybe the Raiders can't, but we've beaten the favourites and we're playing good, consistent footy. There's a shitload of belief in us. So I'm like, no one else is standing out at the moment.
Well, when you lay it out like that, and if you didn't have like last year and the year before kind of form guide, you would have to say from their results this year, if you're just looking at how they've played this year, you would have to say they are a premiership threat.
And like this time last year, you'd sit there and go, oh, well, I just don't see them beating the Penrith Panthers. Yeah. And this year, I mean, a few weeks ago, I was saying the same about the Melbourne Storm, but we've just done it. So,
And I mean, mate, like if you can finish 1 or 2, which I think is quite possible, and you drag someone down to Canberra week 1 of finals, you're 80 minutes away from a grand final all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
If they're in a prelim, you get that in Canberra too, don't you?
Yeah, they beat South in Canberra a few years
so
ago.
like, you could be 2 games in Canberra away from a grand final.
That's a great point. And like right now, who would you back to beat him in Canberra in a finals game?
Yep.
Other than, well, right, you know what? I'd probably be 50-50 right now. Now, like as if the Melbourne Storm were going down there, I'd be sitting there going,
and the thing is, mate, as you saw in this occasion, we match up well with the Melbourne Storm, who are the premiership favourites, because I think we've got a better forward pack than them. So they've got these superstars in the spine, but a few of them had their moments in this game. Pappy had a few really nice plays, but if they're getting dominated through the middle and losing in a prelim down in Canberra, whatever it might be, it's like we've got a better pack.
Just add another layer to this week's game. I think this will be Salmon's first return to Canberra too.
ooh.
Ricky had a bit of a laugh at some comments over the weekend.
Yeah, you might have seen that on social media.
Yeah.
Hammy, mate, what do you think of the call by the referee?
Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
Well, I thought both calls were good, and I thought the one before with Stefano, I think that he refereed it perfectly. He went, all right, it blew up a little bit. I'm going to give a penalty to the Raiders. I'll put 2 guys in the bin because, they both escalated it. I like the kahunas on him to do that in a big moment, and I think the penalty was there. So I can't really argue with that. The Raiders are really impressing me at the moment. I actually think I am prepared to say they're a premiership threat. Okay. $19 at the moment, which I don't mind. $1.90 to make the top 4 as well, but they play a very high percentage, low error kind of, brand of football.
$1.90's good.
$1.90, wow.
Yeah. I just think they have got the, as you said, if they get a couple of games in Canberra as well, they can, as they've shown, beat
Fully
anybody.
fit roster at the moment.
Who are you going to lose through Origin? It'll be Horsburgh, Hudson, Huddy Young. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I mean, we don't know.
I don't think
for sure.
Hudson's guaranteed.
Yeah, I don't think Hudson Young's guaranteed.
I think they've got to get him.
I think they've got to, but I'm just saying I don't think that's a guarantee from the selection
But
perspective.
even then, so much depth in our pack, as we talk about so frequently. But like Zach Hosking, who every time he comes on, he's playing through the middle at the moment. Lose Hutto to Origin. If he's not available on certain weeks, Hosking comes in, plays 80 on the edge with Matty Nicholson, who's growing another leg with every game he plays. We've got coverage. Adam Mariotta's been fantastic through the middle.
Yep. And you got Trey Mooney sitting in reserve grade. I will say it would be one of the great, like, let's say you made making a grand final. It'll be one of the great, rebuilds, but you're getting there before the rebuild, because the whole idea was supposed to be 2027, 28 is when they make their push. And it's like you're potentially making a push now. Now it's early in the year. We get it, guys. We get it. I mean, things can change. We'll get in here and we'll say the change. But that's
the parade, Guru. Salmon did go down there and play when Penrith pumped him.
Yeah.
He scored. Remember he scored down there and he yelled, "We got it done."
That was when the comment happened, wasn't it?
It was 6 months after.
Oh, right. Shut up, Matty.
You and your damn facts. Get out of here.
Sorry.
Okay, that's our Kayo can't miss moment, guys. This week, it's Women in League round. Fox League exclusive games are Knights v Titans, Friday 6 p.m. Raiders v Bulldogs, Saturday 3 p.m. Oh, my God. I hope it's a fast track and just, oh, wow, that's good stuff. And it's down at the nation's capital as well. Matty Burton, he's back from suspension for that game. Dragons v Warriors, Saturday, 5:30. Their last meeting at Wynn Stadium saw the Dragons dominate. The Warriors have a 14% win rate at the stadium, making the Dragons heavy favourites again. Will the return of Dallin Watene-Zelezniak boost the Warriors' chances? Cowboys v Panthers. Wow, what a cracking game. Saturday, 7:35. Typically an even contest. The Cowboys held on in their last match in round 5, winning 22-18. Expecting Kenny, Schneider and To'o to come back into Penrith lineup to strengthen their stocks for a much-needed win. Much needed win. Storm v West Tigers, Sunday, 2 p.m. Bellamy's side have a 7-game winning streak against the Tigers dating back to 2019. If you love sport, you can't miss it. It is on Kayo. And as always, a massive thank you to Kayo for partnering with the show. Okay, let's get into a review. And just a reminder, guys, being Magic Round weekend, if there's a few things we missed, don't hold it against us. It was Magic Round, so obviously we're working at the time. But most of us got to see this in full flight, this game. Let's get it out of the way. Yep, the bunker call was an absolute Barry Crocker. The tackling in the air, I just don't know how you can even... I don't even know how you can get that tackle in the air. I don't know how it happened. But I have to be honest, I still thought Cronulla were the better side and the right team won.
We have to get this tackle in the air shit sorted out. I hate it. It's like, you want attacking kicks in the game. You want these aerial contests. They are like, it's just ruining it at the moment. Like I see fans on social media all the time going, geez, whenever, like I see Knights fans quite often, every time we put up a bomb, we just let it come down. Fuck, I get it. Like, you go up for a contest now. Most of the time, you end up losing the contest, and it's a penalty. Unless you catch the ball, you usually get penalised. Yeah,
it's bizarre. And they have actually been pretty good at it lately, where at times they've allowed players to challenge for it. But even, especially when you're on your try line, it's like, what do you want him to do? Just go, oh yeah, score the try. No worries, bro. Anyway, so it was a poor call, but me personally, I still think the Sharkies were the better side.
Yeah, I think they were too. I think that it was the Colquhoun Simbin that sort of got the Parramatta Eels back into this contest. But
geez, that was a poor play from Colquhoun. Like, my God.
Yeah. And I think that's what got Parramatta into it. So I thought 28-18, I thought that was pretty flattering to the Parramatta Eels. I thought Nico was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, he was outstanding. I really, really like Nico's performance. And you know what? I thought he was good last week too. Yep. Like, I really do. I think that most of since his last 2 or 3 games have been quite good.
Yeah.
Definitely his last 2 games. He looked sharp. He looked like on the front foot. He just looked confident again. What I liked as well is the fact that, especially in the first half, they weren't really relying on structure. They were going back to, was it 2021 Hines? That was literally just quick play the ball, get him the ball, and just play some footy. And multiple of his try assists were just like, quick play the ball and just spin it. And I think that like that probably is what Hines' game is that, yeah, okay, he can do the out-the-back stuff and, the set plays or whatever. But I think if the Sharkies are to get back to where we want them to be, heading into this year, they can have the structured stuff, but I think they also need to have that front foot footy stuff. And that's probably what's been missing from their game in some of these games that they probably should have won, is they rely too heavily on the structure, and let's just go back to that. And I like Hines. Front foot, go at him, make some things happen. He killed it. He was outstanding. Tim, what do you reckon, mate?
2022 Hines.
2022, apologies.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, great win from the Sharkies, just the fact that they were on the 5-day turnaround from that, I think it was the Tigers the week before, an absolute gut buster for them, a late one as well. So to do it on the 5-day turnaround against Parramatta, who are off the bye, things... They haven't had a bye themselves, Cronulla, this season. So there are a lot of things that stacked up in the Eels' favour going into this game, obviously with Mitchy Moses back. And I thought they were really good. It was a relatively controlled performance. And around Nico Hines, he's been a little bit more dominant in that relationship with Trindle as well the last month. In 3 of his last 4 games, he's had his most touches of the season. So early on, that first 4 or 5 weeks, he was averaging sort of early to mid 50 touches per game. He was 59 against the Eels on the weekend, but 3 weeks ago against the Knights, he had 79, and before that against Manly, he had 67. So getting a few more touches, and to your point, Kempy, he's looking more confident. You can see it coming back into his game. I would like to see him just getting a little bit deeper into the line. When Nico is confident in running the ball, he's really digging into the line as late as he can. But it's coming, and over the last month, mate, you've seen him getting better and better. So really good signs for Nico.
Yeah, and like I know, it's a hot talking point with the Sharkies when it comes to Hines, and people want to be negative about him, but whether you love or don't like Hines, I don't know why you wouldn't like. He's such a good bloke. But it's a different way to put it. Whether you rate or you don't rate Hines, what I can absolutely guarantee you are not coming close to a premiership unless Hines is killing it. That's it. Like, unless Hines is going well, you could try and bring Atkinson in, and if you had a halves pairing of Atkinson and Trindle, you're not going to come close to a premiership this year. Hines needs to be killing it.
Yeah.
And so the fact that he is going well right now, it's a good thing.
And even if you were to bring Atkinson in, okay, what are you going to do next year?
It's
just stupid.
Mate, Hines is the best half at that club.
Most tries in the NRL this season, Nicho Hines on 10, equal with Adam Reynolds, to be fair. Line break assist this season, Nicho's number 1 with 14. Drinky's in second on 10. Then Gutho, Pong and Dearden on 9. So he's 4 clear of second place.
Mate, if you read the internet and the comments and that, you'd think he's having a terrible season, which is just not true. Now, does that mean he's had a perfect or his best season? No, there's been at least 2 games where I felt like he could have closed it out. But you could say that, has Adam Reynolds had the perfect season? No, he hasn't had the perfect. Has Nathan Cleary had the perfect season? So it's like,
if you didn't have a Dally M season to compare him to, I don't think it's even a conversation.
Yeah, it's not a conversation. So I thought he was great in regards to getting the win. Other performances, I thought that were really good. I just want to talk about a couple of them. Will Kennedy, but also just quickly, Britton Nikola's running is like, it's otherworldly. It is the best line running since Boyd Cordner. And I'd argue that towards the end of Boyd's career, he stopped doing that because he turned himself into the guy who will just take all the tough shit runs. You go back to Boyd Cordner's early career, his line running was constant. It was a menace. And if you were a half or a 4 defender, all you will be thinking about is Boyd Cordner hitting a hard line on you. And I think Nikola's getting to a point now where most video sessions would be filled with his line running going, don't give him your inside shoulder. Don't give him your inside shoulder. Don't shoot up out of the line and leave space in behind you. And yet he continues. His line is like, it's almost like sideways. It's that unders. And it's just a beauty to watch. And what I like about Nicola as well is like, in a world where we've got these back rowers that are either Hudson Young, they look like they're bloody in weightlifting competitions, or Kikau, who is like a giant. You've got a guy like Nicola, he's not a big boy. He would be 95 to 98 kilos, and yet because he runs one of the best lines in the competition, he's unstoppable.
Would you say 95 to 98?
Yeah.
They've got his weight at 94.
Mate, wouldn't surprise me. He come in obviously to the podcast, and I was surprised that he's still a relatively big boy to normal people, but to back rowers today, he's tiny.
Yeah. And as you said, sort of comparing him to Boyd Cordner, like obviously Boyd was the king of the, bumper bars up.
Yeah.
Like, I think the actual liney ones, you could make a serious argument for him having a better line than he runs.
It's as good as anyone that's ever played the game.
Fuck, it's incredible. And, credit to his halves as well, because fuck that. Like, you know what I love about him too? Whenever he runs that line, the Sharks never get pinned for him being lazy and causing an obstruction. That's the best thing. He always gets through and he works his ass off to get back around every time. The amount of lines he runs, they should get penalised all the time. And if I was a back rower, like if I was a coach, I'd be cutting up what he does every game and go, that's the fucking expectation. He never gets pinned for it.
He never gets pinned. There's never a forward pass. And it's just always like the perfect line. And
you always, like, quite often when you see back rowers run that line, it's a bit of a gamble. Like, in contact, are they going to hold it?
Yeah.
I have no concerns with him.
And he's like such a unique case because he doesn't have big output. He's averaging 75 metres per game, Britton Nicola, which is poor by even to back row standards. But every run he has is so efficient. Like, he has 6 tries this year, and he's prolific try scorer as a back rower. Doesn't necessarily have the huge output, but when he runs, it counts. Like, he nails it.
Yeah, that's a great, like, when he runs, it counts. Like, so he's not wasting, because sometimes you could argue there are back rowers that get in there and kind of stat pad a little bit and they run and it's a bit of a shit nothing run, but it helps their meterage. Is like everything he does is like premium.
And you can bet whoever scores on the right wing, every try they score just about, they need to thank him.
Yeah, he's so good at it. What about Will Kennedy's start to the season? Oh, Mate, I'll be honest. I didn't think he had this level in him. I knew he was a good, solid fullback. That when you compare how much he's getting paid, you go, "Yep, that's good." That's what That's how they've balanced their salary cap out. They've got this really good forward pack with these incredible outside backs. But he's arguably been their best player this season. Well, not arguably, he's been their best player this season. He has been nothing short of phenomenal.
He has been. Yeah, I still have my concern if they don't need a fullback with just a higher ceiling, but mate, you can't knock him for what he's done this year.
Mate, he's leading the Dally M at the moment, so it's as high as the ceiling as you can get.
Yeah, adding the other things, Will Kennedy, just durability and how important that's been for him. Was poor old bloody Kate Dykes. Yeah. He's injured again, can't take a trick. Liam Eisen, he's injured again as well. So in the preseason, when we said, all right, the two people putting pressure on him for a round one spot, which they were, they've both gone down injured, and they've both had wretched runs, or namely Dykes, of injury in recent years. And Kennedy, whether he's been killing it, playing average, whatever, he's always there. He always turns up. He does a job. And this year, he's obviously playing credit.
And it's probably even more so credit to Will Kennedy. Like a few weeks ago, I sat there and went, oh, well, these guys are putting pressure on him. Like, they're not there now. Yeah. He could put the feet up if he wanted to.
Yeah.
He's not.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. He's been absolutely outstanding. Hammy, what do you reckon, mate, about the Sharkies?
Yeah, unbelievable. Will Kennedy, just to echo that point, every game this year's been at least an 8 out of 10. Just the consistency of, the level that he needed to be at. He's having a hell of a season. That was super impressive, the Sharks, and I think, you're spot on. The scoreline probably flatters the Eels a little bit. Obviously, the Sinmin came into play there for a little bit of it. But look, I think you guys have covered off on most of it. Nico, very, very good again. The 3 try assists, obviously. Impressive display.
One little query I have, I don't know, we've spoken about this a little bit. I just watching Brayley really closely, and we always talk about, I wish he would run more. Like, I wish that would straighten their attack up. It would give more space to the halves. And I just wonder, is because he's forced to always be an 80-minute hooker, essentially, I'm just checking on there at the moment. Yeah, he's essentially week in, week out, an 80-minute hooker. And I just wonder, would you open up his running game if he could get a 10-minute break in there somewhere?
Yeah.
Is he conserving his energy? Because when he does run, he looks good.
I think in the modern game more and more, just because you can play 80 minutes doesn't mean you should.
It's just a query. I don't know if it's the right, because Fitzy would have all the data and everything like that, but I just wonder, because when he runs, he's deceptive, he's relatively quick, and I just wonder, could that take them to the next level? Is maybe just putting a 14 on the bench. Now, I know that's the Sharkies' strength, is the fact that they can carry essentially 4 big boppers on the bench to just, do whatever they want when they come on. But I don't know, could you find, if they could find a Connor Watson, man.
They've got one. They've got Putter there. He should be the guy. He should be the 14. He can come on and play 9. He can play as a middle forward. Well, I sort of said all last year, I don't know why they run with this 4-forward bench. And then, they didn't do it this year. They ran with Atkinson, and they kind of got beat through the middle a little bit, I thought, during that period.
The Atkinson's just not landing for me.
100%.
I don't think it's working for both parties at the moment.
I think Putter is the answer. He could play that role.
Because he chucks him on at the centre, and against the Doggies, he got carved up at centre, and that's not his fault. He's not a centre. And he just doesn't have much impact at centre because he's not a centre. Again, I don't know if it's the answer. It's just I was watching it, I'm going, am I watching a player conserving energy knowing at some points if he does start running, he's going to be so gassed he won't be able to do his job? I don't know. Timmy, thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I don't have a straight answer, but it's a very intriguing point because you're right, mate. He's got a great running game, Blake Bailey, that we don't see anywhere near enough. And it's similar to what the Bunnies had done with Damien Cook for a few years there, where he was the best running number 9 in the game. He sort of shut up shop, but he was also playing an 80-minute role. And you sit there in one hand and go, all right, I want to see Brayley running more, open him up, as you said, get him going direct. But at the same time, every coach in the NRL would kill to have Blake Brayley, who is an 80-minute man every week, who is incredibly durable, hardly missed a game in his whole career. And, it's working. So maybe that is, to your point, Kempy, if he is running and adding 5, 6, 7 runs a game, can he then not get through the 80 minutes? Probably. But look, if that's not the case, then no, it's not part of the game plan, but he could run more, then open it up because he's got a bloody good running game.
Yeah, because I look at it and go, you've got arguably the best attacking weapon in Adam Fanor-Blake right beside you. And if you started using the craftiness of Brayley around the ruck with Adam Fanor-Blake, with Will Kennedy, with Hines, who essentially is another fullback, Trindle also a relatively good ball runner, would that take them to the next level?
But mate, you talk about Puru and maybe he's the answer there at 14.
He's leading New South Wales Cup for tackles.
Yeah, you're forgetting Cameron McInnes is there, a bloke who spent the first half of his career or more as a number 9. It's all right, we love him at lock and you want to keep him there, but if it's for 10 minutes, give Brayley a spell to get his running game going again, you can pick whatever bench you want because he can cover 9.
Yeah, and also Cam McInnes got a gas tank for days.
Yeah.
It's just something that I reckon, like, because what has been the big knock on Sharkies this year is, like, they don't have a plan really B. When they get beaten with plan A, they kind of struggle to kind of restructure. And I think that, like, if you add in Hines at his best front foot footy, then you also add in Blake Brayley having more runs, it might just, I don't know, just might open things up for him. Okay, on to the Eels.
Hey, just really quickly, just having a look through the New South Wales Cup stats. There's about 30 options here of stats. These two Purdue brothers at the Sharkies, they're leading about 9 of them. Wow. Players in support of the top 3, they're 2 of them in the comp.
Jesus. Wow. Well, that's good to have in the show. Because are they both at Sharkies?
Yep, they're both at Sharkies.
He came
one's
from
a
the
7,
Raiders.
one's a lock.
Yeah, okay, wow. I mean, geez, they got depth. Okay, now on to the Eels. Geez, they look so much better with Mitchell Moses. Like that's a different side. And you got to ask yourself, geez, I wonder where they'd be sitting if Moses was playing the whole season. They still have lack of professionalism at times. Like, I think it was in the first or second kick chase, they were inside the 10. And you're just going like, what? That is not NRL standard. And so, granted, they're in the depths of a rebuild, like the depths of a rebuild. So this is the things you see in the depths of a rebuild is guys that aren't up to the NRL standard. But yeah, just little things like that. So they went inside the 10, penalty, and then I think error from Fox. And it's just those little areas that are killing them. Because when they do get it together and Moses and Brown are just flowing, they're a side that could fight for that 6 to 10 spot when they're flowing. But it's just those little errors that just kill them.
Yeah, just those little things. And I think there was some footage came out last week of Zach Lomax training. He looks to be moving well, so hopefully they'll get him back this week, hopefully. I'm sure Zach will want to come back and get his New South Wales jersey. Mate, Riley Smith, he played 72 minutes. He made 57 tackles.
Mate, when you watch him play, the amount of times he is like, he's chasing like a dog on a bone. Like there are guys that might bump off someone else and you just see him like a terrier just chasing. He's such a good, he's like a good spirit player for him just to get that energy up. And, you know, to be fair, since he's gone there, I mean, one thing for like, what do you reckon, 2 years, 3 years, every game we usually come in here and go, oh man, that 9 roll, I don't know who's going to go. Oh man, that 9 roll. Since he's been there, we haven't mentioned it once.
Yeah, problem's been solved.
Yeah. And so that's and he's just starting. Like he's got plenty to learn. I think he'll do. Most number 9s learn this. You know, at some point they're too tough for their own good, and they go too hard too much. I think he'll learn that balance over the next year or 2 years of knowing when to be the terrier and knowing when to pull back.
Yeah.
But mate, he's been outstanding for him.
Jermaine Hopgood played 36 minutes in this one. His minutes have been way
What's
down
going
last
on?
year. I must think he must be injured or something. He has to be because he's almost getting coached out of an Origin spot at the moment.
Well, it can't be the coach he's on the outer because if you're talking about rebuilding a club, a guy like Hopgood is like key to that. You know, he works his backside off. He's a locker room guy.
He was put into the leadership group 10 weeks ago.
Yeah,
He had the same minutes last week and 47 the week before that. So he's got to be carrying something, doesn't he?
Yeah, and if he's not, that's at the point where it's going to cost him a Queensland jersey.
Well, it will. I don't think he'll be in the Queensland
I don't think
side.
you could pick him at the moment.
No, I don't think so. And is he? I will say, under Brad Arthur, he had a tendency to overuse him, where he was gassed by the end of the year, and his form kind of fell off a cliff.
Fair.
I wonder if Riles is trying to just balance his minutes for the year to a degree. But it is an injury. I'd love to know what's going on. If he's injured, surely, you're already struggling. Surely you just let him sit until he's good to go, unless it's like an injury that you can't fix in a week or 6 weeks. I got to say, the forward that comes off, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name now because he's
Tuivati.
Yeah. Oh,
he's good.
He's a big bopper. He is young. He is a talent. You can tell every time he gets on the field, defenses, they really struggle to handle him. I can't wait to see him develop going forward.
Yeah, he's good off the bench. The one that I couldn't really make sense of was picking Sam Rani on the bench, like an out-and-out centre. You know what? 6 weeks ago, if Parramatta did it, I could maybe make sense. But you got Dylan Walker in your side.
Weird selection.
You cover everything. When you're going up against the Sharkies pack, to pick a centre on your bench and have Dill Walker there as well. Especially if you know you're not going to play Jermaine for big minutes. Makes no sense to me.
Yeah, weird selection. Now maybe one of the boys was carrying a niggly or something, and he was a bit worried I wouldn't get through the game potentially. We'll say Dylan Walker once again comes on. Jeez, he's been outstanding since he's arrived. I mean, you could time their form return with Moses, but actually, if you look closely at it, it's actually Dylan Walker that's picked him up because they were pretty good before Moses arrived.
It started to turn around a little bit before Moses came back because of him. Yeah.
Mate,
and that's when
100%.
Dill Brown started to play some good footy as well.
He just opens up the middle because he's a third ball player.
Yeah.
So anytime Brown isn't close to the ruck or Moses isn't close to the ruck, but they need someone to get the ball out, it's always Dylan Walker.
And that's what you talk about, they're in a rebuild, but I said they're in such depth of it, Kempy. Look at their spine. You got Iongi and Riley Smith, who are rookies to the game, who are just finding their feet down NRL level, playing with completely new players. Mitch Moses, who missed the start of the year. Obviously, Dill Brown and Moses, they're the only ones there who've really played together. But then you add in Dylan Walker, who's now the unofficial fifth member of the spine in rugby league.
Yeah.
So you put him in as well. There's a lot of new pieces they're trying to work out. And, to put it to the Sharks, who we've all sort of said are, near enough in a premiership window this year, they were outclassed by a better team on paper and a team that's, far ahead of their development where they're at.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty good performance for a side still finding their feet.
I think so. I think Junior Paolo was, he worked his backside off on the weekend as well. Couple offloads. I think he has 40 tackles, 0 misses as well. 44 tackles, 0 misses in the middle there. Charlie Geimer, 34 tackles, 0 misses. Katonga, 31 tackles, 0 misses. So there's a good base there. Now, granted that even though they missed 0 tackles, that doesn't count reads that are terrible. So there were still a couple of things on the edges there. But yeah, look, not bad for the Eels. You've got to remember, Sharkies come into this as a top 4, into this season as a top 4 side essentially.
Yep.
So not bad.
I just wanted to very quickly shout out the Fox, Josh Adokar. I reckon his last couple of games have been excellent. Getting back to his almost, back to that form he was in a couple of years ago. He was playing rep footy and stuff. Almost 200 metres, a couple of line breaks, a couple of tries, obviously as well. That's 2 weeks in a row he's had multiple tries.
Yep.
Good on him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been great. And I think is it this year he's off contract? I think he is. I think he can. I think next year he's doesn't have a contract. Pretty sure.
Was it just a 1 year thing?
I think so, or maybe it's 2. I could be wrong.
I thought he might have had 2.
Maybe no.
Club option.
Yeah, okay. And it hasn't been taken up yet. I think they need to take it up because they need, depending on obviously how much it is, but they need experience in that back line. They need a guy like the Fox.
If Lomax was to return this week, Sean Russell's been playing centre on the other side. It sounds like they're going to play him on the wing. Do you reckon they'll keep Simonson at centre or go Sean Russell?
Simonson for sure.
Yeah.
I think Simonson's been phenomenal.
He's been really good.
He's been really good.
Like a wrecking
so
ball.
strong.
They gave against the
bro.
Tigers.
Holy.
Unbelievable.
I think Simonson for sure. I just don't. Russell's a good, solid guy that can come in and do a job. Simonson's a good first grader in my opinion. Solid first grader.
I just find it weird that they played Sean Russell at centre over Simonson there and just
that's true.
shoved Sean Russell on the wing.
That's true. Hopefully they do. Alrighty. I'll just also shout out with Old Mates Pub. It's Brock Heath. He's the manager of Old Mates Pub in New York. Shout out to Brock Heath. Alrighty, time for Roosters v the Dolphins. And don't forget, guys, the Wellness Warriors Gathering. So 7th of June, the first time ever. I've never done anything before. The only reason I haven't done something like this before is when it comes to, mental health, it has to be professionals that are taking care of you, professionals that are helping you put together plans to help your life. And that's exactly what this is. It's the Wellness Warriors Gathering, started by my father, who is a doctor himself. And basically, I'll be talking there. It's going to be a great weekend. It's going to be advice from leading health professionals on men's health and wellness, life experience messages from former professional sportsmen, key topics in nutrition, fitness, financial management, e-safety. There's going to be morning and afternoon tea, barbecue lunch, and then 12-month membership of Wellness Warriors Club to stay connected and get support throughout the year. Optional post-gathering group experience. Tickets are just $60. Go to warriorsgathering.com.au to grab your tickets. It is a limited amount, guys. As I said, I've never done any of this stuff before because I need to make sure that actual professionals are handling it and it's not just some random. And it's really, really important gathering for me, guys. I'll be there June 7th. I would love to see you there. It's on the Gold Coast, so make sure to get down. You can also give us an email, admin@warriorsgathering.com.au, or you can give us a call, 0438 184 994. Make sure to get down. It's not a bunch of that carry-on, rah-rah stuff. It's genuine help. in ways to set up your life so you can live a better life. Okay, Roosters v. the Dolphins. Roosters get the job done v. the Dolphins. And I feel like the Roosters I don't put them in the same category as Panthers because obviously they won 4 premierships. But they're kind of like the Panthers where they have these performances where I go, oh, they're the standard at which I thought they were going to play this year, they're back. And then the next week, they struggle. And so I'm not ready to say the Roosters are back. However, they did play to how you would think a Roosters side would play. A really, really important win for the club. And really, it was a Tedesco and Toya-led dominance. And the Dolphins, I mean, to be honest, I think both sides are guilty of this. They're both yet to play an 80-minute game of rugby league. The Dolphins, they copped the negative effect of that, where there was like 20 minutes of some of their best footy, and so they scored all those points and they ran the game back down. So they're both guilty of not playing 80 minutes footy, but the Sydney Roosters just played longer, better. Really, really good win for them. The Dolphins' biggest concern is their consistency. Even within games that they have won, they have not played an 80-minute game. Really, really good win for the Roosters. Really important win for the Roosters as well. And James Tedesco, like, we're talking about one of the greatest fullbacks of all time. And, you know, we talk about it all the time, but I just cannot believe, I think I spoke to you, Timmy, on the weekend. I cannot believe a couple of years ago there were people saying that this bloke is washed, this bloke is done. He is still, right now, the in-form fullback in the competition. Right now, James Tedesco, out of how many years, there might only be like 1 or 2 years of his career where he's not the best fullback in the competition. And once again, last year, on the Dalium and everything like that, he was the best fullback. This year so far, he's probably been the best fullback again. He's an incredible player, James Tedesco.
Where are we at with the Roosters?
That's what I mean. I don't know.
Every time I feel like I'm going to say, okay, they're the real deal, the next week I feel like that's when we'll get that inconsistent side again. Like Sandon Smith got man of the match the week before. He played 5 minutes in this game.
Yeah.
They did it with one ball player, Hugo Savala, who's played, I could count his games on my hand. And they were dominant over a team that gave it to Melbourne 3 weeks ago.
Mate, it is so bizarre. And you know what's even crazier? Mate, they're coming 11th now. So like, and so they're only one win outside the 8 essentially.
Wow.
And so it's like a season that was a disaster start. I mean, typical in Roosters fashion and it wasn't last year because last year they fixed it and they started really well. But for like 5 years now, the Roosters start the year and you're going, oh my God, they're going to finish bottom 4. And then they just find a way to get things together, and all of a sudden they're fighting for the 8, and then they squeeze into the 8. Because right now, so they've played 9 games, so they've still got a bye. They're on 8 points. Then you've got Dragons have played 8 games, so they've had their bye, so they're actually underneath them. So just above them, they're in 10th actually. You've got the Cowboys. You know what? They're actually equal to Cowboys because they've played 9 games. So they're about 8th or 9th, pretty much. Which is like, what? Like, if you watch them play this year, you'd say they're a bottom 4 side. But they're actually sitting close to the top 8. It's just amazing. Amazing.
And I think you said it earlier in the show, but if I'm Laurie Daly, like, you almost want one of these guys to just have a Barry for a couple of weeks.
Just play terribly.
Because it's if you lose that game of football, the narrative writes itself. You made the wrong decision.
Of course.
The wrong fullback.
And those calls will happen after the game.
Yeah.
They won't happen before it. Like, so let's say Dylan Edwards gets picked. Most people will go, oh, yeah, of course you got to pick Dylan Edwards. He's in for blah, blah, blah. He won 4 premierships, all that kind of stuff. And then after the game, it'll be like, oh, my God, you couldn't pick Tedesco? Where? Just because he got dropped from a different coach, all that stuff. Timmy, mate, I'd love to hear your thought on the Roosters.
Yeah, it was similar to what Roo said around Sandon Smith. Like, last week was probably the first moment this year that I went, like, we know they beat Penrith early on. They've had good performances, but that big Anzac Day game, granted the Jades were a bit flat, where I sort of went, geez, there's points in them. The halves combination, they might be okay because Sandon Smith started. And then to lose him so early, 6 minutes into the game this week, and then you've got this rookie halfback in Savala who steps up and goes, no, I'll control it, I'll get it around the park. And you lose, like, your strike weapon in attack, aside from, of course, James Tedesco, in Sandon so early on. You go, all right, defences should be able to shut down Teddy, who becomes the focal point of everything, but they couldn't. And then on top of that, as you mentioned, like Rob Toya, this was his breakout game in the NRL. It was unbelievable, mate, in that, much hyped, not much hyped because Toya's still a rookie, but the battle with Herbie Farnworth coming in and you go, all right, you've got an experienced international there, could be one-sided. Like, Rob Toya was unbelievable.
Yeah, geez, he's special, isn't he, Toya? Wow. Just quickly, and they also, what about that try? They got sent up as a try and they got disallowed. Do you remember that? It was White, I think, went over. It's probably a few beers deep. So I think it was White that went over. goes up as a try. It's an incredible try. It's like a hot potato. And I could see it touching the ground.
Actually, I did say that.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it not only was it sent up as a try, it got disallowed. So they're basically saying there is concrete evidence that it was not a try. Couldn't believe that call. I'm like, what am I looking at? What you're telling me that didn't touch a blade of grass, and also it went up. Anyway, just had to get that. To Rob Toyer.
He was great, though, Naff White.
It was great.
Spare of thoughts for your Naff White anytime try scorer punters. Yeah.
Absolutely. And also 13 plus. Yeah, spare of 13 pluses.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Mate, I'm just caring about the punter here, mate. That's all I care about, mate.
Even on it, Kempy, like, look at the scoreline, it's probably flattered the Dolphins. Like, they scored 3 tries in the last 14 minutes for the Dolphins. It's pretty dominant.
Yeah.
Hugely flattered the Dolphins. Just on Rob Toyer, like, mate, his injuries over the last 3 years have been insane. Like, he could have done this 2 years ago if his body just did him some favours.
Mate, it's good to see him on the field now fit because he's scary what he can do in the NRL. Like what his potential is. If he's doing this now, he's taking a guy like Herbie to school essentially for that game. I know Herbie's obviously got a much better pedigree and done it many, many times in bigger games. But just for this specific game, because he has power, he has strength, he has speed, he has footwork, like he has everything. Like if you could design a centre, he'd be right up there.
Yeah. And just a very down-to-earth, genuine kid as well. They love him there. Mate, it's crazy. Like 2 years ago, Dom Young was the leading try scorer in the NRL. I don't know how he gets back into this side.
Mate, Nwanga Nitawase.
Yeah.
He's
Like,
good.
small sample size, but feels like all the ingredients for potentially an Origin crack. 2 tries, strong ball runner out of the back, and just the kind of the finesse and that one in particular where he kind of just kept his foot off the ground just above the line. Like, he's outstanding. Like we said it earlier in the season, we'd love to see him there on the wing, but he's lived up to every bit of the hype that we probably gave him.
On those Origin selections, and we speak about Teddy and Edwards, and we think of our Origin, the Blues, what it means to them, who's going to get in, but that decision could potentially dictate the Roosters' finals prospects because the Roosters play in those 3 weeks when Origin's on, when Teddy will, along with Connor Watson, along with Angus Crichton, are going to be unavailable. In a side that's already sort of relying on rookie halves in Sandon Smith and Hugo Savala, if Teddy's there, I'm not saying they can't win those games, but they're a shitload more of a chance. If Teddy's on Origin duty and you can't play him, I'm nearly putting a line through all 3 of those weeks.
I'll tell you what, if he does get picked to play Origin, I'm looking through their squad. I think Mark plays fullback those few weeks, and I cannot fucking wait for that. It'll be unorthodox, it'll look weird, but I reckon he'll kill it there.
I've got to say, like, Nwanga Nitawase, you might look at his stats and go, like, they're good, but they're not, like, crazy. But it's when you watch him play and it's his physique and presence that is so exciting because you know that there's essentially an Israel Folau sitting there. Now, obviously, he's nowhere near Israel Folau yet, but they have that same big physique, big, strong legs, bit of a smaller upper body, but quite tall, great in the air. And Israel hit the ground running probably a bit like when he was 18, so there's that. But I'm just saying that type of athlete that is sitting out on the wing, you don't see athletes like this very often. Because usually if they're this big and powerful, they have issues with their hands or their fitness isn't great or there's something. Whereas like, no, I'm going to Nitawase, like I feel like he's been playing good, but I think in his potential, he's still at a 6 out of 10. Like he's still at a 6 out of 10. And so I just can't wait to see him grow as a player. And then you look at this backline, like Billy Smith gets more reps. Rob Toyer, we know how good he's been. Daniel Tupou, who's one of my favourite friggin' wingers ever, just so consistent. Like Daniel Tupou, probably weren't even going to speak about him this game. A try assist, 14 runs, 177 metres, 72 post contact. A tackle break, a line break, 2 offloads, and we probably weren't even going to speak about him. And also, he's in his 13th, 14th year, 15th year of NRL. You could make the argument he's getting up into the conversation of one of the most consistent wingers to play the game.
He is.
Like ever.
Yeah.
Like you could begin to, because like obviously Brett Morris is like known as probably the most consistent winger we've ever seen.
Ryan Toll.
Yeah, but he's been.
Toops has done it for longer.
Yeah,
Toops
like
has won,
Toll's about 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Whereas Toops, you're looking at like 14, 15 years now, I think.
I would have it, Brett Morris, Tupou. That's
mate.
Consistency. Like,
tell me the last bad year has. How many years is he playing for, Matty? Okay. Can one of you?
Yeah, well, he would have debuted in like he was there the 2013 grand final, so he would have been there 2011, 2012, I'd say.
Yeah, so you're looking at like 12, 13 years of
Debuted in 2012.
Yeah.
Played 3 games. And then in 2013, he played 26 games.
Yeah, scored that try in the grand final in 2013.
and he's had probably 1 or 2 average years. Outside of that, he's been outstanding.
Well, he had some errors in his game when he first came in, and the amount of fans that hold on to that, it was a fucking decade ago. He's been incredible since.
Yeah.
Even just never played less than 15 games in a season either. Always there around the 20 to 25 mark. So
Averages 150 metres a game too. I will say, think about it like this. This is how good Daniel Tupou is. You bring a winger to the club in Dom Young, who is like this genetic freak of a player. Like genuinely, every other club at that point probably would have taken Dom Young and moved on their winger to put him on there, except for maybe Brian Toto. Outside of that, I honestly think Dom Young, when he was at his peak, would get pretty much every other wing spot. Fair?
Yep.
yeah.
Tupou was still ahead of him at the Roosters. That shows you how good this guy is. And we never, ever, ever talk about how good Tupou is. It's just crazy. He's such a freaking good player.
He's been a double-digit try scorer every year of his career, barring 2018.
Wow.
18.
Weird year not to go.
I know. 2018, he scored, played 17 games and scored 8 tries. What an odd year for that to
They'll
happen.
probably go on the other side, I guess.
And they were top of the table. Just must have been hammering the other side.
Who was their other winger? It was Morrison 18, wasn't it?
No, he came
Roger?
19, I think.
19.
Roger,
No,
or
it
was
was,
he?
it was
Roger was
Fergo,
13.
and he had a career
Fergo.
year. That's why.
Oh, yeah, because
Fergo
Fergo on the other
career
side.
year.
Okay.
Just before we move off the Roosters, also their SG Ball side, they won the grand final on the weekend, coached by Boyd Corner. Had a lot of injuries at the start of the season. And it looked
Was
a
that
little
against
bit
the Eels on the
shaky.
buzzer?
Yep, correct. Big finish.
That's such a Boyd corner finish too, like to
Yeah.
the death.
And they've got, their spine, their hooker, Jackson Allen, very good. Toby Rodwell is a halfback that wouldn't surprise me if you see him over the next few years, but worth
He's in their
noting as
squad.
well.
Is he in the top 30, Rodwell? I've seen that name.
Yeah, he's
around.
trained with them a lot.
Yeah.
The 5'8" was Sam Walker's little brother, Tyson.
No way. Wow. Far out.
So shout out to Boyd on that side, a very good win. Branko Lee's brother playing in the centres. It's a good little side.
Wow. I mean, the whispers are getting louder about DCE to the club. It's just the Walker DCE combination. It'll either be the greatest thing ever, or just won't work. But it's an interesting add to this.
I wonder how much probably not, but the last 2 weeks have changed that. Like Sandon on Anzac Day, Savala's come in, he's done a job, not necessarily well beaten, but he's played, 2 NRL games or something.
Oh, the only thing I'd say is we know their Roosters. They got to a prelim the year before and still said, see it at Mitchell Pearce, who was an Origin player.
I think as well, I think they're getting DCE just for that long kicking game, but Hugo's done so well.
Geez, their reserve grade halves could be Hugo, Smith, Sandon Smith when DCE arrives.
Well, and there's these 2 guys from SG Ball that'll give it a nudge as well.
Jeez.
You could see a world where Sandon's not even playing.
I can Sammy Walker and Sandon are just such a good combination.
They do suit each other quite well.
And you think if Ches does come in and partner Sammy Walker, there's already some concerns around that you've mentioned, but then Sandon goes to 14, but then you're like, all right, well, Cheese probably won't be there to be fair, but you've got Connor Watson who can play 9-30. I guess he's still your 14, isn't he?
He's your
Once
14.
Cheese leaves, yeah.
But once again, if he's not playing in the halves and you're like a Perth or someone like that,
Yeah.
got to look at Sandon.
Pounds.
Or
Yeah.
Smala.
Even Connor Watson, it's like, you put him 13, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
When
I think so.
once
You'd
Fresh
start him
Robson in the
13.
halves.
And
Jeez, that's going to be a good side.
That's what I mean. All of a sudden, because before when they said DCE, they'll automatically become a premiership there, I was like, I don't know about that. And now they've put these games together, and then you actually go, okay, hang on a sec. You'll basically have Radley, Crichton as your edge back rowers, essentially, or maybe Wong. Then you'll have White, who has just hit the ground running. Lindsay Collins hasn't come back yet. But I had a question at the start of this year. Is their forward pack as good on paper as we think it is? And I think we're starting to see, actually, maybe it is. Well, maybe I was wrong at least, that maybe it is actually as good as we think it is. Because my suggestion was maybe it's not as good. Then you start going, okay, Reece Robson at 9, potentially DCE.
Watson is a running 13.
Watson is a running 13, which would be one of the best in the competition. Like, if you put Watson at 13 every game and he gets it, and also he has a whole full preseason for 13, He'll be one of the best in the comp, in my
That's
opinion.
a premiership threat.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you go, okay. And then you've got the young fella that just got taken off a concreting job.
Well, you got him, you got Fiketti, like even White, like because of their injuries and what's going on and who's left, like his minutes have exploded this year.
Yeah.
So you've got all these guys that are probably going to be a year further ahead in their development than what they originally thought.
Yeah.
Are we thinking there's a bit of chat of Dom Young maybe moving on and potentially back to Newcastle? We'll see what will happen, but is that the money they're trying to get Ches in, do you reckon? Or do you reckon they have the money there ready?
I reckon they got it ready.
Have a lot of money already.
Yeah, I reckon they got
Also,
a lot of
on
money.
top of that, if they do choose to get rid of Dom Young, that's going to free up a shitload more cash. So it's
And then you got depth as well because Sandon's ready to go, Hugo's ready to go. So
probably try and find another middle off the back of it. Or anyway,
all of the, because we've all been sitting here going, Jesus, really quiet at the Roosters. It's just not been. And then when you actually take a step back and you look at that final piece of the puzzle, you go, oh, okay, now I see where the it does seem like the Roosters, who have been very quiet and, had a lot of questions thrown at them, the plan is starting to kind of come together for next year.
signing Reece, the New South Wales starting 9 and the Queensland starting number 7. Like, if they do that, oh my goodness.
And they're probably going to have money in the cap to bring someone else in. I don't think they're fully done yet with their signings. So look, great win for the Roosters. Now, quickly just onto the Dolphins. If I'm being honest, like, there really isn't that much to say because it's genuinely, guys, you can play good, but you need to do it for 80 minutes. Even against the Melbourne Storm, I think there was a period there where they dropped off a little bit.
They started slow. The Storm had
they
that
lead
18-0 or something, and then
Yep.
it was the opposite against the Raiders. They had the early lead, the Dolphins, and fell off a cliff. So it's just, as you said, it's 80 minutes, Kempy.
Yeah, so
Give us 65 minutes, you'll be right.
yeah, look, the good thing is even in this game, Katoa still had 2 try assists. He still had 143 run meters. For a 21-year-old in a side that just got dominated by the Roosters, for him to have 2 try assists and also 143 run meters of 25 runs, like the fact that, we always talk about it. It's one thing to be good as a half when your team wins, but can you be good when your team gets towed up? He's still good when his team got dominated.
Not to mention, obviously, he's a young ball player. Like that forward pack on the weekend was missing Plath, Daniel Saifidi, Felice Kafusian, Tom Flegler, if you want to throw that name in there as well. But, playing behind less than what he should be as well.
He ran for the most meters of any player on the field, or any Dolphin on the field other than Hammer. Far out. Talk about doing everything you can to get the W.
Yeah.
Wow. He ran for more readers than his front rowers. Jeez.
I think as well, like in all this noise with Isaiah Katoa, like, geez, I don't think the coach has been given enough credit. He's obviously filled that kid with confidence.
Yeah.
Like coming in after Wayne, history tells us that should be a train wreck.
Yeah.
That kid's the form halfback in the competition, arguably.
He's been up there. He's been bloody good. And it's been quiet too. He's quietly been doing it as well. Okay, on to the next game, which is it is South Sydney Rabbitohs versus the Newcastle Knights. And don't forget, grab your Grumpy Coffee. Head to grumpycoffee.com.au. And as I said earlier, DJ Grumpy has been announced. If you want a DJ for free at your cafe, putting on a set for people grabbing coffees, email DJ Grumpy at grumpycoffee.com.au. If it's in Sydney or even in, and there's actually still one place in Toowong I have to get to. I haven't forgotten you guys. We will get up there eventually. Please, I remember you guys. So we will get to plenty of different cafes. So shoot DJ Grumpy an email, guys, and grab your Grumpy Coffee as soon as possible because it's good. And also, don't forget, Bloke jersey still available. About 20% left. Once we do this, we're not making any more of this design, guys. So if you want this design, you saw them everywhere on the Magic Round Day, make sure to grab them at bloke.shop. Okay, Rabbitohs v. the Knights. Knights get it done 30-4. And look, the game wasn't completely done, but those first 2 tries just like, they almost, as a Knights fan, they didn't take the life out of the game. As a Knights fan, you're sitting there going, oh, how good's this? But I just saw it and went, oh my God, it's game over. Like this Rabbitohs side is not good enough on paper to chase this back. And what I liked about this is it was Fletcher Sharp that scored the hat-trick. And Kalen Ponga was good, but it wasn't amazing where it was all just around him. And I look at it and I go, finally there's another point of attack for the Knights. Yep, it's just one game, but it's still 30 points. Yes, it's against an understrength Rabbitohs side, but you can only play what's in front of you. This is exactly what they needed for confidence, in my opinion. I thought Bradman Best was also outstanding as well. Really, really just good, solid win. You know, people will say, oh, look at the side they were playing, but it's like they still beat. They essentially, you know, it's 30-0 for a lot of the time. Like, it was a domination, a complete domination. Good win for the Knights. Liked it.
Yeah, for sure. And, I mean, there's an argument. The rain was a miracle for South Sydney.
Yeah.
So that just came down out of absolutely nowhere.
I think it came down out of the sky, actually.
Didn't that grass take a pound? What's the opposite of photosynthesis, Kempy?
The opposite of photosynthesis?
Yeah, the grass. Like, normally water helps grass. Gave it a pounding over the
I
weekend.
don't know, mate. What do you reckon? Opposite of photosynthesis?
Opposite.
What's like the opposite of a photo?
I don't know, like a drawing or
A video?
Sketch.
sketch, yeah.
A video, maybe? Video
Photo
synthesis?
sketches out there.
But it was, I thought the rain sort of slowed Newcastle.
Good chat. It's good rugby league chat, that.
You'll get that later. I thought that the rain sort of helped South Sydney to sort of pilot themselves, not back into this game, but save a absolute slaughter out there. But yeah, Fletcher Sharp, so good to see. Star of our game, playing in a different position. It's funny. I've also got the photo 3 or 4 years ago at Magic Round. He came up to us in his Cessnock Goannas jersey, asked for a photo. Now he's scoring a hat trick there. Fuck, I should have made content out of that on the weekend. That's a huge miss.
What was this at one of your meet and greets?
It's at Magic Round 3 years ago. He came up to us in the Caxton car park and asked for a photo.
No way.
Yeah, mad.
That's
Jeez,
sick.
bro, that's a big miss from you.
It's a
You don't- you
huge
don't
miss.
miss
That's a
much from content.
huge miss. Because
If
now
you had
you
still been there on Sunday afternoon, you might have thought to do it.
Don't you start. Don't you start. Left on Thursday morning.
me, I just went ooh. I didn't. Even, I just went ooh. Far out. He just wrangled me into that for no reason.
No one's safe today.
Hey,
No,
was
so-
anyone there on Thursday morning to have the first beer of Magic Round or what? Was
Oh,
it just
no,
me?
you don't know. No
I'd
one,
take the first tough carry.
Oh,
Fucking,
my
I crawl so
God.
you guys can run, and then you'll give me shit on Sunday.
mate.
Unbelievable.
I left late Saturday night, so it wasn't any earlier than you because you basically woke up and went to the airport.
Please. Oh, I was there on Saturday
And
night.
I wasn't
You
missing.
missed the greatest
remember
rip and tear of the year, Saturday night.
Did I?
Yes.
It's a cracker.
Yeah,
It was a
Devo.
good rip and tear.
Haven't done heaps of rips and tears in my life.
NRL physio.
Oh, you rip in.
Him and Klutzy from Bloody Brilliant Beers, they're pretty close to the MVP of Magic Round.
Is he
Year
the NRL
year after
physio?
year.
NRL physio diagnosed himself out for 2 weeks.
He'll
4
be
to 6,
slow
I think.
this
4 to 6,
week.
you reckon?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And goes the distance as well.
NRL physio put himself out for 4 to 6 weeks after one big drink.
Yeah.
Soft.
Says
Says a bloke that didn't drink at all. Well, I had a little drink. I had
I've seen
one
you
skull of one
At
beer.
the meet and greet, mate, I saw you punch a schooner like very
You
quickly
sculled
as well, I
Matty's
might
beer.
add.
Yeah. Well, hang on a sec. I got peer pressured. There's nearly a full beer sitting there, and everyone started selling skull. As an Australian, it'd be disrespectful to this nation not to skull it, and I sculled it. Mate, you saw Dutton. He got bloody booed for not sculling. So I don't want to be Duttoned out of my
That's
mind.
true. Vote out of your own podcast.
Yeah, booed out of my own meet and greet. Could you imagine? But that was essentially the only beer I had. I was either working or flying home. What are you going to say, Matty? You got your headphones on there? You want to fucking... Okay.
He's just filthy about the stolen beer.
That was mad. He goes, oh, that was my beer.
Okay, back to the Knights and Fletcher Sharp and Guru missing a great content opportunity. Look, as I said, the good thing is like we've known that this version of Fletcher Sharp exists. You'd have to wonder, like, was he directed to, just grab the game by the horns, or was it more players around him giving him the opportunity? You know what I mean? Like, what changed?
I think, to be honest, mate, it's just lacking go forward.
Yeah.
Like in the past, and they had some key faces back in the side, Elliot Saifidi, and the middles were just a lot better. Again, it was against a freaking depleted Bunnies outfit, so you don't get too excited, but as you said, Campy, they won in a dominant fashion. You can only beat what's put in front of you. They needed the confidence boost of a few points, and Fletcher Sharp, he's one of the number one players in the game who needs me to go for because he's so instinctual. He plays off the back of that forward momentum, and his support play is so
Yeah,
good.
it's so good.
Like, picks and chooses his time to get up there and support so well. And the Knights went forward in this one. They won the middle, and Fletcher Sharp said, "Thank you. Like, I'm good enough to take advantage of it."
I thought Leo Thompson and Jacob Saifidi had their best
Leo
game.
Thompson was unreal. I thought he was
4
really
offloads.
good. Yeah.
Jacob Saifidi, he ran for 200 plus meters. And like, I guess if you're Adam O'Brien, you're like, that's the vision. Like, that's what we hoped. We hoped our front rowers would win that battle. And then we've got guys like Bradman Best, Fletcher Sharp, Gagai, KP at the back that can take advantage of that, and we saw it on the weekend.
I will be so upset if this week. Do they play the Titans this week, is it, I believe?
They do.
Fuck, if they score 10 points in that, I don't know if I'm showing up on Monday, Kempy. I'll be beside
who?
myself. If the Knights score 10 points against the Titans, if they go back to how they
Yeah. Wow.
I'll be beside myself.
That would be, that would not be good.
For the record, Fletcher Sharp, $67 to score 3 or more again.
Again?
If you think Lightning can strike twice.
Okay.
The Titans are the sort of side he could potentially do it against.
100% he could against the Titans.
I thought Dylan Lucas, another good game. Geez, hasn't he just cemented himself as one of their best players? But, if you don't watch a lot of rugby league, you may not have heard of Dylan Lucas. But I tell you what, he's playing nearly as good as most of the back rowers in the competition when he does play.
I think he's the most important forward in this side.
Okay. When he's on, they're on?
He's never not on. Yeah, they look completely different when he's not out there.
They just miss that punch on
They need
the edge.
that punch. It's why Lachlan Fitzgibbon, he wasn't a star, but he played an integral role when KP won that Dally M medal, because he just, similar to what we spoke about with Britt Nicola before, if you've got that edge back row that really punches that line, it just creates space everywhere.
Hopefully they can take confidence from it, because it's just it's just about, you don't want to go back to the old ways next week kind of thing. And I know it was against an untrained side, but just quickly I want to give a quick shout out to Bradman Best, a try assist, 22 runs, 220 metres, 66 post contact, 6 tackle breaks, a line break assist, 3 offloads. He had an absolute banger of a match. Few errors, but outside an absolute banger of a match. And a lot of their tries were around Bradman Best doing what he does.
Here's a wild stat for you. In this game, every Knights backline player had a line break except
Greg the Leg.
Caleb Ponga. Can you believe that?
Wow. KP.
Wouldn't say that very often.
That's where I'm he played, I felt he played good. He had 2 tries, obviously. But he's still not at the KP level that he started the season at.
Yeah.
And it's obviously that injury that he's carrying. He's just struggling with that rib injury, apparently.
It's interesting, wasn't it? He's looked fit. He's looked healthy. He did, I haven't seen him, and I may obviously have missed it, but have we seen him? Because it happened in the Warriors game, I believe, but I haven't seen him wincing at the rib or anything at any point. So I don't know. It's just a bit weird.
Yeah, but it's ever since he's done it, he just has not been anywhere near his best form. But look, really, really good win for the Knights. Okay, now just quickly onto the Rabbitohs. Really, not much to say. It's so under strength. What do we say here? I think the biggest talking points is obviously Mamazelis is out for a few weeks now, is he?
I heard an update. He went off, yeah.
Yeah, Gray is, he had a cork, so he's all
I
right.
reckon Gray would have stayed on if it was a different game.
Yeah, which is thank God.
Yeah.
Because we were watching the Caxton and Rugos. Kempy, who's the one player you wouldn't want to get injured in this side if you were South right now? And he's like, Jai Gray just went taken off, and I was like, oh. But then Mamazelis went off. Now, I do think Mamazelis is a little bit of an injury, which is not great. Oh no, so he didn't go off, but he's got an injury.
It's like a dislocated elbow, something.
Which that'll be probably 4 to 6 weeks, I'd say, maybe a little bit longer. So as I said, there's not look, you guys like Tallis Duncan and Jai Arrow, they ripped in, and they did themselves, at least they made some meters and everything like that. But unfortunately, they just were nowhere near good enough for the Knights.
That'll be interesting to see. If Mamazelis is out for a few weeks, when I assume Jamie Humphries will be available in 3 weeks or so.
He's bloody close, isn't he?
Well, does he return it? If Cody Walker and all them are available, does he maybe return at 9? Because who else would it be?
Doesn't he?
At 9?
Yeah.
I assume so.
Yeah.
It's
Is Havili still?
You got Havili, but I don't think they have another 9 in the squad unless I'm missing something.
Surely they got another 9.
Unless you want to play Bud Sullivan there, but I think the Dragons experimented with that.
But surely you got more than one out-and-out 9, because even Humphries wasn't brought to the club as a 9. Surely.
Yeah, but I think he trained there in the preseason, did a bit of both.
So
He did a bit of it at Manly too.
But I mean, I don't think he's he'd already signed for South when he went to 9. I'm pretty sure. I think he'd already signed for South. Anyway,
yeah, but he also played. He's played 9 in reserve grade for a while too.
Okay, so he has played 9.
Ryan Gray playing 9 in Cup.
Okay.
Yeah, the Bunnies Cup.
And he's not
captain.
in top 30.
Yeah.
That's not good squad balance. That you've got a guy that kind of is a 9, but he started at 7. You'd want at least one other out-and-out 9 there, because even with Humphries coming to the club, a lot of us had Humphries could be 7. So the fact that we're heading into a season going Humphries could be starting 7 suggests that he's not an out-and-out just a 9. I think that you need more than that in your
I
squad.
think coming into the preseason, though, they were pretty confident Dodd was going to be the guy and Humphries could. At the start of the preseason, they did have 3 hookers.
But like from our even we were, when he got signed to Rabbitohs, were saying he could be a 7.
Yeah, for sure.
And also even we, when Dodds got signed, was like, I don't know about that.
I'll tell you what, if he gets put into hooker,
He may never leave.
He might. It might be like the Dodd curse might move to Pete Mamazelis all of a sudden.
Because like I actually think he'll go really, really well at 9. He's built for it. If there's one thing that you could argue he lacks at 7 is maybe a bit of that finesse. And so if you've got a 9, and Wayne does love his 9s just to shovel the ball off and make their tackles. You missed a little bit of his boot. He's got a long boot at 7.
Yes.
A really big boot. So you need that. I think his boot will probably get him back to 7 actually. Because like who else in that squad has a big boot? Like literally no one other than Latrell obviously, but you don't want him at 7.
Yep.
Not that he was by any means a standout in this game or anything, but just one of the ones that's so much value to this squad who just seems to be depleted by injuries year after year, particularly in their back line. Isaiah Tass, just going from right wing to left centre to right centre, and every time he does a job there. He can have a big impact on games, and he's been the one stable one in this back line for a couple of years now where he's saving from a lot of headaches, Isaiah Tass.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was a couple of years ago that he was nearly going to leave maybe to the Bulldogs or something like that. And they kept him, which is super smart. But look, it's just one of those games. You're missing so many key players. Like you're on your 5th captain or whatever.
If I was a Bunny supporter, look, I wouldn't be concerned one bit. It's just like everything lined up. Even just coming up against the Knights, whose backs were so far against the wall, with players back on deck, like they were near enough full strength. The Knights take it up for it. The Bunnies, honestly, players will come back, but until then, it's
just got to stay in touch with the 8.
Yeah.
That's the biggest concern.
win a few here and there.
Just other point to note, they lost, but their New South Wales Cup side, Josh Schuster, scored a try, had 2 try assists. He had 2 last week, playing 5'8".
Okay,
An interesting little watch.
That's good. That's definitely interesting watch. That's good to know. Okay,
Humphries is back this week.
he is back this week.
He should be. He should be.
Okay, that'll be interesting to watch where they do put him. That'd be super interesting. Okay. Okay, before we get to the next game, Tom and Eddie released Daylights. You can also use code DMP for 10% off their Daylights, which is their rehydration sachets. And then you've also got, as usual, use code DMP for 10% off Good Day, 20% off paired with subscription. BeGoodHealth.com.au. I use the multivitamins every single day, guys. So get around it. Okay, New Zealand Warriors defeat the Cowboys 30-26. And I think like this is for both sides. Like a lot of people will get caught up in the fact that there was a huge lead, and then the Warriors like lost that huge lead. So did they play that well? And then on the other side as well with the Cowboys, is like how do they let them get out to this huge lead in the first half? But like with the current state of the game and 6 agains and how quick the ruck is and how much momentum can shift, like I'm actually not that concerned for either side. The fact that they did have all these points put on them. I actually think we just saw 2 of the best attacking sides in the competition go at it. And yeah, okay, if you want to focus on their defence needs a bit of improvement, yeah, okay, we can have that conversation for sure. I wouldn't deny that North Queensland's defence isn't their strength. And also New Zealand Warriors, they can have some deficiencies in defence, especially on their edges. But I just thought this was a cracking game. And I think that the Warriors, when you actually watch the game, when you look at the score, you might go, okay, they had such a big score, so they were never going to lose it. But when you actually watch the game, the momentum was so heavily in the Cowboys. I don't think you would have found a single person in that stadium with like 15 to go that would have said the Warriors are going to win this game. And yet they did. And I think they deserve raps for that.
At about the 60th minute, I genuinely thought the Cowboys could have won this one by 20.
Seriously?
It's like they were playing touch footy and the Warriors were just hanging on for one more set.
Dear life.
And you were looking up every time going, there's still 18 minutes to go. Still 17 minutes. They've escaped jail again. It was, I said to a Warriors fan the weekend, I don't think there's a Warriors team in the past that wins this game.
I don't reckon there's, maybe you could go back to a grand final sides that made the grand final. But outside of that, I don't think there is a Warriors side.
I don't even think like the 0-2, the 11, they didn't have the resiliency of this side. Like this is without Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, Fisher Harris playing in Brisbane, like everything against them here.
It was incredible. It was one of the grittiest displays of like momentum. Like even Luke Metcalf's tackle, there was still like 8 minutes to go or something.
Heaps long to go.
It was ages to go. It wasn't like, it's try-saving tackle, yeah, we won. It was like just the fact that they held that last try gap for at least 10 minutes when they had no momentum one of the grittiest things I've seen. It was absolutely incredible.
As far as like the last teams you want to play when you're gassed and they're running downhill, Cowboys have been your top three.
Scotty Drinkwater. Yeah. You got Scott Drinkwater, the craftiest fullback in the competition, essentially, with a downhill forward pack that's dominating. Taumalolo just punching through you, and you somehow find a way to hold on. Like even Healy when he came on, his little play that he had, like the guts for Webster to go in the heat of the battle. The game is on the line. We've lost all momentum. I'm going to back my rookie in to make his debut in this. And he comes on, he dives on a ball, and then he makes a big play. I know he didn't end up scoring, but it was still a big play that slowed everything down. Just a special, special win.
He's a good player, Healy.
Oh, mate, he was great in the trials. Yeah. Great in the trials. Timmy, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, I think you summed it up well, Kempy, in that you can look at the amount of points scored and be a little bit critical and worry about defence, but at the same time, Magic Round, Suncorp Stadium, there are a lot of positives to take from it. Firstly, it's that the attack from both sides was outstanding, and like the Cowboys, from their sense, they missed the jump in this game. Warriors flew out of the blocks. They didn't concede in the second half, which is an awesome effort against this Warriors side. And then to the Warriors' point, fast out of the blocks. They've notched another win. They're playing outstanding footy. And when Nanai went over for a try in the 62nd minute, you boys summed it up well. The Cowboys were storming home.
Yeah.
They didn't concede for the final 18 minutes, and they dug in. There were some huge defensive plays, and they got the job done. So
no tries for 18 minutes under that momentum pressure. That is remarkable.
Yeah. So, like, the Warriors' resilience in the last 18 was huge. The Cowboys, they can look at it and go, all right, we missed the jump, and just the Ed Cossey intercept try on the brink of halftime, that was basically almost game, set, match kind of thing. They fought their way back into it, to their credit, but you take that out of it, could have been a very different story. So, mate, I think a bit of defence to do, work to do on the defence, but heaps of positives from both sides.
And, like, watching it in person, like, the first half from the Warriors, I think they completed like 90% for most of it. Like, they were clinical as anything, like super, super clinical. And I think with the Cowboys, they can go away and go, listen, boys, when we fucking rev up and actually dig in, we can take it to any side in the competition because they scored so many points. We'll talk about the Warriors first, and then we'll get into the Cowboys. Mate, the thing that impresses me the most about Halasima, Michael Lentz calling him the blonde bullet, which I do like. I do like the blonde bullet. But the thing that impressed me the most, there was this one moment in the game, and it was in the first half, I think. Yeah, it was in the first half, towards the end, the last 10 minutes. And so he takes a really good run. He wins the contact. He throws an offload out the back, and it's a silly offload. It's not a silly offload in the sense that his arm wasn't free, but it trickles out the back, and they lose ground. Now, if you're a 19-year-old and you're the man and you're top dog, you go, oh, damn, all right, well, I've had a really good game up to this point, so, I'll wait till later in the game and we'll get it back. He literally aims up, takes the next hit up. That's what makes Halasima different to other young 19-year-old freaks that we've seen come through. We have seen plenty of young guys, especially at the Warriors, with all the talent in the world. But do they have the mentality, the right mentality? Halasima has the right mentality. This guy is special, and that play summed it up for me because there is not many 19-year-old guys with his talent that would have been the man coming through that would immediately recognise that was a stupid offload and I've just cost my team 10 metres and go, I'm not waiting the whole set. I'm taking literally the next hit up and making sure I get a quick play of the ball to make up for what I just did.
And maybe he's always been that guy, but dare I say, I reckon that would have something to do with bringing fish to the club, that sort of mentality.
I cannot wait to see his development. And like how many back rollers do we know of that are some of the better back rollers in the competition that are seen as the showstoppers? So you look at their meter, like Kickow, you might look at his meters. It's usually like 60 to 80 meters a game or whatever, but he's a showstopper. So you go, he's got try assists, he's got all that stuff. Halasima, 15 runs for 145 meters, 63 post contact, 35 tackles and an offload. And he's a showstopper. And also he has all that crazy stuff as well.
The big one on top of all that, Campy played 80 minutes this week for the first time. He hadn't played 80 at all this year for the Warriors, and he played 39 last week, and I sort of went, surely bigger minutes. Then I went, maybe because he's such a big, explosive ball runner, maybe he doesn't have that motor in him. He's come out and he's done it in tough conditions when they need to dig into the back end of the game. So we've said it time and time again, but his ceiling, this bloke, is the best back rower in the NRL.
Yeah, absolutely.
To punch out those numbers and said nothing show-stopping about the stats this week. We know they'll come, but just to do it in 80 minutes, far out.
And credit to Webby for giving him those minutes too.
I mean, 2 weeks ago, this guy wasn't even starting.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden, he is so trusted in a game where it is truly end to end to end to end to end, and he plays 80 minutes. And then, this is not because I'm having a crack at Kurt Capewell at all. It's more because Kurt Capewell has such crazy line speed. But Kurt Capewell had 10 missed tackles.
Yep.
Halasima had 3. And as I said, I'm not saying that Kurt Capewell had a bad game. He has a different style of defence, which is line speed, making players go back inside. But I'm just showing you how the fact that on the other side, only 3 missed tackles.
Aaron Clark's third appearance in Team of the Week in the last 4 weeks. And at no point has he been on the bench. He's been 13 in all 3 of those.
I'll tell you what, when it comes to how much he probably signed for, he's probably the signing of the season. Now, I just got Terrell May up there as the number 1 signing so far, just because out and out, if you took away how much they're getting paid, you got Terrell May up there. But in regards to what do you reckon Aaron Clark's on, 300 or 400, 300?
Yep, probably not much.
Max, 300 max probably. And for him to be essentially the Warriors' best player, and also I'm pretty sure this is the best start to the season the Warriors have ever had. I think they said that on the weekend. And he's a big part of that. He's one of them. And also, he replaced a club legend in Tohu Harris.
Yep.
Mental.
And then he's also had to replace, Dylan Walker's role as well, which that's what I love about him. I think I said it last week, but he hasn't tried to be Tohu, hasn't tried to be Dylan Walker. He's just been a tough prick, and he's just gone at it.
Just ripped.
Yep.
Just absolutely ripped. In regards to performances with other players, we've already spoken about Luke Metcalf, guys, so if you want to hear that, it's at the start of the show. With Luke Metcalf, he was our hungriest player. I thought Chanel Harris-Tavita, he's really starting to find his feet as number 6. They're really starting to get a bit of a balance between each other, which is good to see. But Harris-Tavita, a try, 2 try assists, 27 tackles, 0 misses as a 3 defender. That's almost impossible to do. In a game like that against the Cowboys, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So consistent. He's been similar all year. Metcalf, when the Warriors are having bigger wins or better wins, he's sort of getting a lot of those attacking stats and standing out. Harris-Tavita is just quietly ticking along, doing his job, defensively sound every week.
Yep.
Come up with a few big plays of his own, to be fair, but he's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. I know he made the error at the end there that nearly cost him, but I just love Charns. Mate, the amount of hit-ups he took when they were desperate for someone to take the next hit-up because they're all gassed. He just always turns up. What he got there?
It was their equal best start to a season ever. The other one was 2018.
Wow.
And then throw in the context of all the injuries. They had to go to Vegas. They got on the flight back from Vegas and their season was fucked.
Yeah, they got on the flight back from Vegas going, oh my God, we're bottom 4 side.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden
long flight.
Top 4 side looking and also, again, still not at their peak. I think they're, obviously, you get their main players back in, but I think that first half was that's their peak, that first half, where they were just clinical, but they had the good attack as well. I say it every single week, so it's going to get annoying. Bro, they lost Sean Johnson, Adam Fanor, Blake Tohu Harris last year. Losing those players out of any squad in this entire competition, you would expect them to go worse. They're going better. They're going better without those guys and without their major signing, which is Fish. It is, I don't think they're getting enough appreciation for how incredible their start to the year is. And that's why the story of the year so far is the Raiders and the Warriors. I don't care what anyone said. It's the Raiders and the Warriors. That is the story of the year so far. And what an amazing win. Hammy, what do you think, mate?
Yeah, very impressive. The Warriors to hold on. The Cowboys had the wind at their back, certainly in that second half. I just wanted to shout out, there's no stats for this on the stat sheet, but for the second year in a row, the Warriors fans best on ground at Magic Round again.
When they won, it was
like they won the comp.
Yeah.
They are so loud. There's so many of them.
Sean Johnson at the end there on Fox was awesome to see.
And that was after a knockout victory in Vegas too.
They're leading the Dally M for best fans at the moment. So that's the standard to all the other fans. Outstanding. They just another great win and up there in the top 4 now. So after again losing in Vegas, to think they'd be here come Magic Round, crazy.
And you look at the way the rest of the season kind of pans out for them. So they have had their bye, so that obviously helps them. But so I'm just looking at they're essentially the next block of people. So you've got 12 points with the Storm, then you've got 10 points with it's 5 to 8. After that's 8 points. So you're looking at what's that? That's 6. That's 3 wins. To drop 3 games and those other teams get those 3 games or those 3 weekends, like you're going to have to play some pretty bad football to drop those 3 games, including those people pick it up. So essentially heading back into the rest of the year, if they win 60 to 70% of their games, they'll stay in the 8.
Yeah. Next few weeks, they've got the Dragons away, Dolphins away. Then they've got the Raiders at home. So they're in back in New Zealand, and that's when Origin squads have been named. So potentially without Horsburgh, maybe without.
And you want to get the Raiders in New Zealand too, which we can always help.
Yep.
I mean, they could go 3 from 3. Obviously, 2 from 3 is probably what they're aiming for out of those 2 games with the Dolphins.
Yep.
Dragons. I can't believe they play the Dolphins again.
Yeah.
They just played the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Mate, just having a look at their draw, I don't know if they lose a game at home this year.
Other than the Raiders, maybe?
Mate, the Raiders game is the toughest one, but they'll be without
impacted by Origin.
Origin. Then they play Penrith, which would be impacted by Origin. After
Raiders won't be that impacted from Origin.
Hudson and
if they lose
Horsburgh.
Hudson and Horsburgh, maybe, but that's sweet. Yeah,
Warriors will be Barnett.
But you got to remember, the Warriors. Yeah, the Warriors will probably get Roger back, Fisher Harris by then. They'll be a better side. Then you look after that, they
Just
play
quickly, the round 16 one. That's in New Zealand. Origin 2's in Perth. So Penrith plays it's on I think they play Saturday. So the backup's very quick. With the injury history of Edwards, Cleary and that, I'd be surprised if they play. So they'll be shot.
There's no way.
round 19 onwards. Their home games are Tigers, Titans, Dolphins, Dragons, Parramatta. You might not lose a game at home this year.
So that let's just say you could get every home game. What's that? Six wins. Like, that's half your win. Wow. Okay. Good run home. Great win. Great for the Warriors. Now, on to the Cowboys. With the Cowboys, like, look, I know it's disappointing they didn't get the win, and I get it. The first half, you can focus in on that. And I'm sure at training they will. But at the same time, like, for the period in that second half, geez, they played good footy. And so I tend to... They won 4 on the trot. They came up against a red-hot Warriors side. Like, I'm okay. Okay, it's definitely disappointing, and it's not the way, the game was there to be won and all that good stuff. But at the same time, you're as I said, you're against a red-hot Warriors side with a lot of support in that stadium. I'm okay with it, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sort of 50-50. Like, you can see 28 points and a half, playing at Suncorp, et cetera, et cetera. I think that if they would have just shown a little bit more of a pulse in that first half, they shit in this game.
Yeah.
They need to get their starts right, boys. They've been very slow out of the box each week. Obviously, the Warriors had scored all their tries in the first half.
28 points in the first half.
Yeah, 28 in the first half, and they had like 4 tries in 27 odd minutes. The week before against the Titans flew out of the box against them as well and took a big early lead. I think the Bunnies scored first early on in the game there. They came back and won. So just need to get these starts right because they gave up too big a lead on the weekend.
Yeah, and if they were the Cowboys of last year or whatever, like I could sort of be more on your side. But like, this is a team that was going for 5 wins in a row. I was starting to think you're the real deal here.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. They need to sort their starts out, but at the same time, like, with how inconsistent the comps be, like, I don't know how I can be super harsh on the Cowboys, but then wrap the Warriors when there was a try difference between them two. Like, that, it does, I think it was a bloody good game of footy, high quality when they were both ripping and tearing.
In very wet conditions.
Yeah, I just think that they probably beat, like, most teams they beat on was it Saturday? Friday. Saturday. Most teams they beat on it. I think it'd be a bit weird to be super positive on the Warriors, but then super negative on the Cowboys. And granted, that doesn't mean I don't disagree with you guys. I think that they need to sort their starts out. But the positive thing for the Cowboys is like when they click, as soon as they start building, if the year continues on and they can build an extra 10 minutes on and build an extra 10 minutes on, and they play 80 minutes of footy, they truly are a premiership threat. It's just a matter of building towards that. At the moment, it's showing signs that they can build towards it. I just think, as I said, I think they just came up against a red-hot Warriors side. I can't be too disappointed. In regards to performances, though, mate, I thought Taumalolo's impact, especially his second stint, I think it was, I thought it was outstanding, absolutely outstanding, and it's a good sign. I think like he's almost their barometer when Taumalolo's going well, like they're going well, because I thought his second stint was outstanding. I'm just getting it up here. 18 runs, 209 metres, 90 post contact, 2 tackle breaks,
Right.
An offload, 16 tackles, no errors. Like, that's a bloody good knock. Bloody good knock in 45 minutes, I tell you what.
I thought Reece Robson was good too
Yep.
in this one.
Best game of the year, I think, for Robson, to be honest.
Yeah, he was very good, Reece Robson. Murray Talangi, another 220 run meters.
Bro,
And a whisker away from the match winner as well.
Bro, every time Origin comes around, he just goes, oh, by the way, I'm one of the best wingers in the competition.
Yeah.
So
And the
crazy.
try scored, like he had no right. He looked like 100 to 1 to score that and somehow managed to stay in play.
I don't know what it is, but I feel like, and I know I'm guilty of it, but every NRL show I listen to, they're naming their wingers, and it's always, and Murray Talangi. Like,
Yeah.
he just always somehow gets slept on a little bit, but then as soon as you remember him, you go, fuck, can't leave him out of the side.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I thought Nanai's first half wasn't great. His second half, when he clearly got a rocket up in him in the dressing sheds, he came out and he was almost the difference.
He was unreal in the
Like,
second
he was
half, yeah.
shotting blokes. He was yipping and yahooing. He was obviously scoring tries. Like, he really came out in that second half and showed you just how. And I actually thought that Halasima dominated him in the first half, and it was almost like, wow, you're getting dominated by a rookie here. And then he came out in the second half. I felt like Nanai won that second half in regards to, like, you know, just if you were to measure each other.
Yep.
But
He got dropped early in the year to Cup or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he got
Yep.
dropped to Cup.
came back off the bench.
Looked 1,000,000 to 1, to make his way back into the Origin team for this season. But, I mean, what he's been doing in attack in recent weeks, I guess he's probably in there because you're a bit light on for back rows as we spoke about. Kempy, do you start or bench?
I need to see more because I'm just worried about his defence and worried about just needing him to play 80 minutes. But, like, right now, we're so light on in the edges. Yeah. We might even have to end up having a Cotter Nanai edge.
I just think because of the defensive concerns, he's been so effective off the bench. Obviously, won his way back into a starting spot for the Cowboys, but geez, he's damaging in those lesser minutes off the bench. And, you know, for the Cowboys, you probably want him starting long-term at club level, but the Maroons, like, as a Blues fan, I'm more scared of him playing 35 to 40 off the bench in a couple of effective stints. Just damaging.
Yeah, maybe. And you go like a Gilbert.
Gilbert
What
Cotter,
about both Fermor?
Fermor.
I reckon Fermor will get
Yeah.
it.
Fermor has been really good. He does sometimes have lapses in defence, though, where his reads are just strange. But, yeah, Fermor could be there as well. I would say he's a better defender than Nanai at the moment. So,
Yeah.
you know, he's got that. And also his attack's quite good.
Do we think, just on like Queensland and everything, like having a look at Ruben Cotter, do we think he's an absolute automatic in the Queensland side?
I just think because he's an Origin-style player.
Yeah, they just go for him.
But his form hasn't been awesome. Hasn't been terrible either, but hasn't been awesome. But I just think that he's one of those guys that there's no way he's letting you down in Origin.
And I think what helps him is that they are light on edges and like his best footy's in the middle, but he has shown that he can do it on the edge.
Yeah.
Showed it last year, so that'll go a long way for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, just back to the Cowboys and performances. Drinky back at his crafty best. Not really back because he's been good for a few weeks now, but he is just, his ability to just ball play his way and create space with ball in hand is second to none. Second to none. And I remember a few years ago, I said, like, I think he's the best ball playing fullback in the comp. And I got a lot of pushback, like, oh, what about KP? What about Walsh and all these other guys? I think Scott Drinkwater's the best ball playing fullback.
And without having the stats in front of me, I'm just getting them up now, but I feel like he doesn't have the error count of other guys too.
He might have used to, but he definitely, I don't think he does recently.
He used to. I think the last season and a half.
Cleaned it up a
Last
bit.
season and a half,
Cleaned
he's
it up a bit,
really,
yeah.
But I think if you look at his try assists, he's way above everyone else at fullback with try assists. I'm pretty sure over the last few years. Pretty sure. Where's he
he's
sitting at the
been
moment?
huge.
Yeah, where's he sitting at the moment?
So I'm just looking at handling errors for, he's had 10 this season in 8 games.
That's all right. For a fullback
Considering
that's-
how much
yeah,
he does.
Yeah. For a fullback that's
huge.
working on the ball and throwing as much, high risk balls, that's actually fucking
Well, mate,
amazing.
just having a look at this list, like there's a lot of guys a lot higher than him that would have 70% of the touches he does and take 70% less risks than what he does as well. So, yeah.
Where's he sitting in try assists at the moment? Second? Third?
Be up there with him. Try assists, he is 4th.
Fourth.
But he's
One off the top.
He's one off the top, so he's second, yeah.
So, okay. So second, yeah. Mate, he's special. And I always wonder, like, that year where he could have gone into New South Wales camp, like, was that a fork? Will he ever get a fair opportunity to play for the Blues? And I know you're stacked for fullbacks, but his name never gets brought up. And I know immediately what people are thinking. It's his defense can't be. He's a small fullback, and I get it. But geez, I just think it'd be a pity if we never saw him in the Origin Arena with that incredible ball playing, because he's friggin' special with the ball in hand.
Unbelievable. Yeah, like, you'd love to see him play Origin, but actually just with the calibre of fullbacks at the moment, it's going to be tough.
Errors in general is not in the top 50.
Wow. Far out. Well, the risks that bloke takes and the balls that he can throw, that's actually phenomenal. I mean, we're being honest, it's really where Reece Walsh should get to.
Like, realistically, every fullback should be in that list.
He's the perfect parallel for Reece Walsh.
Yeah.
Because they, coming through when they were like younger, such similar players, flamboyant, use the ball, take risks, and Drinky used to have a ton of errors in his game, and he's just channeled it and found that balance. He's perfect for Reece Walsh, what he needs to model himself on.
Yeah, and also like showing that, you might be a smaller body, but you can still run for your 150 or so metres a game. You just got to do it in a different way to the other boys. So Drinky outstanding. I thought that early kick from Clifford, that I think it started the comeback, or at least close to it. Yeah, I think it started the comeback. Just a gutsy play from Clifford. Probably won't get as much highlight as all the other stuff, but that was the gutsy play that really turned the screws and made them get the momentum back. Really good play there. So look, not too disappointing for the Cowboys. Like, I think that they just got to sort their start out. They sort their start out, and they're a top 4 side. Okay, on to the next game. Anyone need a break? You're all good? All good?
All good. I got another one in me.
Got another one? Okay.
Yeah, all good.
Okay, next game, the Tigers defeat the Dragons 34-28. 34-28. And once again, the Tigers just fight and fight and fight. And it was a little bit worrying there for a little period. But I just can't believe how far this club has come. Like, Jerome Luai, his ability to just make teams win is a joke. It's an actual joke. If you had said a couple of years ago, Jerome, like when you guys signed Jerome Luai, a lot of people said that he's not even a 7. Like, what are you? And also, most people said he's not worth 1.2 million. People. Matter of fact, most people said that the reason they had to pay him 1.2 million is because you're on the bottom of the table. Right now, he is worth every. Matter of fact, you probably could have paid him 1.3 or 1.4. That's how much impact this bloke has had. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And obviously the rest of them, Terrell May, he's been outstanding. They currently sit in 8th. They're on the same points as the Broncos, the Sharkies, the Seagulls. They're one win outside the top 4. Actually, matter of fact, no, sorry. They're actually on equal points to the Melbourne Storm, because the Melbourne Storm had a bye. They've put themselves in a really good spot. A great win for the Tigers. Hammy, what are your thoughts, mate?
Outstanding. Very gritty win. Probably got a little bit harder than it needed to be towards the end there in terms of watching that one as a fan. It got a little bit tight there, but they were great. A bloke I wanted to give a rap to, hasn't played for the first grade side for a while. The Forbes Ferrari, Charlie Staines, I thought came in and had an excellent game.
Good return.
Yeah, the Leichhardt Lamborghini, as we like to call him. He was on fire. Wearing the number 23. We've had some great 23s over the journey. Michael Jordan, Shane Warne, Charlie Staines. 2 tries, 163 metres. I thought he was fantastic on the weekend. Had a real rip and a tear. But, the boys, obviously there's a bit of a blip a couple of weeks ago. But you take that out, the last sort of month of footy's been pretty good. They're making it work. Do they love each other? They don't have to, as long as they can kind of get along and make it work. Luai and Galvin, it seems like that's working for now. So, a great win. Probably the best moment of the night for me would be the try assist from Jaden Stewart to Jareem Buller there on the stroke of half time. 105-metre effort there from Jareem. Great win. We'll take the 2 points. On to Melbourne, in Melbourne this Sunday.
Just on that try, that was a genuine 12-point moment. Like, you don't see that very often just before half time.
Well, you never see, out and out.
Don't see it like that.
Yeah, people say 12-point, but you're like, you don't really know for sure. It's like, no, that was actually 12 points.
And a lot of time when people say that it's 2 or 3 tackles later or whatever, that was literally a 12-point play.
I feel so sorry for Sewer. I will say I didn't agree with Flano saying that was the moment that turned the game. It's just like, mate, there were so many other things the Dragons could have done to win, to play better. I know it was a big moment, but it's like, bro, there were so many other things the Dragons could have done.
Bombed numerous tries. It wasn't that was the pin-up, but...
Yeah, I didn't agree with that. Anyway,
How's on just Luai talking about those? You mentioned most weeks, Kempy, but just intangibles and they're winning. Like statistically speaking, this year going over to be the experienced half in a club, he'll run the show and take over. Hasn't scored a try, hasn't had a line break. He's had 4 try assists all year. I reckon 2 of them a couple of weeks ago were off kicks just in behind the line late in the game. But they're winning.
It's the only stat that matters.
It's the only one that matters,
Yeah.
right?
Like you purchased him for one stat, and that was to get the W each weekend. Who gives a shit how his individual stats are?
Yeah,
It's
and like
unbelievable.
that's on steroids at the Tigers because of what their culture's been for many years. Like to do it there, it's even bigger.
Well, and I'd hate to speak too soon, but like essentially they've almost made it so they can't win the spoon right now. Like they've already won enough games. So like if you were to say you've got to pay someone $1 million to make sure that you're not in the bottom 4, like he's pretty much already ticked that box. Now, granted, it's very early days. Who knows what could happen in the future? Jeez, I hope.
Oh, one of the great early crows.
Please don't early crow a top 16 finish for us. Please don't.
But like in reality, you could make the argument. You could even make the argument as a club, like as a full organisation, it's a bang for buck, the best buy in the competition because you've gone from spoon to potentially top 8. And I know other people have signed, but let's be honest, it is all around this guy. Like he is the guy. Like Appy's been in the club for a couple of years. Terrell May is obviously a big signing. Yeah. But it's the 7.
Well, I don't know if Terrell May would have necessarily come if Jerome Luai wasn't there.
That's a good point.
I reckon that was a big carrot to get him in there, and it's made it a very attractive. We've got a bit of money in the cap to spend now. I'm sure that the fact that he's there and the culture that he's kind of bringing is going to be a big draw card for players.
It's one of the most interesting watches Jerome's next few years because he won 4 premierships and Cleary has already cemented himself as one of the greatest 7s of all time, and rightly so. But Luai, every time we get to Origin, we say, oh, no, we got to put Moses there. And like every time the conversation comes up, he never gets brought in, one of the better players, even in the competition, let alone of his generation. However, this next few years, what he can do there, like let's say somehow, some way you're in top 4 and then you don't know what happens after that. You'll all of a sudden his legacy begins to look really, really different to what he could have looked, even winning 4 premierships.
Yeah, imagine if he has a World Cup next to his name for Samoa and he's
already got a grand final.
And a 5th premiership, obviously.
Yeah.
And the rest.
But we're watching him at the Tigers and just how it's all, coming together, the impact he's having. Does it remind you of anything, Hammy?
Yeah, real sort of 05 feel in the air, isn't there? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like photosynthesis. It's just all coming together, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's a bit of a long bow, but I'll pay it now just for the context on the photosynthesis.
Yeah.
Rue and I
Jeez, you've been hammering that.
about time.
Okay, here we are. We're arrived.
We played a game of Rugby League Live 2 upstairs at the Caxton.
Yeah, saw that.
And I taught Rue an absolute lesson, 9 points to 8.
Yep. One of the great rugby league games all time.
The punishment was whoever loses has to say a word of the other person's choosing 3 times on the Monday show.
No way. No way.
So as you're doing your intro, I got the text from him, photosynthesis, and I'm sitting there going, fuck.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense now. I was like, geez, you're hammering this joke. Like, what the? Rue, leave the comedy to Hammy, brother. You're really... Nah, I'm joking.
Campy, I was sitting here like, is this just going over my head? Am I missing something here? Or why? Any reason why photosynthesis? Or just
No, I just thought it was he was going to have to work hard.
I think that's a smart put-in of like, oh, you like that photosynthesis joke you said on the weekend? That's a smart put-in because it put the pressure
tried to
on
put
him.
him on the back foot.
I was like, I don't know if that one counts because you haven't used it in context.
You're definitely on the back foot there. You were just playing defense.
I couldn't score. I had to just keep it out. Well played, mate. You've done pretty well.
Thanks,
Well
mate.
played.
Cheers.
Well played. Okay, back to what we were talking about. The Tigers. Hasn't Taruva been an underrated buy too? Jeez, he's been good on the wing there.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I'd even argue like Penrith probably didn't realise how much they'd miss him. Like I know Penrith loved him and all that stuff, and he got more money at the Tigers and salary cap pressures. I get all that, but I reckon even Penrith are going, geez, we could, with Toto being injured, geez, we could just use a good bloody winger that gets through a bunch of work and can score tries.
There's been a number of wingers who have left the Panthers in recent years throughout all this success, and they've gone. Penrith have been fine. They've gotten over very quickly, and they haven't probably hit the same heights at other clubs. And that's going to happen, right? You're a winger, one of the best teams you've ever seen in rugby league. You're going to score tries. Your defensive job's going to be a lot easier. It's a bloody tough thing to go to another club and even look like maintaining that kind of form and consistency. But Taruva's done it. Like, it surprised me how good he's been.
Mate, he's been outstanding.
He's missed a week, and he's the second top try scorer in the comp. He's got 9 tries.
Wow.
He's been awesome.
That's so good. I feel like I'm going to say it every single week. Jeez, I'm just... Luai and Galvin just suit each other so well. Like, you know, I don't know how many sevens will go, I'm willing to essentially have the shittest individual stats you can look at. Like, Luai's individual stats are terrible. But it doesn't matter to him because it's not about that for him. And it's never been about that for him. Even when he was at the Penrith Panthers, he was totally just doing whatever was wanted from the Penrith Panthers. And he's doing the same at the Tigers. And I'm like... You're just like, how does that... Obviously, he's most likely going to land at the Eels. You just go like, Moses isn't going to do that, bruh. Moses is not going to do that.
Moses is the man.
Yeah, he is the man, brother. And you, no matter how much you want to be... And look, maybe it's been misreported that he wants to be the man. So look, we're just talking nonsense. But this whole side is built around Galvin. And it's because Luai has done that. So anyway, just got that out of the way.
I wonder if it's... we've covered off on Gavin enough over the last couple of weeks, but I wonder if it's like fully unsalvageable.
Okay,
I wonder whether there's a twist in there.
Oh, a DCE backflip, you
Well,
reckon?
yeah, why not? If they make the top 4, and he's
would
enjoying
you
his
want?
footy, what you know?
I think his manager's too proud, though.
Well, does he have to stay with the same manager?
Yeah. Well, okay, well.
Anyway.
Okay, anyway.
Just throwing it out there.
Stay tuned.
Yep.
Hook, line and sinker.
Yep.
Outside of that, look, Bolle, another great game from the big fella. Geez, he's gone from strength to strength. Yeah, really good win. Really good win. Okay, now to the Dragons. Bit of a weird one because, you know, like the big news was around Ilias and him being dropped, which I was a bit like, geez, I don't know, like it was one game and you're going to focus in here. Anyway. And King Tonga, he had the 2 try assists, but at the same time, like, did they look that much better? I don't know. I don't think they did, to be honest. Like, I don't think they look much different. And what my point is this is like King Tonga, you know, had a good solid debut. I'm not saying he didn't, but what I'm saying is like if you're going to drop a key player, number 7, you would hope you would look different as a side, and I didn't see it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Like if Su'a scores that try, maybe it's a different conversation all of a sudden.
Yeah, but they got pretty dominated. Like, I know there's a late push, but they got. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think they play well.
Yeah, fair. I mean, yeah, I thought they hung in the contest. Like they just, this is just who the Dragons are. It's always going to be ugly. I think whether it's Ilias, King Tonga, I just think it's always going to be ugly with them. I think that's sort of their brand at the moment.
But then if that's like, it's like, well, isn't it a bit unfair to just drop Ilias? If you're the same with or without him, it's like, well, surely you keep him in there and let
They
him,
hadn't
let him
been
build.
going bad though.
That's what I'm saying.
And nor had Ilias, and it's like it just came a bit out of nowhere to me.
Yeah, one bad game and it's like, boom, gone. You're number 7. Now we're going to build a whole new combination. That was the big talking point. Anyway, I look, the thing I will say is like, all you got to look is Fogarty in regards to Ilias. All you got to look towards is Fogarty is like, you know, you can really develop into a bloody good half. You just got to stay patient. He didn't debut till he was like 26. Cody Walker, 26.
They won, like prior to the NZ game, the Dragons with Ilias had won 3 out of 4.
That had a great start to the year. Anyway.
He did have a few like moments in those games where I thought he handled things pretty poorly, though. He's managed.
I'm not sitting here saying he killed it at all.
Yeah.
It's more just like, it's a big call from one game, especially before that game was a good start to the season.
Like if they'd lost 3 in a row or something, I'd be like, okay, they want to make a change, something needs to happen. But like they'd lost one game.
Tell me this, Roo, then. How many other teams, if they dropped their 7 after one bad game, as in the team played one poorly, would you be like, yeah, that's a good call? I would never say that's a good call.
Yeah, but I don't think he's dropped him after one bad game. There's been 2 or 3 games there that
they'd won like, I think it was 3 from 4 on the trot. And then they lose one game and then drop to 7. I think that's a bit strange.
Yeah, okay. I think there's been moments there where he's...
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that he hasn't had bad moments. I'm saying as a team, they've gone 3 from 4 and then you have one bad game and you drop your main 7. I think that's where I'm like, that was a bit strange.
Yeah, I think you're leaving out heaps of context there, though, in what I'm saying.
No, I get. So what you're saying is that Lockie Ellis had some poor moments in games, and even poor games.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
But in any other scenario, if your team is 3 from 4, and the game that they lose, the next week you drop the 7, I just think that it was a bit early. I think it was a bit early, and I think that they come out and they got beaten by the Tigers, who, although are having a good start to the year, we all backed the Dragons to get the win.
I didn't.
That's where I feel like, now you're in a position where, okay, let's say they lose another game. It's like, do you bring him back in? Do you drop someone else? Like, that's when you make a big call like that, you would hope there's a quick turnaround. And unfortunately, I didn't see it with the Dragons.
We'll see. Maybe he's trying to get the best out of him.
Maybe.
Oh, well, like you're the halfback. You got to handle those big moments. There's been a number of times. I know it didn't blow me out of the water when the change was made personally, but each of their own.
Fair enough.
He's been killing it in reserve grade. He's been doing really well. He's leading try assists and everything. Like I don't think it was as much of a shot in the dark as we're talking, but
the context of it is a bit strange. Where at second game he's getting publicly smashed by the coach, and then they lose one game, he gets dropped. It's that all of it looks like it's almost like you were nearly getting dropped the whole time, and it's just like whoa. But in regards to performances, who stood out for you guys, the Dragons?
Jacob Little, obviously he's in the team of the week, but played 46 minutes. Do we think we're seeing enough Jacob Little out on the field for the Dragons?
I
just feel like
That was his season high minutes for him.
Yeah.
We've been saying this since friggin' round 1.
Just get him out there. Like, he came on, totally changed things, got a bit of momentum back for him, scored twice. Just feel like he's playing his best footy. He's always had that potential. Like, his body's let him down a bit at times, but he's playing some great footy now. I just feel like every time he's on the field, the Dragons look like a better side at the moment. I know Damien Cook's obviously a great player, but might be time to have a bit of a think about just getting him out there a bit more.
Mate, I'm with you. I know, Drew, didn't he have a bit of a shorter preseason?
yeah, he did. He's come back. He was coming back from injury, but I mean, like
It's around nearly
around
10.
9, 10,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Like,
So
I think the writing's on the wall with Little. I
Mate,
think
I think
they have got to get him out there more.
I think you do. And if surely you've got a guy like Hammy Stewart, who's a rookie who, he ripped and teared, he scored a try. But surely you can move Cookie to 13 if you need to keep him out there.
100%.
Surely you can.
We've been saying it all year.
Yeah, literally.
Cook could rip and tear playing some just a bit bigger into 13.
Just on Hamish Stewart, 41 tackles in 48 minutes.
Yeah, he ripped and teared. He really
Good
ripped.
player.
And there's a positive thing for the Dragons is they got some really good young fellas coming. Dylan Egan once again, he ripped and teared. 40 tackles, 0 misses. Egan on an edge.
Well, the other thing was with King Toya coming in, a left side specialist player by the looks of it, because he's played left, which sent Flano over to the right. So the one thing I will say about that, they've been pretty left edge dominant this season. They've been absolutely relentless out there. Flano being probably a more dominant half in the game, or certainly the more experienced half. Hopefully just Barnes out there, attack a little bit more on the right. I think it can bring Moses Sully into the game a little bit more as well, who's catching a bit of a cold on the right edge. So interesting to see how that dynamic changes moving forward with the halves swapping sides.
I will say Val Holmes was frigging unbelievable in this game. He could not. I know he had a few errors, but outside of that, his running game was frigging second to none.
He's 258 metres.
Yeah,
We saw a bit of everything, didn't we? Because the try he scored was just this bloke at his best. Yeah. Everything he did in that situation, from summing up what was going on to pinning it, the strength, the athleticism was perfect. And then I think it was maybe a set after, he had a really poor read for a try out on that right edge of the Tigers. Locked into Origin or not? I know you've been a bit sceptical.
Yeah,
I just don't think there's a lot else
I'm
out
not
there for
locked
you.
in. The only problem is at the moment, there's just not that much out there.
Yeah.
And
As a Blues fan, I would love for you not to pick him.
yeah, it's just defensively sometimes you can just out of nowhere. But attacking wise, he's always been one of the best outside
Even
backs in
the
the competition.
one for that try on the edge, he just jammed very unnecessarily. They just tipped on and went, thank you.
Yeah.
Weird.
Speaking of the other wing, mate, that miss from Sloan. Talk about coach killers. Oh, my God, bro. I thought that was out of his game. But that was really, just put your body in front. You're on the line. You're so much better than that. That's what I don't get. If he was even an ounce less talented than he was, I wouldn't even talk about it because I'd just be like, mate, he's not a first grader. He's going to be gone soon, so there's no point even talking about it. But with all that talent and it's not like you're not tough. Like you take heaps of hit ups, you're good in contact. The wing is not. It's not like he's running straight from the back fence. So it's not that. It's just he just doesn't. He just switches off.
Also, like it's not like a Halacema coming.
Yeah, that's
out.
what I mean.
It's
Like and
Charlie Staines.
it's and it was just he must just stop thinking, and that's why he's just losing concentration.
Well, it hurts, doesn't it? Because we'd been rapping him, and because I wasn't sure if he, could develop his defence enough to be a winger in the NRL. And then this year, everyone bloody, I think he's been that great. And it's only one incident, so it's not the end of the world. But it was a bit of it was a killer, as you said, and in a game that was tied in the end. So it was a big moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without circling back, just credit to him. Went back to reserve grade, Elias. 2 tries, 2 tries.
Nice.
Played well.
Love that.
Yep.
Love to hear that. Love to hear that. And it's a real, again, Elias has just got to stick at it, man. He's a friggin' good halfback. He took a team to a friggin' prelim. It's all there. So, I mean, to go back into reserve grade, 2 tries, that's fucking unbelievable. It just shows you that you're above that level. And good on him too for not kicking stones. I'm probably a bit more disappointed with the Dragons' performance than maybe you boys. I just thought that they would bounce back in a big way after last week's really poor performance. You saw how good when that stretch that they went on when they had a 3 from 4 or whatever. You're like, this is a top 8 side, and then to go out after such a poor performance against the Tigers, who they're good this year, but they're not that good. I would have thought they would have got the win and not had 34 points put on them.
Butchered too many opportunities. I said not just the Sewer one. There was a few there.
There was quite a few.
Yeah.
And 34 points getting put on you. That's a lot. That's a lot of points. So the really shining light that Flano has never had, and also this club hasn't had for what do you reckon, 5 years or whatever, is they've got young guys that are going, even when they're playing poorly, some of their best players. So the shining light for Flano is I'm sure that he's sitting there going, just give me another 12 to 24 months when these boys all get, match fit, all become NRL players, I'll be bashing teams. Imagine Egan in another year's time. Imagine Couchman. Imagine Hamish Stewart. They will be bashing blokes in those forward packs.
And I love that he's already just leaning into that. For Hamish Stewart to be starting at lock, that's wild.
Yeah, DeBellin, and to be fair, we spoke just about Elias, but DeBellin got dropped as well to the bench. Have a look at this. Is 3 young guys. Egan, 40 tackles, 0 misses. Couchman, 45 tackles, 0 misses. Hamish Stewart, 41 tackles, only 2 misses. That's good defence, man. You don't see that with young fellas very often that come on and do that much work. I mean, we spoke about it a few weeks ago, but Couchman, he is their big dog. He is their main forward. He played 56 minutes in the middle. Outside of that, no other main front rower played anywhere near those minutes, which is, again, he'll get another year under his belt. Next year will be even better. So that is the silver lining. I feel like the years before where they would have these inconsistency games, it's where's the future? What's going to happen when these guys get older and what's the direction forward? The difference between even last year, this year is there's future. You can see it. And so that's the positive thing for the Dragons.
Just need to lock them all in now.
Yeah, that's true. That is true because Flanagan was filthy about you losing that young fella.
Yeah. And I mean, look, the reality is they've got so many good ones. You were not going to keep them all.
Yep. But he was pretty good.
Lost one, let's call it. You have to get the rest of them.
Okay. All right. Okay, now on to the Titans v. the Bulldogs. Don't forget, guys, grab your grumpy coffee. And also, there's still some Bloke jerseys available. Join the Bloke Club at www.bloke.club. And also, Bloke undies. I actually saw a few people at the meet and greet were literally said to me, mate, the undies, I didn't know they would be this good. They are unbelievable. So trust me, go to bloke.shop, grab your undies. These are premium, high-quality undies. You will not be disappointed. I can guarantee you that.
I did bring my Bloke undies to the meeting.
See, there you go. See, that's how good they are.
He
did something right. Okay. Now, on to the Titans v. the Bulldogs. So this is a weird one for me because when I was watching it, I was going, fuck, Titans again. This is poor. It was a line in the sand moment. And look, I was a bit surprised that they dropped Fafita because he was coming off the bench and all that stuff. And I was like, listen, if you're going to go hard, go even harder. Drop him and some starters or whatever. But, you heard it come out during the week, it was more just around everything. So I was like, okay, I get that. There's been whispers around that before with Fafita about just how committed he is and all that stuff. So we know all that talent, blah, blah, all that stuff. But then when I got a bit way through the game, at one point they'd scored one less try, but they just hadn't convert. They went 1 from 4 conversions. And so I was like, well, am I being too harsh on the Titans? And if they actually had converted most of their tries, this would be a close game. Because like right now, they ended up scoring, do we all agree, just watching that game, it looked like an absolute toweling.
Yes.
They scored 2 more tries than them.
Yeah.
So it's like, and look, I'm at the stage now with the Titans where I'm trying to look for positives. Because I'm been so negative on them for a few weeks now.
Because, just on the flip side and why we thought it was dominant, I think possibly a case of just foot off the pedal. Like the Doggies were up. They're up 5 tries to 2 when Kiraz scored in the 54th minute, and they were just tearing him to shreds. So they conceded those couple a bit later on.
But there was 10 in the bin, Kelly, I think. Or was that? No, it was before half time. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 sin bins, 33 and 69 minutes. So I know what you're saying.
I'm trying to look for positives here because I don't want to get in here again and go, oh my God.
14-8 at half time.
So
2 tries apiece.
It's 2 sin bins.
Premiership leaders
that were looking for a bounce back. I know they're missing some key players. Okay.
I think as well, I know he's not, state of origin ball player or anything, but losing Tom Weaver with the way they build their side, that hurt them a lot as well.
All of a
sudden, it's
massively.
just AJ Brimson playing 7 and 6. He was their goal kicker as well, which is why they
And
struggled.
also, Brimo can't kick long.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a really good short kicking game, but his medium to long kicking game's poor.
Yeah. And
understandably so.
When you take Weaver out of the side and Jaden Campbell's not there, all of a sudden, the whole game plan is, okay, keep Tino at bay and just tackle Brimson.
And also, you're now, so Preston's your first 7, Kieran Foran's your second 7, Tom Weaver's your third 7. You're down to your 4th number 7 depth-wise. And also, your number 6 is you could make an argument not a number 6.
Yeah.
But as you said,
your fullbacks
the
out,
point
sorry.
of Tom Weaver there is not to say it's not doesn't have other facets to his game, because he does, but it's his long kicking game. So when you lost that so early in the game, oh, geez.
And so that's when and also Kinney's out, which is their best player essentially, outside of Tino. As I said, I'm looking for positives here against the premiership leaders. It's pretty good. It's pretty good with all that shit we just spoke about.
Yeah,
not great.
Camprera, sorry, where you go?
No, you go, mate. You go.
Camprera scored. All right. Camprera scored off that runaway try. Was it a loose ball or something? The Fermor, I think, was just a little dab in behind the line. So
From Brimo.
Yeah, from Brimo. Yeah.
I guess one positive for me from the weekend anyway, we spent about an hour or so with Tino.
Yeah.
Fuck, he's an impressive character.
Legend.
I remember when he left Melbourne, I thought he's good, but I thought the raps at the time were maybe a little bit over the top. You then watch him playing it, but then actually sitting and talking to him, he's, what is he, 25 years old?
Yeah, 25, 26.
He's 32.
Yeah.
He's a leader. He's an out-and-out leader.
There was a period there, I think before Critter went to the Dogs, they did a survey, sorry, and who you would start a club with. And Tino, I think, was number 1 by a big way. And there's a huge, obviously.
Did you give those shoulders of his a bit of a rub down?
He ran away from me.
He saw the look in your eyes. He's honestly, for a bloke coming back, said for his age as well. I didn't realize he was so old. From the ACL injury, they need to give him a hand. In this pack, even in this game, he had 21 runs, played huge minutes against the Dogs pack, who their line speed we know is unbelievable.
Oh, he's not 32 like Roos said.
No, he's 25. I'm saying he
acts 32.
I had half an eye in stats and heard 32. I was like,
sorry
holy
about him,
shit. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Oh, fuck.
It's been a big weekend.
I can't believe you got reeled into that 32 when you know Tino's relatively
I wasn't
young.
paying attention to it. I was looking at the numbers of the rest of the pack. I was looking at Campbell Gillard running for 89 metres with 11 runs and a big signing, and I'm just going, Tino's carrying him. So apologies, guys. Apologies,
Must have missed a memo.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Need more memos.
Look, I'm trying to look for positive with the Titans. Even De Groot, I think he's a bit of ways from being a first grader, to be honest. I think, he is a reserve grade fullback at the moment, but I think he's a bit away from being a first. Brian Kelly's one. Like, I think Kelly is actually one of the more underrated outside backs in the game. Like he doesn't when he goes one-on-one with nearly any centre at his best, he can go with him. But mate, giving away 10 in the bin, getting offside for the second scrum, everyone knows it's 10 in the bin. Like that's been a rule for years, and they brought it in to stop exactly that. That's just
So far off as well.
coach. Yeah, so far. So it's like a coach killer. Like you're playing it's a line in the sand week. Look. I know he wasn't thinking. He didn't mean to do it intentionally, but geez, that's got to kill you. Actually, one point I wanted to bring up. Last week when I was talking about Sorensen and the whole, it was a shoulder charge. He misses 3 weeks. And I was like explaining to people why players don't just bend their back and put their shoulder into it. Mate, first 10 minutes, Montoya is running it off the back fence. So Randall does what everyone that doesn't play rugby league tells you to do. He bends his back and he tries to go straight through him with his shoulder. He comes reeling out of the tackle with a friggin' shoulder injury because that's what happens when you bend your back because all the pressure goes onto your shoulder. There's no give there. That's why you have to stay more upright to make sure the impact, there's more give in the chest area and you can fall back like that. And I just wrote it down on my notes. It's like, that's why you don't bend over because he'll have an AC injury now. Like he'll still play because he's tough as anything.
The size of the athletes and the big front rows,
Mate,
these days, that's stormy. Like the games,
it's gone past that. It's not the friggin' 90s where your front rowers are 100 kilos. Like that's Montoya, who's as fast as a winger that's 100 kilos. And, this whole, just bend your back, mate, or just go around the legs. It's like, yeah, good luck with that. You'll bust your shoulders and you'll be knocked out in 2 seconds. But, just something I wanted to bring up.
And even if you get it right, these players nowadays, they'll offload. You've lost the tackle.
And if we're fair dinkum about the whole, change your technique, we'll reward legs tackles then. Yeah. We've been saying it for years. Call it a legs tackle. I don't know. And I know that the argument against that is that there'll be different interpretations of legs tackle, but at least you're trying to to back your word of change your technique. For example, Jake Trbojevic, his great tackle technique, it's completely pointless these days because why does he go through the middle unless he knows he's going to win the contact? Because it doesn't matter. They'll just offload and they'll get a quick play the ball.
And that's it, mate. Of course, there's going to be more to it and it'd be a tough one to get right for the referees and the interpretations. But yeah, if you just chop the legs, if they're worried about all the high shots and whatnot, you just need to reward it as a dominant tackle. I know there are so many layers to this, but
at least you're trying to
when they're
reward
looking for
different
fixes and they just say, you can make the legs, but instead of having to get off after 1 second because it's not a dominant tackle, it's all right, maybe you can hold on them for 2 or 3 seconds or whatever.
Just call legs, and you can just hold on to it, and the player's obviously not allowed to lash out and fucking boot someone in the head.
I've told the story before. When I was coaching a 16 sides a few years ago, John Sutton came down to our training, and my little hooker, they started playing, and he made it just that perfect tackle.
Yeah.
John Sutton stopped the game, came and said, never do that again.
Yeah. No, you never get taught to do that shit anymore.
Which is all we were ever taught to do.
Yeah, absolutely. One negative about that just stood out for me, just that last try. Fodawaker, he just stopped running. He just said, my job's done. Tino's trying to defend. They inside ball, the marker couldn't get there in time. Fodawaker is an origin level forward, and I understand he would have been gassed. It's the end of the game. How many minutes did he play? Just get this up. Just hope he didn't play 80 minutes because then I'll forgive him. 61 minutes. So, yeah, that's a long stint for Fodawaker. But at the same time, at least try. Try to at least chase a little bit. He just switched off. And I think therein lies the Titans' problem at the moment is it's just it's just that little extra moment that a lot of players aren't committing to. So much so that Desi is essentially under pressure now. The reports start to come out. I know they've come out and said they're backing him, but as soon as reports start coming out that someone's under pressure, they're under pressure. Think about that as a club. Even Desi Hasler couldn't fix it. And not just win a premiership, just get you into the 8.
Yep.
Titans make the 8. Desi, that's a win for Desi.
If something was to happen that Desi isn't the answer and they let him
Who
go.
is?
And who would be stupid
I'll
enough
go
to
coach.
take the job?
Give me
it's
a mil. I'll go do it.
Yeah.
$1 million a year. I'll do it.
Yeah, there's another one. Just talking about when you mentioned the minutes of Mo Fodawaker. Now, I'd imagine this is probably because of the Tom Weaver leaving after 4 minutes, but still, your middles, Campbell Gillard paid 65, Fodawaker 61, Tino played 67. They are huge minutes for your middles. And there are 2 sin bins as well, so it wasn't that dramatic last week, but that's a big ask for 3 big boys.
Yeah, it's huge. And that's why I'm trying to look for positives because a lot went wrong for the Titans. But unfortunately, if this is a one-off, you could really lean on that. It's been the whole season, unfortunately. Okay, now to the doggies. Clinical. That's what this was. This was just our system, our players. Everything we do is better than you. And I spoke about it earlier, but I'll speak about it again. Critter doing what he did in this game just reminded everyone, I'm not just the leader guy and the good defender centre that everyone, he's the best defender in the competition. Oh, he's the best leader in the competition. That is all true. He is arguably, if he's not the best leader in the competition, he's the top 3 leaders. But I'd say he's probably the best leader in the competition. He's the best defensive centre in the competition. I think that's almost undoubtable. But what I liked about this is that attacking-wise, he'd been quiet for a lot of the start of this season. And I felt like there was one game where he actually was pretty poor in attack, where he was taking over his lines and getting taken out a little bit. What I liked about this game, it just reminded everyone there's a reason why a lot of people say out and out he's the best centre in the game. You know, you look at Herbie Farnworth's numbers each week and you would say, well, Herbie's the best centre in the game. His numbers are way better than Critter's. But what Critter offers you is all of those other things that you just can't measure. But what I like about this week is you saw the individual brilliance that he offers because he's a special talent. We talk about Luai and what he's brought to the Tigers. You know, Critter, what he has brought to the Dogs has been nothing short of incredible.
Yeah, I thought Canterbury, mate, in those 15, 20-minute periods where they play proper Canterbury football, they're unstoppable. Like if you have a look from I think it was from the 15th minute till half-time, they made 8 errors in that period. Just went away from what they do. They obviously came out at half-time and, you know, I imagine they got a good toweling up, I reckon, at half-time after how they finished that first half. And that first 20 minutes, the Titans just couldn't get near them.
Yeah, just
when they play their brand of footy and they do execute it properly, good luck.
I will say, like, even when they were playing poorly, what I found impressive about it, they're still in control.
Yes.
They're so in control, even when they're playing poorly because their defence is so freaking good. But I'm right with you. When it flows for them, they are, like Connor Tracy was outstanding yesterday. When it flows for them, it's, to be honest, it almost reminds you of peak Penrith. Just an absolute machine rolling over the opposition.
On top of it as well, taking over the goal kicking from Matt Burton, I think he's 22 in a row. He hasn't missed since...
Halligan's his kicking coach.
Yeah, shock. There you go. I think it was since the first half of the round 4 win against the Sharkies. I think it's 22 on the trot.
Yeah, and he said also that he's the best natural kicker he's ever seen. One of the best he's ever seen.
Halligan said that about Critter. Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah. Which is super impressive considering who he's coached.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like when you look at Critter, a lot of people, like they've forgotten this guy's a super athlete. But because he does all the other stuff, the intangible stuff, the leadership, you know, you see him talk and setting up plays, the defensive reads or whatever, you just forget this guy, when he was at Penrith, when he didn't have to worry about leadership, he was playing match-winning plays in every final series. You can go back and you can pinpoint a time that Critter made a match-saving play that won him the game. Literally, I'm pretty sure it's every series.
Just as you said that, I just let that sort of settle in my head. Darragh Halligan, who's coached Hazem El Masri at the Bulldogs, and Critter,
one of the best natural kickers you've ever seen.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. He's
a freak. I think he could have played basketball. That kind of is driving home my point earlier of how important this game was for Critter in regards to the wider audience.
Halligan, he does it works with all the best kickers in the game. He travels all over the bloody country, working with goal kickers in it. So he'd been with that all. He would have done stuff with Nathan Cleary, I'm certain.
Yeah, one of the best natural kickers you've seen. That was via the commentary. What I like about this is that, you know, like even a guy like Bailey Hayward, like just slots straight in, no worries. When they were flowing, they looked just as good as they do with Matty Burton. Obviously Burton's still the number 1 6 there, but what I'm saying is a guy like Hayward who, honestly, I reckon Hayward's the kind of guy who could walk down the street, not in Belmore, but in the wider audience of rugby league, a lot of people wouldn't know who he was.
Not at my house.
But a fair comment though, Roo?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, mate, because he just goes about his business. Mate, what is he, 20 years old?
Yeah, might get asked for a photo as Chris Keating.
He's 20 years old. Like usually if you're a young gun at a top tier side, you're a star.
Yeah.
But he's just goes about his business.
We always say like the doggies, since last year and just this resurgence of them, they just never make excuses. And it's a next man up mentality. Like they had Burton out of this, Curran out of this, Tupanua out of this. And he said Bailey Hayward, who plays in the forwards, just shift to 5'8", like seamlessly. And they come out against the Titans in a game in Queensland and just, they don't miss a beat at all.
Against the Titans too, it was a line in the sand week. So I know that, it's just the Titans, but this was a season-defining game for the Titans.
Like not all performances are equal, or not all oppositions are equal. We spoke the Knights before and how they had to get up for that game, and they did. It was similar for the Titans,
Absolutely.
where their backs were against the wall as well, and they had to do something and showed a bit more ticker, but they didn't.
It's really happy to see, Kiraz just works his dick off every single week. He doesn't score a stack of tries. Jeez, it was good to see him just pick up a hattie in Magic Round.
Mate, 227 run meters, 44 post contact, 14 tackle breaks. 14 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, 2 line break assists, 3 offloads, only 1 error. Mate, Kiraz, he'll be like Maradona in Argentina. They'll be building bloody statues of him in Belmore when they win a premiership. They'll treat him like a god. There'll be little statues of like him standing out of the house and they'll like pray to him and stuff.
They couldn't tackle him. They're not the first club that have been able to tackle Jacob Kiraz. He's so strong in contact and so wiry. And that poor old left edge, Pereira and Brian Kelly, they would just give one of the great baths. They won't sleep for 2 weeks.
Look, there's not many people. I haven't seen Kelly get just stood up like that the way Critter did. Like, usually he gets a hand on him at least. Mate, he didn't get even a hand on him. That first few metres when he jumps in the air, Critter, it is just explosive. I thought Montoya as well, with back to his, like, when you see him run, when you're watching, you literally cringe because you're like, oh, that would hurt so much tackling that bloke. That's what Montoya, when he's at his best, is running like that. What do you think of the doggies, mate, Hammy?
Yeah, they were great. Clinical. It's good to see because that performance the week before, that blip on the radar kind of came out of nowhere. It's like, I wonder if that's going to derail things a little bit. But no, they were straight back to their best in this game, and very clear game plan right from the start. And poor old, obviously, Tommy Weaver went down early, but they ran at him probably 2 or 3 times in that first 4 minutes, and Kikau eventually was the guy that isolated him, and they just it was always going to be a brutal kind of clash for the Titans, but they were super impressive, very very clinical, and Steve Crichton, he had that moment where he made a bit of a break. It looked like he was like gliding. It was like, I don't know. Time slowed down for him. He was super impressive as well, but they're going to be very tough to beat this year. $6 now to win the comp. I think they've been our best back side as well. So they're lucky. They're certainly making all the right noises.
I was talking about it before, and you brought it up with Jerome Luai before. But geez, when you look back in history, where Critter's career is going to end up, because I look at him now in a Canterbury jersey, and I almost think, fuck, it almost looks weird thinking about him back in a Panthers jersey. It's bizarre.
He's so much a Bulldog now.
Yeah, but then you look at what he did at the Panthers, 3 premierships, 3 different positions, the intercept, the huge plays in those games that he came up with. Like, if he's the Canterbury captain to end this premiership drought, it's almost worth more than.
And he'll probably play Origin.
That's going to be enormous.
Yeah, and he'll probably play Origin for the next 10 years.
I'll be shocked if he doesn't.
5.
Something's going to have to go horribly wrong for him not to play Origin for the next decade or so.
It's just, he's only 24.
Like you could get to the 24, exactly right. So like he could play another decade at the Canterbury Bulldogs, and like
he might go down as one of the, like, again, he's got so long to go, and he's actually got to win the premiership. We're talking early, but the trajectory they're on, like, it's always one thing. If you come into a stack side and you win a premiership, that's incredible. Like, or even if you break a drought, like let's say you've got a stack side that hasn't won still, like for example, like the Broncos, like they've had a stack side for a while, but they just haven't won a premiership. There's that, which is great, which is incredible. To go into a side, the club was a fucking shambles.
Yeah,
shambles, winning spoons like for a decade, and then you take that to a premiership, like there's something special about that.
Once again, if Samoa win a World Cup, he's going to be front and centre.
We don't even talk about his Samoa bloody incredible play.
Yeah.
So amazing stuff. Alrighty, on to the next game. Panthers v. the Broncos. Panthers get the job done 32-8. This game was won in the first half, in my opinion. The Broncos had them down in their line. They had about 26 tackles in their 20. The Panthers had about 7 or something in the Broncos' 20, and they just defended. Then they defended, and then there was one period where Reynolds got a quick play the ball, and so he thought he should run it on the 5th coming out of their own end, the Broncos. They got tackled with the ball, and the rest was history. And it was exactly what the Penrith Panthers wanted. It was to go, take that really risky run, because we've just defended for the last 10 minutes. And once we get our field position, we're not giving it up. And then the game was history. Cleary kicks his 40-20. And then from that point on, that 10 minutes before half time, which Michael Maguire for some reason didn't take Haas and Carrigan off, so they were gassed. We saw that try from Cleary that was similar to the grand final. Like, I honestly reckon the Broncos will be embarrassed with what just happened. Magic round, it's your home stadium. All of these teams, every fan has come to watch it, and then you put up a performance like that.
Queensland clubs don't get magic round. 0 from 4.
Okay, listen here. Listen here, Timmy. You didn't even turn up with your jersey, and you're talking crap. All right? Let's just settle down. Let's settle down and wait for Origin, mate.
Yeah, I don't get meet and greets.
Can we make sure the Queensland clubs get the memo next year? Reaches them.
Oh, here we go.
Don't ask Hammy to send it to them.
Fucking photosynthesis guy over here. Yeah, look, what I liked about this performance from the Panthers is, like, are they back at their, like, pinnacle? Like, I don't think so. But we saw that Penrith Panthers grit and fitness. That's what I like about this win for the Penrith Panthers. You saw all the toughness, and then Cleary worked his magic, and then all of a sudden they're ahead by a few tries. Just a quick little note as well for Penrith. Just, we spoke about him a little bit earlier, but Thomas Jenkins. So you go to most run meters, most line breaks, and there's literally no picture there. It just says Thomas Jenkins. That's how far out of a top 30 squad he is. Yeah. He doesn't even have a picture on the NRL website.
And even to make it crazy, he's been at the club before too.
Yeah.
He's not new to the club. He was at the club. He debuted at the club 2 years ago.
And so doesn't have a picture, and yet he was one of the best players on the field. So I just wanted to, give him a massive rap for what he did on the weekend. But yeah, look, this was a Cleary masterclass, to be honest, and it was a Reynolds Barry Crocker, unfortunately. Boys, what do you think?
I really enjoyed watching Nath Cleary. Like, you look at Selwyn Cobbo's, he ran for 228 metres. I'd love to see how many metres Cleary made him run in that game without the football. He just went from side to side, put in the right kicks at the right moment, and just caught him out at different points throughout that game. It was just Cleary at his absolute best.
Yeah, masterclass of kicking game. Yeah. Masterclass. Timmy, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, we spoke last week after that big upset loss to Manly and how convincing that was. And we sort of said it's just they don't need to reinvent too much. The Panthers needed to get two things right. Number one is just fix the completion, which has been so uncharacteristic for them all year. They did that in this game. They went at 82%, 33 of 40 sets completed. And number two was their edge defence had been a shambles. They needed to tighten that up. Awesome move to put Luke Garner there. McLean, he'll come back in at some point. He's got a huge future, but just defensively wasn't doing a job, and he also wasn't unlocking the left wing, which was Tommy Jenkins. Garner to centre was fantastic. Shored him up defensively. His tip on his hands for a bigger fella were outstanding. So they got their edge D right. They got their completion right, and what do you know? They look back. I mean, not long term, but at least in the interim.
Yeah.
If Brian Toto was to return this week, what do you do? Like, Jenkins off the back of that game, I think a lot of people expected Jenkins to drop out. I don't know. Do you move Alamotti to the centres? Do you like Jenkins got into the team?
I think Tungle probably goes back to the bench potentially. He played all right on the weekend, Tungle. So you put Alamotti back in the centres, Toto on the wing.
I loved Luke Garner at centre, but I think Alamotti centre is the play, right?
Yeah, I'd be playing Alamotti. Well, I'd be playing Alamotti probably at left centre, or are you happy just to run with Garner there?
Mate, Garner is just a good defensive player. I think he's got it in him to go both sides. But like,
those hands are underrated though. Those tip-ons, they're really good and have been for a while.
That's fair. Okay.
Like, maybe not. I'm just fucking spitballing here.
But yeah, I think Alamotti left centre. He loves Isaac Tungo, doesn't he? I don't know. I know he's dropped him at stages, but
the problem with Tungo is, like, he's had this issue for
so
long, and I just wonder, like, do you bite the bullet and just see what it looks like without him, with two players that could start for the rest of the year? Just see.
I think Ivan, like, as you said, he's had this problem for so long, and Ivan, and I think the thing that helps Isaac Tungo is that Ivan knows, okay, when it comes down to the crunch, he turns into the best centre. Which he's done in the final series the last 2 or 3 years.
I suppose the difference though now is that
they're desperate
they need to win
games
because there would be no final series.
And this was, I know they scored all those points, but this was built off the back of their goal line D. Like, there was 20-minute period where they just defended against a relatively good attack.
I think he likes Tungo too much.
Yeah, he does like Tungo.
And rightly so. He's won 2 or 3 comps for
Yeah.
armies, yeah.
In regards to performances, it was a Nathan Cleary masterclass. That little chip that he does for Tungler, the set play, it's like a small bomb kind of thing, straight over the top of it. It's just smart, especially with a big fullback that's probably not going to in reality, Selwyn should have been there, because he should have been tracking the play. But if you actually watch it, as soon as it goes the other way where Selwyn is, he just starts jogging. Whereas like Billy Slater, Pappenhausen, Edwards, they're not jogging. They're going. And so that's disappointing. I just thought it was a really gutsy win. I know it looks like a flary win, but it was actually their guts that got on this, in my opinion, the Penrith Panthers.
One thing that has surprised me, if you have a look through their missed tackle count for individual players, they have 9 players that missed more than 3 tackles in this game.
That's what I mean by gutsy. Like Carrigan and Haas were demolishing them. And I look at a guy like Carrigan and Haas and I go, man, there are a lot of halves that would kill to have you guys as a front row. Because Reno kicked out in the full twice. He made that silly play by running it instead of kicking it. And I understand Reno's thought process of this is the style of player I am, just play footy from wherever. But, Broncos have never been that. You play conservative out of your own end and you attack when you're getting good ball. And I just don't know. The only time, for example, the grand final, where they lost it, that was just, they could have played smarter footy. And I just don't know if there's longevity. That 2023 year was incredible, amazing. Some of the best footy we've ever watched. But can you build a consistent year-on-year top 4 finish on that style of footy? I don't know. And maybe it's just a preference thing. But for me, in that situation where we're winning the grind and we get a quick play of the ball and you look out to the edge and we've got all this space, just play the boring footy. Get it down. Because what would Cleary do? He would just kick it down in and he would just build pressure. And that's where I think the Broncos, they need a little bit of a mentality shift from the top down, where they just need to enjoy the boring footy. But we'll stick to Panthers. In regards to other players that played really well, I think another really good thing with this win is Edwards and Isaiah Yeo, they were solid, but they weren't world beaters in this game. And I think the biggest knock on the Panthers, especially last year, would be Edwards and Yeo literally carried them to victories last year. And so, if they can get victories where they don't need to be playing 30 tackles, 30 runs a game and all that kind of stuff, that's a big win for the club because they don't have to rely on these 2 guys to bash their bodies to pieces to get wins.
Jeez, Edwards did some tough shit in this game.
Yeah, he fucking
some of his
so
runs
tough.
and just where he puts his body.
Taya.
Yeah,
that's what I was just trying to get his stats up here. So he had a try. He had 9 runs for 100 metres, 6 tackle breaks, a line break, an offload, 19 tackles, 0 misses. But look, is he the same as Fish? Absolutely not. He's not built the same. He doesn't play the same. However, can he offer that same kind of intimidation with ball running? Maybe.
Spencer Leniu.
Yeah, maybe Spencer Leniu, more
short
like him.
burst off the bench, come on. If they're struggling to get momentum, he can help wrestle it back.
He changed the game.
He absolutely changed it. He was fantastic.
That try that he scored was just the floodgates opened after that. And I think the Broncos, because they'd been attacking for so long, that just broke their mentality and their spirit of oh crap, we didn't even get points and these guys have just ran straight through the middle of us.
Be a game changer for him. I didn't know much about him, Roo.
I actually don't know much about him. No.
Yeah, but if he can come on and do that and be damaging, said doesn't need to be a big minute player. Punch out 25, 30 minutes, exactly what Spencer Leniu used to do for them. Yeah, just devastating.
You have to remember they did this without Kenny, and also without Sorensen. So they're missing some key players in key positions, and they still managed to beat the Broncos at home.
Yeah, and I know he's not the most important guy in the world as far as the NRL goes, but even without Brad Schneider too, he was filling a really good role for them in Jersey 14. Tolo had to play out of position, jumping into 9 and whatnot. Yeah, are they back?
I still think that people. I still don't know if they can win the comp this year. I think they've got quite a ways to go with those young players, upskilling them. But top 8. Could they make a run? I think they could.
For the same point as we mentioned around Canberra, and maybe they can win it, it's that no one's standing out. So if they can scrape into the 8 and
that's a really good point.
And key players are fit, you just go, why can't they win? Because they've been there, they've done it, they won't feel pressure. Sure, it's looking more and more likely that if they do, it'll have to be winning 4 games of footy in finals. They won't get that early breather. But Maybe.
Like if Melbourne Storm were playing like they did round one,
Different.
Like I think it's a different conversation because you're like, mate, they're just so much better. And the Doggies have been really good, but again, we don't know how they're going to play in finals footy. Yeah, they were good last year, but like this is a different beast. Like when you go into finals footy as the big dogs, as like they went into finals footy last year as like, what a great story. And like, you know, I'd argue that Manly might have underestimated them to a degree. I don't think anyone's underestimating the Doggies heading into. So you know what? Maybe you've convinced me. Like at the moment, I've still got them as like they could fight for a top 8 finish. You know, maybe Cleary is just that great. I will say, what's more likely, winning 4 premierships in a row or them being able to be a premiership threat this year? Obviously, it's much more likely they're a premiership threat this year than four premierships in a row.
For what it's worth, I think they're definitely premiership threats, but we also need to see a hell of a lot more. If Nathan Cleary's fit, they're a premiership threat.
I just want to see them string a few games together like this. Because the problem at the moment is we've only really seen like 2 games like this where we've gone, oh shit. I just want to see a few more back to back.
Well, this weekend they take on the Cowboys, Saturday, 7:35 up there. This is an absolute must-win for them. I don't think they can afford to lose this game. They then go into a bye, then go into round 12, which is 4 days before State of Origin 1. So none of their guys will be there. Like this, if they lose this game, they're in serious trouble.
Against Newcastle, who will be missing probably Ponga. Anyone else? Probably not.
Probably
But just like you don't want to lose this game, go into a 2-week
Big
spell,
game.
and then jump out without Nath, without Yo, without Dylan Edwards, all those guys, it could get ugly quickly there.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Hammy?
Yeah, they were very impressive. Before the weekend, they were $2.10 to make the 8th. They're now $1.62. Before the weekend, they were $17 to win the comp. They're now $11.
Ooh,
They shaved
wow.
$6 off their price with that performance
Wow.
yesterday.
Wow.
Which is incredible.
Even that. Sorry, mate.
There was always going to be a point of the year where you're like, oh, I wish I'd backed him then. Might have been last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that look
Whereas
good?
6 weeks ago, we were saying that about $9.
Yeah. Yep.
But even then, like, you know, sort of moving on to the Broncos shortly, but the Broncos were freaking lackluster in this, and that's still crunched from that to that.
Yeah.
And that's a concern. It's like people, there's some wider audience fans that keep putting Broncos as like, oh, if you beat them, you're a premiership. I don't think so. I don't
So
think.
up and down to beat
Yeah.
the Dogs like how they did the week before. Like, here we go.
Yeah.
You know, they're a genuine threat. But then
If you beat the Storm and if you beat the Dogs, that's when I think you can start saying, okay, we're up there. But Broncos are so up and down. Like, you don't know which one you get.
they could also lose to a couple of teams in the bottom 8.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
It wouldn't
yeah.
shock you that much. One play we haven't spoken about yet, but it was almost like he just went Control-C, Control-V of that grand final.
Oh,
The Nathan Cleary step back inside. How good was that?
Yeah, it was terrible, actually. When I watched it happen, I just went, are you kidding? Are you kidding? And so when I first saw it, I said Paddy and Payne were there. And I was like, boys, it's all good being the big dogs in attack. But you got to be the big dogs in defence too. But then I found out that I don't think they got taken off in that first half. And Michael Maguire in the press conference said, I'll put my hand up for that. He didn't necessarily say that specifically, but he said he'll take responsibility for some changes then. I think that's what he's talking about. He's talking about the fact that he didn't take Hassan, Carrigan off. And I understand what Madge's thinking was. Like, they were so dominant in that first period. Let's try and squeeze this last bit out. So when I do bring these other guys on, they are just going to blow the game apart. But unfortunately, they scored like 2 tries in quick succession, and it changed the game. It literally changed the game. So I understand, and I do respect Michael Maguire for speaking honestly about that little period. But if I'm being honest, the performance more, unfortunately, you know, we gave Reno all the raps last week for his performance, but it did hinge around him this week. He was just, unfortunately, really poor with those kicks out in the full, poor decisions in some of those coming out of his own end. And
It was weird, wasn't it? So uncharacteristic of him. Like the
Played
2
really
on the
poor.
trot out in the full. It's like,
Yep.
you do it once, you're all right, I push for 40-20 a little bit too much, and, you know, I'll realign against myself. Sort of to do it back to back.
And on top of that, then Cleary goes, oh, by the way, I'm going to kick a 40-20 in response to what you just... And not only am I going to kick a 40-20, before I kicked one that went this close where Selwyn was getting tackled like 10 metres out of his own line. Just a great kicking game.
What does Madge usually do with Haas? Is he taking him off around the 30-minute mark?
I think so. I think it's around... Usually him or Carrigan come off first. I think it's Haas that usually comes off around 25-30.
Bit of a nightmare how it played out that Willison got injured in the
Yeah.
after half time. And
I don't think that helped.
I agree with you still, but it definitely magnified it.
I think
Maybe
you're
worse,
right.
I think.
Right, though, Kempy, where Madge just knows how much they lose, rightly so, when one or both of those blokes are off the field. And I think they're too important to me. This is a big game. We need to wrestle back some momentum. They go, can we please get through to the 40? Because then you can play in that sort of first 5-10 of the second half, then give them a breather for the final stint. And it was just a little bit too much for them.
And when you actually look at the game, they'd spent like 20 minutes down the Panthers' end. And I think Madge was sitting there going, all right, it's going to be a close affair. We can't score points. It's just not working for us today. We're going to, that last 10 minutes where they beat us last year in the grand final where we were gassed, let's prepare for that, where it's going to be one or loss. And so that's where I do have respect for Madge, where like a lot of coaches wouldn't have admitted to any of that. They would have just fucking, said, oh, you still got to make that tackle. You still got to be there. And you could ask the question, like Payne and Paddy, like if it was a grand final, would have you made the effort? And they might say, you know what, I might have. Like you've always got more to give. But, to be fair, fuck me, there's only so much Paddy and Payne can do. Like they laid the perfect platform where we were camped down their end for 20 minutes. It's just like, what else do you want them to do? If you can't capitalise on that with the team we've got.
And you played some very poor footy at times, so your attacks just look like monotonous, going through the motions. To be honest, there are players there that didn't look like they wanted to be there, didn't want to turn up. And Payne Harsh, he just says like, all right, I'll have 2 runs this set again,
and I'll just carry me team.
Yeah.
We dropped the friggin' ball on the first set. Like, bro, just get through the set. We got the best front row in the competition. In regards to some other performance, Willison being injured sucked because he was being so good for us. Outside of that, like Jordan Ricky, I know he only played 39 minutes, but he had 4 runs. That's not great. Just a really, really disappointing performance. A really disappointing performance. If anything, I thought the big fella Shibasaki, he was one of our better players. I actually ran into someone that said he played Paul in the week, and I was like, what game were you watching? I thought he was bloody good against the Panthers. He had 20 runs, 161 metres, 63 post contact, 4 tackle breaks, 2 line break assists, 2 offloads, 11 tackles, 0 misses. I thought Dean Mariner actually had a pretty poor game, unfortunately. I think some of his defensive reads, he didn't jam in quick enough. Look, if you jam in on the centre and he throws an incredible tip on, it's okay. Look, you got beaten by an amazing play. But if you're so late that he can just go, you've done nothing. You're in no man's land then. Like he's got an easy pass, and even if he didn't pass, he could just like bump you on offload because you're so far away from him when you do arrive. So I didn't think that was great. But yeah, unfortunately, we're great when Reynolds is good, but when Reynolds isn't good, like we've just got nothing else. Like 3 errors from Reno, which is very uncharacteristic.
Just having a look, the judiciary sheet just came out. Trent Lear has dodged a suspension and a fine altogether. Jacob Preston, 3 to 4 matches. Ruben Cotter, 2 matches out. The rest of the boys got fines.
What? Okay, whatever. Don't get that. Like Paddy, he ran for 209 metres. Payne, he ran for 195 metres, 85 post contact. But yeah, as I said, like, they've got to sort this mentality out as soon as possible because they're going to be, like, haven't won a premiership. Broncos haven't run in 20 years. They've got the team that should be a top 4. Like, the fact that Warriors and Raiders, they're the talk of the town. When you look at these teams on paper, like, that's where the Broncos should be right now. And 1 week great, 1 week not. And the problem is the Broncos have a lot of people that are available to talk to other clubs this year. It's 20, over the next year and a bit, it's 20 players that come off contract. I can tell you right now, Michael Maguire will clean out the entire club if this continues. And it's a harsh reality. Like, I'm not some fucking 300 gamer, so I'm not sitting here saying I'm some hero. But if you don't get on board, the club will be cleaned out and Michael Maguire will find a whole new roster.
It's just attitude. If you're not putting in or there's any complacency, he'll just be like, see ya, you don't fit me.
And like right now, Madge is like all in on the boys. So Madge will be all in with you until he's not. It's not going to be a gradual process. It'll be like, I've done everything I can to back you boys, but you haven't got back behind me and you haven't believed in the game plan I'm trying to give you. I'll need to find somewhere else because, just wasn't good. Really, really poor performance. Really poor performance.
Might be time for the Broncos to have a spell from Magic Round.
Listen, mate. West Tigers, you wouldn't have 10 fans.
We won our last 2 Magic Round games.
Mate, we used to belt Manly every year at Magic Round. What are you talking about? Just one down here.
I think they look a bit fatigued from the whole thing, I think.
Anything else, boys, on the Broncos? You haven't really said that much.
No, I think you've summed it up well.
Anything, Timmy?
Not really. The only other one I had jotted down was just it was a shame about Xavier Wilson getting that cork, but are you confident that he's sort of the longer term edge going forward, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think so, because right now we're both out. I mean, Hunt came on and dropped the ball, as in Jaden Hunt, dropped the ball first run, and then we got a try scored. Like, it's just like, bruh, when you're a fringy battler, you can't, you know, if you're Payne Hassel, kick out or someone like that, you can afford to drop the ball because you know that you're going to come back and do something crazy. When you're a battler, you need to make sure your errors are very small. Some positives is although defensively he got found out a little bit in regards to kicks, I thought Selwyn just tried his dick off in this game.
Friggin' oath he did.
Like, he did not stop. Like, he kept having a crack. He had a bunch of, and they were hunting him. He just kept turning up, run after run after run after run. So if he can just, you know, maybe even trim a couple kilos for that fullback position. He didn't train there in the preseason. You know, maybe he's going to be there for the kicks next time. So I thought he tried his heart out.
Is he in your origin side?
Man, it's a tough one because you've got Taulagi, you've got Val Holmes that can play on the other wing, or you've got Coates. Coates is a lock-in.
Yep.
So it's probably really between him and Taulagi. Taulagi's playing more wing.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to go Taulagi based on current form.
Yeah, current form. However, I think he's been good at the back there.
Could you pick someone on the bench?
As a big, I wouldn't mind that. He did last year, Billy Slater. Maybe, but that means that he would have to replace either Mam or Plath probably, I'd say. You'd have two bigger boys.
Having not done the 1 to 17, I'd probably have Fermor either starting on the bench and he can be your coverage at centre if need be.
Yeah. Anyway, really disappointing for the Brisbane Broncos. They got it. I mean, look, they're still sitting in the top 8, so that's a positive. But if they don't sort this consistency out soon, there are a lot of other teams getting better and better, which eventually by the end of the year, when everyone hits their straps and they're still inconsistent, they'll fall out of the 8. And that's when, if they fall out of the 8 this year, Michael Maguire will clean the entire joint out. I've got no doubt in my mind. I mean, obviously not everyone. There's some fucking guns in there, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, now on to Raiders defeat the Storm. If you want to talk about the end of the match, guys, we've already spoken about that in Kayo Can't Miss Moment at the start of the show. But Raiders v the Storm, geez, I'll tell you what, the Storm are going to look at this game and just go, Jesus, we did everything so well. We fought so well for 60 minutes of the match. You could even say, 70 minutes of the match. We just let it go. We lost our heads. We allowed the niggle to get to us. And the Raiders, they just played it perfectly. They niggled and laid in the ruck and did everything you want to do when you want to upset the Storm's momentum. And the Storm let one get away. The good thing is like, at least it's against a fellow top 4 side, but it's something very unstorm-like. You don't see that very often.
Yeah, it was a game that was there to be won. And, I think there's a fair argument they had won the game, realistically. Like, Pappy had kicked the field goal and was back at halfway, and that was done.
They would have sat there and gone, job done.
Job done.
Well done, so, boys, yeah.
And rightly so. The job was done. It's the most Raiders thing of all time, isn't it?
It really is the most Raiders thing of all time. Like, talk about, the chip on the shoulder and everyone's against us, but then you get a few calls that, could go either way and you land, but, you never talk about
against
that.
Melbourne of all teams.
Yeah, you never talk about the ones you get, though, do you? You just fucking, we're the battlers. No one ever gets anything. Anyway, it's all part of the yarn, isn't it?
Damn right, don't forget it.
What did you think of the Raiders, mate?
Raiders were excellent. I think just...
That try from Kayo Weeks, fuck.
Oh, I just want to know what the rev up from was, or what the words were from Stick before the game. Like going up against Bellyache, one of his old mates, and he would have been saying all that. Yeah, like, no one believes in it's the Storm. The Storm, hot premiership favourites. No one thinks we can beat them. Like, they were so angry when they came out onto the field. Angry, but like they played it well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they channeled that aggression and used it really well, despite going down to that early lead. And what I just love about the Raiders right now is, 3 weeks in a row or something where we've been conceded early leads and been by down 12 to 18 points. There was the Titans, there was the Dolphins, and at no moment did we sort of sit back and go and panicked and throw the ball around and force stupid offload. There's clearly so much belief. We go, no, stick to our structures, we'll be okay, we can win this game, and they have, and they've come back every time, and it's just such a credit to them, and so the belief in the side at the moment.
Mate, talk about a match winning, I know it's a match equaling, but that is, and maybe I'm being hyperbolic, but I honestly reckon that is one of the greatest individual match winners or sealers or equalisers I've ever seen.
And the pissing rain to chip over Pappy.
Yep.
Like,
The degree of difficulty was extraordinary.
like extraordinary.
and what a great, he couldn't have asked for a bit of bounce, could he? In
Great
the wet.
bounce. Like almost came a little bit off the side of his boot. Like the game is on the line. There's 3 minutes to go. You need to score and you need to convert. And then you do that.
Especially like when you look at how he kicked it. Like he ran to the left of Pappy, but he kicked it over the right. Like it was just... Once again, it was the most Raiders thing of all fucking time, but he just backed him. And like, I remember sitting there watching a month ago playing the Cowboys, and I was thinking, geez, I don't know if Kayo Weeks will get picked next week.
Oh, mate, there was a period there where you're like, Kayo Weeks is the problem. Like you'd get you put a normal fullback in there and you'll win the game.
And Ricky came out and backed him 100%.
Backed him 100%.
Yeah.
And also like Kayo, the confidence, like you could see as soon as he made that line break, he knew what he was doing. He didn't hesitate. He didn't think, oh, I'm going to pass and draw. He said, nah, I'm the fastest bloke on this field. I'm putting it over his head and I'm backing myself. I'll gas him. And he did. It's one of the, as I said, like I know there's been some incredible plays and yeah, I'm sure there are some you could mention right now that are better, but not by much. It's one of the best individual bits of play in the conditions to equalise a game that I've seen in a very long time.
Boys, like, we're obviously struggling to crack them. Like our second try was 33 minutes in, didn't really look like it. The offload from Matty Nicholson out of nowhere.
How good's he been?
Killing it.
He comes from England. You're like, oh, it's one of the best fullbacks in the game. There's no way he's going to get his way into it. He might be a bit lucky to come off the bench. Now he's a guaranteed starter. Comes over, scores a friggin' try his first touch against the Brisbane Broncos of all people. Like at that stage, we're a top tier side. And then game is on the line. You would expect Hudson Young, who usually game on the line, he's the one that does it. Nicholson just goes, nah, I'll take care of this, boys. Far out.
I don't know what we paid for him, but we talk about value buys of the season. I don't know what sort of wicket he's on. He's been tremendous.
I tell you what, whoever the recruitment guy is for the Raiders, give him a raise. His ability to find diamonds in the rough and guys that aren't necessarily fully on the radar at other clubs, it's like Kayo Weeks, he basically got released from Manly. And I understand they've got Tommy at fullback, but again, at that club, he was more of a 14-6. And yet the Raiders, their ability to go, nah, we can get the best out of you here and the best out of you, it's just fucking amazing. Seriously. Like I'm speaking about it all year long. I'm such an admirer of what is happening down in the nation's capital. They've got no right to be in the top four right now. They're supposed to be in a rebuild. It's supposed to be a rebuild. Like Ricky Stewart literally said, not necessarily in a rebuild, but we've got this 5-year plan, this plan with these young guys. We're trying to bring them through so that in these certain years, and all of a sudden, and I spoke about it a few weeks ago. The special thing about the Raiders, it's a positive and a negative, but they are so confident in their own ability to bash other teams that sometimes they start slow. Like you go back to the Dolphins, that was all because they were like, we know we'll bash this side when we want to. They come out in the second half and they just go bang, bang, bang. And it's a little bit similar to Storm. Like come out a little bit slow, Storm blow them off the park to a degree, but then the Raiders just go, nah, we know we can wrangle back momentum literally anytime, any place. It's just, fucking special. Can't wait to see what happens later in the year, that's for sure. Because is there an argument to be made this side is better than the side that made the 2019 grand final on paper?
No, we're very good that year.
Who are your edge back rowers?
John Bateman.
Whitehead.
Yeah, Bateman and Whitehead. Papali'i was a bit younger and killing it.
Young is an Origin back rower right now. Yeah. Bateman was good. Would he make Origin that year? Maybe, I don't know. You got Tarpanet, who is Dally M, currently Dally M. You got obviously Papali'i, Horsburgh, Origin. Like I reckon on paper you might be. Now obviously you've got
Did you
the
say
White
whole
factor.
team or Pat?
Whole team.
Whole team. Yeah, whole team. Like BJ Leilua was killing it. Geordie Rapana was at his peak.
CNK.
Jack White
Chance
and
was killing
CNK.
it. Jack White. It was a bloody good team.
Oh no, it's a good team. I just reckon
Josh
on paper
Hodgson.
there is an argument to be made that this side is as good as on paper as that side.
Croak was killing it.
And I just think that heading into this year, even me, I didn't think that. But like for example, Tamale, you could argue he's been your best outside back this year, and like he's a rookie.
He's been unbelievable.
Like his try, where he was just like, bop, nah, all good, try time.
So strong.
So freaking strong. He's running like 200 metres plus a game. You got Savage, who is arguably the fastest player in the competition, if not the fastest, one of the fastest. You got Kayo Weeks putting on tries like that. Granted, he's got a long way to go, but so did CNK. Like Charles Nickel-Clockstad that season, he wasn't the man at the start of the season. He built into that year as well. You've got Starling, who is easily having the best year of his career. You've got Paddy, who is one of the best young rookies in the competition coming off the bench. I mean, I just think your depth in your forward pack is just insane as well. You got Trey Mooney can't even make the side. You got Hoskins coming off the bench.
The joys of not being able to recruit superstars to Cambridge. It's a well-rounded squad.
Yeah, mate. Just an incredible knock from the Raiders.
Think of the scenes of Ricky on the sidelines.
Oh, yeah.
Piss and rain. Just absolutely loving. Just riding every moment with his team.
Yeah.
So good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's just an easy team to get around. And I think that, like, if they keep building like this, like, maybe they can rival that 2019 side. I think the only difference is obviously the Jackie White at 6. I think that's a real, like, at that stage, he obviously won the Clive Churchill. He was one of the best, in my opinion, backs in the competition at that point.
Hodjo at 9 too.
And, Hodjo at 9. But I think that you would say Fogarty is probably better than Caesar by a bit. Anyway, it is what it is. In regards to this performance, though, who stood out for you boys?
Well, you mentioned the little fella, Tommy Starling. He's the one who set the tone, and that's like, I don't know if Ricky's had a word to him. You'd imagine so pre-game. So, mate, get under their skin. You're a man, and he did his job to a T, didn't he?
And it's just like you think back a couple of weeks ago where he's jumping out of the line, shot an RCG to get a ball back, and that changes the momentum. And then, like, look at the momentum impact he had in this game via a different method, but just smart footy, smart footy. Tarpanier once again, Jesus. Any other player, any other club, he is, he's Adam Fanua Blake areas, Payne Haas areas. He's just so good. And also, what I love about Tarpanier is, like, he's old school. He doesn't go after, he'll go after anyone. He'll go after opposing front rowers. He'll go after opposing fullbacks if you want. Like, doesn't matter who it is. He'll pick a key player and he'll just target him all day long, just trying to hit him. And it's just old school. You don't really find front rowers that hunt. Like, you got guys like Liam Martin and that go hunting people. But what I like about Tarpanier is he genuinely goes hunting people and says, I'm going to pick you for the rest of the game and see what happens.
Yeah, sure.
I remember when he went after Barnett against the Warriors, I think it was last year.
Yeah.
Just good stuff.
They Corey Horsburgh, obviously a pretty bad head knock in that one. I assume he'll be out. That's a huge loss going into this Canterbury game.
Yeah, massive loss. He's been so good for him. He's such a unique forward too because he looks like just a big bopper that's up and down, but he's actually got really good footwork and a bit of an offload in him as well.
Very nimble.
Yeah. In regards to games, like Tarpanier, 3 offloads, Young, 2 offloads, Nicholson, 2 offloads. Just a good win. Really, really good for the Raiders. Exactly what they needed. And they can essentially hang their hat on that for the rest of the year. They've now beaten the Broncos. They're now beaten the Melbourne Storm. Outside of the Doggies, which they've got this week.
Yeah.
If they get the Doggies scalp, then it really is like, you could argue they're number 1 favourites. I know I would still have the Doggies and Storm ahead of them, but they've taken both their scalps. Like, there's not many other teams in the competition that they need to beat to convince everyone that they're a premiership threat this year.
How much fun would that flight home have been back to Canberra after that?
Jesus. Okay, now onto the Storm just quickly before we finish up. Yeah, just one that got away. I know we've already spoken about it a little bit. I thought Fa'alongo, even that try where Tamale scored, you can't expect everything of Fa'alongo. He put his body in front. He did his best. He's a smaller, winger. And, okay, yeah, maybe a bigger winger would have saved that try. But also a bigger winger would have done the other stuff that he did, which is, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm naturally a bit critical of Fa'alongo just in the defensive line because he's so small. I thought he did a good job there. He's just wrestled off. But he got there. He had the contact. He was there. It's
literally, you're just bigger than me and stronger at the moment, and I'm faster and I've got better footwork than you. It's just like the way rugby league goes.
That you spoke about Kayo Weeks' kick. That kick from Fa'alongo back into Pappy, the degree of difficulty for that was incredible, and he put it on a dime for him.
Literal dime.
His best game, do you reckon? I reckon
so far this year.
I reckon that might be the best game I've seen him play.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, it was a bloody good game. He was outstanding. He was so good. He's and I mean you talk about the Sloan situation, like, mate, that's what you do. Like, he's way smaller than you. That's what you do. You put your body in front and just make it work. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to stop the try, but do everything you can to stop the try. In regards to his attack, geez, he is just like, every time he gets the ball, it's like something's happening around Fa'alongo. 3 line breaks, 5 tackle breaks, 204 metres. Bloody good performance. I thought Pappy was good too, really incisive around the ruck, very dangerous at all times. Who stood out for you boys?
Yeah, no, I thought you sort of summed all those guys up really well there. Mate, as Timmy just said, that kick that Sewell put back into the middle, that's just so fucking impressive.
Yeah.
He's got so much ability, Fa'alongo. I'm not sure how it's all going to play out with his career and Pappy and everything, but Geez, he offers a lot. I know we've already spoken about him a lot, but outside of those penalties, geez, Trent Leary plays tough.
Yeah, he's freaking tough.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to mention it. They were missing Harry Grant, so there's obviously that. But, you know.
They definitely missed something there with him, don't they? The last couple of weeks he hasn't been there, but...
Well, they've gone from averaging like 30 points a game to like, what is it, 18, like 20, something like that maybe?
Yep.
Just quickly, Katoa, 11 runs, 90 metres, not that impressive, but 3 offloads, 51 tackles, only 2 misses on an edge there. Like
Impactful. Like, there were some key offloads as well, like in attacking territories. He could easily have had a couple of tries this.
Yeah, geez, he's developed so much. Alrighty, that's the review done and dust. Time to face the music, brought to you by our friends over at Sportsbet.
All right, first game this week, we got the Eels, $1.78. Dolphins, $2.08. The line is 1.5 points.
Sorry, 2 secs, mate.
Do you want me to go first?
I'll go Dolphins head-to-head.
I'll go Parramatta 13 plus.
Oh, $3.50.
Para 1 to 12.
$3.
Actually, sorry, I'll go Dolphins 1 to 12.
$3.20.
Eels head-to-head.
Eels head-to-head, $1.78. Oh, this is a tough one. I am going to take the Eels head-to-head at home with Mitch Moses in there, $1.78 for me. Second game, Knights, $1.48. The Titans, $2.66. That feels short for the Titans. Line is 5.5 points in this one.
I'm going to go Knights 1 to 12.
$2.85.
Knights minus 5.5.
Yep.
Knights 13 plus.
Knights minus
265.
5.5.
Yep. I'm going to take Knights minus 5.5 as well. Rabbitohs, $3.22. Host the Broncos, $1.35. Line is 8.5 points in this one.
Which side's turning up? Jeez, I'll just go Broncos 13 plus.
I'm going Broncos 13 plus. Too.
Broncos 13 plus.
$2.25.
I'll go Broncos minus 8.5.
I'm going to go, Matty.
Wow.
I'll go
Wow.
Broncos minus 8.5 as well for me. Raiders, $1.73. Game of the round this one against the Dogs, $2.12. 1.5 points is the line.
I am going to go Bulldogs head-to-head.
Dogs 1 to 12.
Raiders 1 to 12.
Dogs
Raiders
1 to 12, $3.25. Raiders 1 to 12, $2.90.
I'll go Raiders 1 to 12.
$2.90. Yeah, I'm going to take Raiders 1 to 12 as well. Dragons, $2.13. Host the Warriors, $1.72 down at Wynn Stadium. 2.5 is the line.
I'm going to go. And so it's Dragons 1 to 12.
$3.30.
Waz minus 2.5.
Yep.
Dragons 1 to 12.
I'll go Warriors head-to-head.
Yep. I'm taking Warriors minus 2.5. Cowboys, $2.35. Host the Panthers, $1.60. Line is 3.5 points.
I'm going to go Cowboys 13 plus.
$5.70.
Panthers minus 3.5.
Panthers 1 to 12.
$3.
Panthers minus 3.5.
Yeah, Panthers minus 3.5 for me as well. Then we're down to Melbourne, $1.22 when they host the Tigers, $4.30. The line is 12.5 points in this one.
I'm going to go. Oh my God. I'll just go Storm 13 plus.
Geez, $1.82.
Tigers 1 to 12.
$5.20.
Ooh.
Bit of value.
Jeez. Storm. What do we say? So giving away the 12.5 is $1.90 and 13 plus is $1.80 something. I'll go giving away the 12.5.
Yep.
I'll go Tigers with the 12-point start.
Yep. I'm going to go Tigers 1 to 12 as well. I'm jumping on with Roo, $5.20. Yep. And then the final game of the round, Manly, $1.66 host the Sharks, $2.23. 2.5 is the line in this one out at Brookie.
Sharks 13 plus.
$5.25.
Why is that? Just because Turbo's back? Is there outs for the Sharks that I'm missing, or just at Brookie with Turbo?
Yeah, I think the Brookie factor.
Sharks 1 to 12.
$3.30.
Manly 1 to 12.
$3.
Manly minus 2.5.
Okay, I'm going to go Sharkies 13 plus, $5.25. And that's it
Yep.
for round 10.
What on, boys?
There you go. That's
Knock.
it. Huge lift. There you go. Grab your Grumpy Coffee. Follow us on Grumpy Coffee, Grumpy Drinks on all platforms. DJ Grumpy. Grab a Bloke jersey. Grab Bloke undies. All that good stuff. And as usual, we'll go and fuck ourselves. Thank you.
Timmy, grab a Bloke jersey, mate.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.